The gift is a mysterious power granted when a child turns 15 years old. It is said that one's gift can completely change the bearer's life. And here's the heroine of our story, Charlotte, who is currently pulling a long face. Her father approaches her, asking why she looks so worried when it's her birthday. Besides, they're going to have her gift evaluated soon, and that's when she tells him that she's feeling anxious. She's scared because she might get kicked out of the house if she receives such a useless gift. Her father laughs, assuring her not to worry because it won't happen. Spoiler alert, it does happen. Anyway, her father continues that getting kicked out happens to knights or peasants anyway, for whom the gift is a matter of fate. For nobles like them, the patriarch says gifts aren't that important. So whatever gift Charlotte may receive, he will never kick her out of the house. That's what he said. Cut to the next scene. As Charlotte finally receives her gift, the priest, or maybe the appraiser, reveals that her gift is called Monster Eater. This grants her the ability to eat monsters deliciously, and it's said that the more monsters she eats, the stronger she will become. Her father, on the other hand, was close to passing out once he heard his daughter's gift. Charlotte is still processing what was said to her, but her old man can't take it anymore. What a vulgar and disgusting gift, he cries aloud. The poor guy is going through the most invalid crash out in history, saying that someone with such a gift like that in their home is unthinkable in House Marquis Nevi. Our dignity will plummet, he laments. The priest tries to hand Charlotte's gift evaluation certificate, but the Marquis swats the document away. Charlotte barely had the chance to finish the word father when her old man instantly cast her away from their home. The gate of House Nevi closes on Charlotte's face as she's left with just one bag as her luggage. So much for him saying he won't cast her out, huh? Charlotte drops her bag on the ground as reality hits her. She got kicked out of the house. She turns, facing the forest, wondering what to do next. Whatever it is, she just needs to cross the forest first to get to the city. From what she heard, monsters appear here or something along those lines. Honestly, she's scared, but at the same time her stomach is grumbling. So, what's a girl to do? In the end, she frolics straight to the forest with reckless abandon, thinking that she should just head to one of the city's restaurants and have a meal there. This silly girl really believes that monsters won't show up that easily. Wrong! 5 minutes later, we hear her cry of terror in the woods because who would have thought an actual monster would show up? Charlotte is on her butt, frantically trying to scramble away from the monsters in front of her. If she remembers correctly, this thing is called a slime, a blob of mucus. If it swallows her, then she'll be eaten whole. Wait a minute, her gift? What if she uses her ability Monster Eater right now? Charlotte imagines herself taking a juicy bite out of the slime, and she pales at the idea. She can't do it. And what will she do? The slimes are increasing in number. This is it, she's going to die here of all places on her birthday. She just got kicked out and she couldn't even use her gift. She doesn't have a spoon or fork in her belongings, and she doesn't even know of a way to fight. Wait, yes she does! Charlotte is reminded of her early education, where her instructor taught her 2 simple magic spells to protect herself. As the first slime jumps in to attack her, Charlotte raises her hands and cries, "Poochie ice!" Sparks illuminated her hand and the slime that attacked her was frozen. Yay! She did it! She hit it with magic and it worked. It's all thanks to her private tutor. There was another spell, but before she could say it, Charlotte noticed something weird about that slime she had just iced. The other slimes huddle in a group as Charlotte sees a sorbet present itself to her. Hey, how did this happen? Charlotte takes the dessert in her hands, all while the slime colony watches her curiously. Wait, could it be that the Monster Eater ability that allows her to eat monsters deliciously means that the monster she defeated will turn into gourmet dishes? Oh ho! She didn't expect this. Looking at the sorbet up close, Charlotte finds it looks so delicious. However, eating monsters is tacky, isn't it? Charlotte looks at the group of slime next to her and back to the sorbet until her stomach starts grumbling again. In the end, she decided to take just one bite, but lo and behold, it's so delicious. Charlotte can't believe how tasty this sorbet is. It has a gentle chill and a crisp and refreshing texture. There's a refined, delicate sweetness, and before she realized it, she was gobbling the dessert one spoonful after the other. Ultimately, Charlotte decided to eat it all. She finished the dessert quickly, thankful for the delicious food, but it wasn't enough. She turned to the slimes on the ground, but now she can only see these terrifying slime creatures as tasty sorbet. You bet your butt she poochie iced the remaining slimes before her. Charlotte happily sits, nursing her satisfied tummy, surrounded by empty dessert cups. As she dabs her lips, she thinks she might have eaten about 20 of those sorbets. But more importantly, she's starting to get used to using magic, and she's also starting to understand her Monster Eater ability. Simply put, if she defeats the monsters using magic, they turn into food, but not just any food. They turn into gourmet dishes. As for the magic Charlotte uses, she has Poochie Ice and a fire-type spell called what else? Poochie Fire. But it seems that if the magic doesn't match the monster's type, it won't turn into food. Earlier, she expected something to appear when she used Poochie Fire on a slime, but she just ended up wasting a slime for nothing. because the sorbet didn't appear when she defeated it using Poochie Fire. Speaking of Poochie Fire, Charlotte hoped to use that magic to cook food too. She'd love to eat something warm. Just then, Charlotte hears a voice in her ears. "By eating the monster, your level increased," the voice said. "Ate 21 slimes, predation bonus. Defense increased by 105. It continued, startling Charlotte. What was that ringing in her ears? She heard level defense mentioned, but what do these things even mean? Charlotte doesn't understand anything at all, and it terrifies her. Dear viewers, please be aware that the noble lady Charlotte has no knowledge of adventurer technology. Well, once she reaches the city, she'll just ask someone to explain it to her. But these stones, they appeared after she defeated the slime monster. Charlotte wonders what those are since they're so pretty. She was admiring one up close, saying she's still feeling hungry after eating all that sorbet, when she heard a growl a few inches from her face. Our heroine stares ahead, and to her shock, there's a dread wolf right in front of her. The wolf is snarling and lunges straight at the unguarded miss. She screams and holds her arm up in defense, but the dread wolf has already sunk its canine teeth in her arm, but Charlotte doesn't feel any pain. Maybe this monster is just trying to play, no? Unknown to her, Charlotte's defense saved her from the pain since she got a 105-point bonus. Now that she's over the initial shock and horror looking at this monster, Charlotte wonders if it will turn into food if she defeats it. But wait, she can't eat such a cute and innocent monster, all while the wolf continues to gnaw on her forearm. Before she can stop it, the image of steaks and meat is already clouding her mind. But no, it would be way too cruel to kill this doggy. In the end, her hunger won her over, and Charlotte blasts the wolf with her Poochie Fire. Ta-da! She now has a plate of T-bone steak in her hands. It smells so good. She cuts a small piece, laughing at herself because who was it saying a minute ago that she was full from sorbet? That was a lie. Bon appetit, she says before taking a bite of the steak. It tastes so good that she can't find the words to even speak. This dish is more tender and juicier than the steak slices the palace chef used to prepare. At the same time, it has a pure and light flavor, that's it. She decided she's going to eat it all. Charlotte finished the T-bone steak in no time at all, thankful for the food she had eaten. If she were at home, she would know for sure that her father would scold her and say, "This is improper behavior." Suddenly, she hears that same ringing in her ears as earlier, with the voice saying, "Level up after eating the monster. Acquired permanent skill? Sensing. Dreadwolf hunt bonus." Sensing. What is this new sound in her ear? From afar, Charlotte can hear shuffling, making her look around warily at all these sounds she's suddenly hearing around her. Are these the footsteps of monsters or a feeling of their presence? Does this mean that when she eats delicious meat, even her hearing will improve? Is this also part of her monster eater ability? Charlotte decides to put her hand over her ear to listen more intently to the sounds. She can hear the footsteps of a wolf several meters away, which means there's still more food waiting for her. Back at the Nevi mansion, the maid asks Charlotte's father what he plans to do with the gift evaluation certificate they received from the assessor. The patriarch is nursing a drink, angered at the mention of that certificate for Charlotte's vulgar gift. He orders the former to get rid of it at once since they have no need of such a thing. But the maid hesitates to do so and remains holding Charlotte's certificate. So let's talk about Charlotte Nevi's gift, Monster Eater. It allows the monsters she defeats to become deliciously edible, and her power increases the more monsters she consumes. Her level increases by 1 for each monster defeated, and additional skills or magic can be gained as bonuses. On that day, a beginner adventurer defeated a goblin and reached level 2. Meanwhile, another adventurer fought in a dungeon, and after a long and hard battle, he finally reached level 10. Then there's Charlotte Nevi. By simply spending a few minutes eating 2 bowls of slime sorbet and now munching on a T-bone steak from a dreadwolf, she easily managed to climb ranks and reach level 24. Thanks to the effect of Monster Eater, she surpassed the level of ordinary adventurers just by eating. On top of that, she even gained new skills. As Charlotte took the last bite of her T-bone steak, she heard the voice in her ears say she received a Dreadwolf Hunt bonus. According to the voice, her permanent sensing skill evolved to level 2. Ordinary adventurers would rejoice upon hearing something like that, but not Charlotte. She covers her ears, distressed because would this ringing in her ears ever stop? Just then, she noticed that the plates and cutlery vanished as soon as she finished eating, leaving her pleased. At least no need to Claygo. She looks up to the night sky, thinking that there's still so much she doesn't know about this gift, but she had no idea monsters could be this delicious. She's excited and has decided that from now on she's going to hunt lots of tasty monsters and devour them with a great appetite. She continues munching on the T-bone steak, thinking that she needs to get to the city first because she's still homeless after all. Charlotte carefully wanders further into the woods, and right now she's in the middle of tracking a strange presence she can clearly sense. Just a while ago, she ate the meat of a dreadwolf, and can you imagine? She had 6 full plates of it. She couldn't help it, the taste was irresistible, so she lost control and overate. But what's even stranger is that she never gets tired of monster meat no matter how much she eats. Plus, the more she eats, the sharper and more sensitive her ears become. Now she can sense monsters from nearly a kilometer away. Clueless Charlotte doesn't know that it's all thanks to the Dreadwolf predation bonus, Sensing, which is now level 2. Charlotte's current concern, though, is that there's a stronger than usual feeling. It's like a heavy, mysterious energy unlike any other monster. Plus, it's not moving at all. Of course, she's irresistibly curious about it, which is why she decided to follow through. She'll just take a look, she won't eat anything, promise. After a few more steps, she finally pinpoints the location. It's coming from beneath her feet. After a few rummaging and rustling, Charlotte manages to find the entrance of a cave. Since it's too dark, she grabs a piece of wood and uses Poochie fire to light it. But is it her? Or has her little flame gotten stronger? She brushes it off, thinking it must be because she's in top condition after all that meat. Girl, you are level 28. Be for real. To continue, she ventures inside the cave and chances upon a treasure chest. Charlotte kneels right in front of it, despite feeling something strange, like there's a weird energy emanating from it. This clueless girl has absolutely no sense of danger or self-preservation. After all, this looks like just a normal treasure chest. As she was about to put her hand over it to check its contents, the treasure suddenly lunged at her with its sharp teeth, ready to eat her up. Charlotte made a run for it, but the monster treasure chest kept chasing her even as she got out of the cave. The panicked Charlotte looks back in horror, wondering what that is, when she trips and falls flat on her face. Oh no, the monster took this opportunity to leap high in the air and eat her. "Stay away from me!" she cries, extending her hand outright as she unleashes Poochie fire directly into the monster. The poor girl was so scared she was already crying, vowing never to go anywhere near treasure chests ever again. But her terror subsided once she noticed something. What's that delicious smell? Right in front of her is a new dish, and she quickly grabs the plate. Can treasure chests be eaten? What shape was it again? Oh, it's an oyster. This is a butter sautéed oyster. But does that mean the monster was covered in a wooden box instead of a shell? Such a strange creature that one is. Instead of gobbling the food, our heroine is torn because she promised herself she wouldn't eat any more monsters today, but then again she ran a lot, so she also lost a lot of calories. "I'll eat it now," she happily chirps. One bite was all it took for Charlotte to get so drawn into this delicious taste. The flavor floods her mouth, and it's no less tasty than fillet slices. There's also the rich, buttery aroma that stimulates her appetite more and more. This butter sautéed oyster is the perfect meal to end the day. She's grateful for the food, just as the voice informs her that her level has increased again after consuming the monster. By now, Charlotte has gotten used to this ringing in her ears, and she heard the voice say that she receives a predation bonus from the rare monster Mimic. The rare skill she acquired is Auto Counter. Ooh, rare skill, that's a new term for her, and like before, she has no idea what this all means. What she does know is that the voice always kept saying that there's an increase. Our dear Miss Heroine walks over to the nearest tree with a hollowed-out trunk. A lot of things happened today, and she feels pretty exhausted. Since it's getting dark, she decides to rest now and prepare for tomorrow. Will she be okay sleeping here safely? Later that night, multiple shadows dart straight to where Charlotte is sleeping, but curiously enough, they are sent flying back. What the hell just happened? The following morning, Charlotte stretches her arms out wide, feeling energized and refreshed because she slept so well, but what's this? She didn't notice that there were so many things on the ground where she slept. She must not have noticed them since it was too dark last night. Anyway, today she'll definitely head to the city. To her surprise, the path before her is open. She looks left and right, wondering if she followed this road. Could it lead her to the city? And yes, it did. She must have gotten closer to the city while she was escaping from the treasure chest monster last night. Now, to the inn. No, first things first. Charlotte asks a passerby if he knows a place nearby where she could eat. The young man points to a building just right over there, saying there's a restaurant inside. His companion scolds him and was about to say something more, but Charlotte was already running straight to the place. She enters the building and admits that she didn't expect that she'd be able to order this here since it's something that she really, really loves. Yet here it is. A sandwich. She's so glad she brought her allowance along with her because she can afford this sandwich. Sure, she's full from eating all those monster meats, but her craving for a sandwich is on a whole different level. Charlotte takes one bite and once again, she falls in love with the delicious and irresistible taste. As usual, she has nothing but good things to say about the food she's eating, going off in her mind about how the flavor is unbelievable. This is a great pick for a restaurant, she thought. Speaking of, she doesn't even know the establishment's name yet, so she reaches out to the next table, asking them what the name of the place is. That's when the random extra told her that this place is called the Adventurers Guild. Charlotte echoes the name, while the other guy wonders what a young lady like her is doing in a place like this. But Charlotte is no longer listening to him. What a weird name for a restaurant, she thought. Obviously, this place is no restaurant. The Adventurers Guild is an official center for adventurers and usually has a restaurant or tavern beside the main office. With that said, it's not a restaurant in the proper sense. So back to Charlotte. She looks around and notices that there are a lot of armed people here, and it gets her thinking that this place must be dangerous. There's no doubt public eateries are like this, she thought. Girl, they're not. Dangerous or not, she has become totally addicted to the restaurant's sandwich. She gets up from her seat and approaches the front desk since she's already wanted to try something at public restaurants. She signals for the lady behind the desk and makes a card hand sign, telling the latter that she wants to make a card. In her mind, what Charlotte wants is a point card. Her maid back at the family house told her before that when you collect points, your rank goes up, or you can request secret menu items. The lady at the counter looks back at Charlotte asking, "A card? Did Charlotte say she wants to make a card?" Sure, the lady can make one for our heroine. She hands Charlotte a document instructing her to fill out the form, which our heroine dutifully does. The process is quick because a few moments later, Charlotte is finally holding her very own card points. In reality, this is actually an adventurer's card, and it's like a license for adventurers, not a point card. She promises to come by regularly, and the lady is just happy to have a new adventurer unknowingly join them. She also tells Charlotte that if she brings them monster materials as proof of her kills, they will upgrade her rank. Did this lady just say monster materials? Wait a minute, she rummages through her bags, remembering the items from this morning. She drops them all on the counter, asking the lady if those are the things she meant. The latter is shocked at the number of items Charlotte brought. They've never had anyone show up with that many materials right after registering. But Charlotte's just happy that she finally discovered something new today. So those stones are considered monster materials, huh? Each time she defeated a monster, it dropped something. So she picked it up, and it looks like she did the right thing. The lady at the counter wants to confirm first if Charlotte really killed all these monsters by herself. She asks our heroine if she could say status open, so they can see her status screen. Charlotte did as she was told, and as soon as she said it aloud, she saw a screen pop up before her. Living a sheltered life, she has no idea what all those numbers on the prompt mean, while the other lady can't believe her eyes. This girl is level 29? Her hand flies straight to cover her own mouth, apologizing for speaking loudly about someone else's level. But that's the thing, Charlotte has no idea what this level is that they speak of. The front desk lady dramatically explains that a level is the identity of the adventurer that symbolizes all their accomplishments. Even she has a hard time explaining what it is, and poor Charlotte doesn't understand her explanation at all. Anyway, the front desk lady confirmed that the materials Charlotte brought really came from the monsters she killed by herself. She also apologized for doubting our heroine, but the latter is just glad that everything worked out. Now then, it's time to check the materials. The lady notices that one of the items looks like a metal piece. Oh, that one. Charlotte explains that one came from a monster that looked like a treasure chest, you know, like a clamshell. She found it in one of the caves in the western forest and was doing that click-clack opening-closing thing. What, a treasure chest? Do you mean a mimic? The lady couldn't believe what she just heard in the first place. How did Charlotte even find such a rare monster? Well, Charlotte says she has very sharp ears and she sensed the monster's presence, so she tracked it down until she found it. The front desk lady is going gaga over this because there are no reports of mimics in this region, and yet Charlotte found and defeated a monster that no adventurer in this city could locate. She starts furiously noting the items Charlotte brought, as well as the newly registered adventurer's achievement. Meanwhile, our heroine looks at the other girl wordlessly, thinking that the waitress looks very happy. Girl, she's not a waitress. Anyway, based on the materials as proof, she hands Charlotte a new card promoting her to silver rank. To be fair, they never had a promotion on the same day of registration before. Wow! Charlotte takes the card gleefully. It's shining, she says about the card. The lady shows her the other cards, saying, after silver comes gold, platinum, pearl, and then diamond. Charlotte has her eyes set on the diamond, claiming she likes that one the most. The front desk lady only smiles at her, fully believing that our heroine can reach that tier in no time. Their conversation got cut short because suddenly, a sketchy-looking man with grimy hair approached Charlotte. This man fully believes that our little miss is actually using her money to raise her rank. You can't cheat like that, he says slyly. Since Charlotte is also wearing fancy clothes, the man deduced that she must be from a rich family. The materials? Obviously, Charlotte bought them with money. Charlotte has never been confronted like this in her whole life, though she did tell him that the front desk had just confirmed that she gathered all these materials by herself. The man refused to believe that, saying Charlotte must have bribed them or something. A low-paid receptionist is easy to sway with gold, he says. Suddenly, he's Mr. Righteous, saying aloud how people who cheat need to be punished. For her punishment, the man wants Charlotte to hand over every valuable she has and leave it there. This sketchy dude confidently says he's a level 8 adventurer, so he's sure Charlotte will feel the overwhelming difference in their power. Instead of being intimidated, Charlotte moved closer, asking if he was familiar with this level thing she had been hearing. If he is, then could he be nice enough to explain it to her? Is level 8 considered high or low? Is something good supposed to happen when you're level 8? She asks cluelessly. But this only angered the man. He raises his fist and is about to punch her, forcing Charlotte to surrender the money. The receptionist calls out to our heroine, but it's too late for Charlotte to evade his attack. She just closed her eyes and braced for impact when she heard a familiar voice say, "Rare skill activated, auto counter." The man hits the invisible barrier that appeared before Charlotte, and upon impact, he is sent flying straight to the fountain outside. Charlotte peeks with one eye, and this is the part where we explain her rare skill. Auto counter activates when the user receives a physical attack. It automatically and doubly reflects the attack back at the enemy, which is exactly what happened last night while Charlotte was sleeping in the forest. Suffice it to say that it's a rare skill that shows its true power in battle. Everyone in the cavern stood shocked, even more so Charlotte. What just happened? She asks herself. Charlotte stares at the man who had just been harassing her not 2 seconds ago. She thought for sure that the guy raised his fist ready to hit her, but all of a sudden he was all the way over there. That's it. The guy flew away on his own. Our clueless heroine really had no idea that her auto counter literally activated on its own. Her pondering gets cut short when the receptionist starts cheering for her. "As expected of Miss Charlotte," she says. Even she has no idea what happened, a sentiment Charlotte shared. Even though Charlotte admits that she didn't do anything, the other lady thought that the former was just practicing exaggerated modesty. Anyway, that man who was harassing her earlier was actually an adventurer. But the thing is, he keeps repeating annoying actions, thus causing the guild a lot of trouble. With that said, she's just thankful that Charlotte helped them out on that one. Oh, since they're already at it, the receptionist lady asks Charlotte if she's interested in taking on a quest, motioning to the bulletin board as she says so. The latter turns her attention to the board, while the other lady explains that those are monster-slaying requests. Quests are accepted from the Adventurers Guild, and when they defeat the specific monster in the quest, they receive a reward. However, she warns Charlotte to be careful since if they slay the monster before accepting the quest, then she won't get the reward. Killing monsters for a reward? What a strange restaurant, Charlotte thought. She is curious about the kind of rewards they offer. Maybe restaurant discount coupons, no? This girl really thinks that the Adventurers Guild is just a restaurant with a dining hall. She finds the system interesting, but sorry, Charlotte will have to turn it down. She tells the receptionist that she won't accept any requests, prompting the latter to ask why. Well, it's simply because Charlotte likes to decide for herself which monster she wants to kill. For one, she just doesn't like being told who to fight. That's simply unacceptable for her. Truth be told, Charlotte admits to herself that she's a pretty selfish person. When it all comes down to it, she sees monsters as her meals, and at the very least, she wants to choose her own menu at least. The receptionist was about to talk her into it using the rewards, when suddenly, an adventurer came rushing into the guild bearing bad news. The Grand Boar is destroying the northern fields. The two ladies turn to the guy with the receptionist alarmed at such ill news. The Grand Boar is a giant monster shaped like a wild boar. It's classified as a boss-level monster and possesses unmatched offensive and defensive power. They say even if 100 regular-level adventurers face this monster, half of them would die. News of the Grand Boar's rampage is enough to put most of the adventurers in distress. One claims that anyone who faces such a monster is bound to die, but on the other hand, if they ignore it, it will completely destroy the field. From there, a food crisis will break out and many townspeople will die of hunger. The situation is dire, no matter how much one looks at it. Still, all they could do was wait, since in a few hours, an official quest to defeat it would be issued. For now, they think it would be best to just eat in preparation for the battle, since this might as well be their last meal. Speaking of meals, one of the adventurers mentioned how he has always wanted to taste Grand Boar meat because they say it's unbelievably delicious. And those few sentences were enough to get Charlotte's attention. She grows serious, thinking of this monster with delicious meat. She remembers how even the wolf monster, when cooked with her gift, became an incredibly tasty steak. So what about meat that's already rumored to be delicious? What could possibly happen to that? Okay, she has decided. Charlotte asks the receptionist where she needs to go to reach the northern fields. The latter is kind enough to point out the location on the map, and that's all Charlotte needs. She grabs the map, saying she'll head out now, but not before asking the receptionist if she could hold onto her bag. In our heroine's mind, she had heard the words food crisis and death earlier, but she had forgotten what was said. The receptionist warns her that going alone is dangerous, and there hasn't even been a quest issued yet. But Charlotte is already making her way to the door, saying she can't wait for things like that. Our clueless heroine is determined to be the first to taste Grand Boar meat. The reception misinterprets Charlotte's gesture, thinking the former actually cares so much for the city that she's willing to go this far. Meanwhile, at the northern fields, a lone but giant figure can be seen over the crops. It stomps its hooves, munching on the produce without a care in the world. It's the Grand Boar. And right beside this intimidating creature, there's Charlotte, standing in awe of the giant monster. What did we tell you? She has zero sense of danger. but it's not surprising given her ability. The grand boar starts stomping its hooves more intensely, causing the ground to shake as it did. But what should Charlotte do? The monster is way bigger than she expected, towering over her like this. And do you know what her concern is? It's the idea that she can't finish all this meat by herself, that's what. Oh no, what to do? What to do? All she sees is a massive steak named Grand Boar. The Grand Boar blows through its nose, sending a strong gust of wind that is enough to break tree trunks due to its sheer force. But not Charlotte, though. She just got out of balance and fell on her butt. The worst for her is that her bangs got blown off. Even the Grand Boar is surprised at this girl. But compared to the boar's threat, Charlotte finds being chased by the box monster much scarier. She stands and dusts herself off, thinking that she has fought so many monsters and gained enough experience. Even with a huge size difference, Charlotte believes she'll be fine. Plus, she already came up with a solid plan. Monsters die when they get hit by magic. That's the common weakness of all monsters, so even if the monster is huge, she's pretty sure that it's the same. In other words, attacking first is the secret to victory. If she hits it with magic before it attacks her, then victory is hers. And if she hits it with magic, she can already see that it will turn into a steak, making her mouth water. But to her surprise, the Grand Boar comes charging straight toward her. Eh? The boar attacked first? Oh no, she won't make it in time if she casts a spell now. Charlotte panics when she hears the voice in her ear saying, Auto defense skill, auto counter activated. The automatic counterattack skill, as the name suggests, reflects the blow automatically with double the force when the user receives a physical attack. Suddenly, an invisible barrier appears that sends the Grand Boar flying to Kingdom Come. Again, Charlotte is left dumbstruck at how the boar flew away on its own. What in the world is going on? Is the monster toying with me? She asks, confused at this sudden development. And there's also the strange ringing in her ears again. Never mind that, at least she's saved. The Grand Boar finally came crashing down not far from where she's standing. And even though Charlotte doesn't fully understand what happened, now's her chance. She puts both her hands up and activates Poochie Fire, barbecuing the Grand Boar as she does so. Ha! It's just as she thought. All monsters go down when they get hit by magic. She beams, thankful for how useful magic is. Just then there's a poof from the monster and Charlotte stares excitedly at the huge chunks of barbecued pork steak before her. She already has her cutlery in hand, staring starry-eyed at the delicious meal before her, but what does she do now? Charlotte doesn't think she can eat all of this by herself. Well, she decides she'll just divide it up and keep the rest, thinking she'll share it with the others once they arrive. Hoarding isn't a good thing after all, plus good food tastes even better when shared with others. But before that, she takes a bite, instantly lighting up as soon as she does so. The rumors are true. Grand Boar meat really is delicious. She has never tasted meat like this before. Juices burst from every single bite as expected from meat that's said to be exquisite. It's so tender it feels as if she's drinking it. Her hands move on their own and she just can't stop eating it. Just like that, Charlotte wolfed down a whole piece in an instant. She stares at the chunks before her, remembering what she thought of before, about good food tasting better when it's shared with others. Did she say something like that? Scratch that. Good food tastes best when she eats it alone, that's for sure. With that, Charlotte decides that she'll eat all of the barbecued Grand Boar steak so easily. This girl is gluttony in human form. Charlotte cleared the plate pretty easily, and like always, she expressed her gratitude for the food every time. She can't believe she was able to eat all of those Grand Boar steaks by herself. But there's something she finds strange. Even if the dishes were bigger than her body, she can eat monster food without limits. It's the same with the wolf monster. She grows appreciative of her gift, finding it truly amazing. Curiously enough, the materials are also way bigger this time, referring to the giant tusk, the only remaining part of the Grand Boar. Charlotte grabs it by both hands, determined to take them to the guild by herself, since if she doesn't do it, she won't get points on her card. Because you are a boss-class monster, your level increased by 5. Charlotte hears the voice in her ears again, followed by, Reward for eating Grand Boar. You have acquired the rare skill Infinite Item Box. A hole suddenly warps in front of Charlotte, shocking her, and just as suddenly it's gone. She focuses and cries, Open! Et voila, it's there again. She thrusts her hand inside and pulls out a branch, then proceeds to stick her hand inside again before breaking into a huge smile. Her rare skill, Infinite Item Box, allows the creation of a hole leading to another dimension where items can be stored without limit. Having just one person with this skill in a party of adventurers allows them to carry an immense amount of potions and supplies, so it's pretty handy changing the difficulty of dungeon exploration. Given how it's a powerful exploration skill, Charlotte is already brimming with excitement because this means it'll be super helpful during travels. There's no need to hold all her shopping bags during travel. She has a point though, because Charlotte has always wondered why stylish bags are always small. But with this mysterious magic hole, she can take a book for fun, bread to eat when she gets hungry, heck, she can carry whatever she wants. Oh, she can even store this giant tusk away right now. Charlotte makes her way back to the Adventurers Guild, heading straight to the front desk. She conjures her infinite item box and pulls the tusk out of it. Here it is. This is proof that she defeated the Grand Boar. The receptionist leans closer, amazed that our heroine can also use the item box, while Charlotte is happy to discover that the mysterious hole has a specific name. As expected of the waitress, she's really knowledgeable. Anyway, Charlotte hands over the tusk, asking if she can collect points with this material, so the receptionist takes it from her. The latter explains that since Charlotte defeated the Grand Boar alone, she will also get the points without splitting them. And because of that, the receptionist tells her that she's promoted to Gold Card. "Congratulations on your second promotion on your first day of registration," she says. Our heroine admires the card because this one is even shinier than her previous one. The lady at the front desk couldn't believe that anyone would reach the gold rank in a single day. Although Charlotte likes the gold card, her favorite is the diamond card, expressing how she wants to reach the top diamond rank soon. If it's her, the receptionist is pretty confident that our heroine can reach diamond quickly, prompting Charlotte to ask if she really believes so. There's an almost manic look in the receptionist's eyes as she moves closer, claiming that Charlotte could even reach diamond rank by next week. The sudden closeness leaves Charlotte a little awkward, but she thanks the receptionist for expressing her belief in her anyway. Since she's done with her business at the Adventurers Guild, she heads out and realizes that it's already evening. Now it's about time she heads to the inn the receptionist told her about. But she checks her gold card again, thinking about how a lot of things happened today. She started the day by visiting the restaurant called Adventurers Guild, where she ate a delicious sandwich. Then she also finally got her hands on the point card she always wanted. Let's not forget how she also got to eat a new delicious monster meal too. Oh, her bag! Charlotte puts her luggage in the item box and giggles because, with how things are looking, it looks like she's going to have lots of fun from now on. Charlotte happily skips along the city streets, excited at the thought of a comfy bed waiting for her at the inn. Later that night at the Adventurers Guild, the whole place is livelier than ever. A random adventurer is curious as to why the place is so loud today, and another answers that the receptionist is telling an amazing story of how an extraordinary hero has appeared. The front desk lady shows off the monster materials Charlotte surrendered earlier that day. Oh! The men crowd around the monster items, amazed at how Miss Charlotte managed to hunt so many monsters. She must be a remarkable person, no? The receptionist lady continues her tale of Charlotte, saying how the latter completed her registration as an adventurer successfully. But she got involved with the guild's troublemaker, Eric. In a fit of rage, Eric tried to hit her, but according to the receptionist, Charlotte took him down and sent Eric flying all the way to the fountain outside. Charlotte was so fast that even though the receptionist was standing close, she didn't understand what happened. One of the adventurers started to call bull on that. That story might be a bit exaggerated for Charlotte to take down Eric like that, the adventurer said, but to their surprise, a voice joins their conversation, saying what the receptionist was saying wasn't an exaggeration at all. Wait, that voice, could it be? They all turn to see, and it's Eric. They're even more shocked because he had cut his hair. What do you mean the story isn't exaggerated? They all ask Eric. The latter shares his own account, relaying how, when he tried to strike the golden-haired girl, Miss Charlotte, he found himself flying through the air before he even realized what had happened. Like the receptionist, he has no idea what went down. For so long, Eric has always been full of himself for being level 8, but when she asked him what level 8 really meant, he couldn't answer at all. Eric realized that he didn't understand anything, but through Charlotte's words and punches, he understood how small his strength is. Eric bows and apologizes to everyone for what he has done, promising to live seriously and with a changed heart from now on. Of course, the adventurers were quick to forgive him and offer their support to him. With that said, it just reinforced the idea of how amazing Miss Charlotte is because she even managed to deal with Eric. That's when the receptionist tells them that it's not all Charlotte accomplished today. What, there's more? This time, she tells them of how Miss Charlotte went to face the Grand Boar, like, what do you mean she defeated the Grand Boar? They cry out in shock in unison. Anyway, back to the retelling. The receptionist was talking to Charlotte when someone came in reporting that their team had spotted the monster. When the receptionist reverts her eyes back to Charlotte, she notices how the latter's expression had completely changed. Her face had totally become serious. Not known to them, that's Charlotte's face when she's craving meat. Suddenly, Charlotte dashed off toward the northern field without even accepting the quest. One of the adventurers asks why Charlotte did that. If you don't accept the request, you won't even get a single copper coin for killing the monster, he points out. The lady wags her finger and says she understands Charlotte's reason. In emergencies, quests are issued within about 10 minutes, but Miss Charlotte wanted to stop the damage that could spread during those 10 minutes, even if it meant giving up the reward. According to the receptionist, Charlotte's eyes in that moment clearly said, if I wait for the quest to be issued, someone in the city might get hurt. Nothing is more precious than human life. I don't want a reward. That look she gave the receptionist means that Charlotte will defeat the Grand Boar as soon as possible. Obviously, guys, the receptionist is just projecting her fantasies on Charlotte. Of course, the rest of the adventurers are quick to celebrate Charlotte and how she's such a remarkable person. This recount just moved their hearts, knowing what a noble character and high spirit this Miss Charlotte has. One of them even starts crying, ashamed because the only reason he fights monsters is to get the reward. The receptionist too was so moved that from now on she'll ensure that emergency quests are issued faster. She grabs her drink, teary-eyed, as she tells everybody how she's never felt this happy working at this guild as she did today. Given the miracle that happened today, she proposes a toast to celebrate the birth of their heroine. To Miss Charlotte Nevi, cheers! They cried in unison. From that point onward, the simple act Charlotte did out of her desire to eat monsters turned into a beautiful heroic legend that soon spread throughout the entire town. Meanwhile, in a ramshackle cabin somewhere in the forest, the thieves are celebrating their loot for the day. They're all laughing and in a good mood because clearly stealing is the best way to make money. Starting today, they will begin the perfect thief lifestyle in their humble hideout. But no sooner did their leader say that than the door burst open. "Stop right there! It's the Kingdom Knights!" One of the henchmen panics, wondering what to do, but their leader points out that they outnumber the knights. With that, he orders his men to take them down when suddenly one of their opponents single-handedly tackles the thieves. He took them down quickly, and it was not lost on the leader how skilled this man was. Who is that long-haired man? The thief leader decides to enter the fray, raising his sword high to strike down the long-haired man, only for the latter to disarm him with his back turned. It all happened so fast that before he could do anything, the bandit leader found himself with a blade placed right on his neck. "You!" He finally recognizes who the long-haired man is. It's Ozus Rodenheim, the first prince. The thief leader raises both hands in surrender, asking why the first prince is here. Ozus replies that if it means protecting the safety of his people, he'll go anywhere. Of course he would. But what the thief leader really wanted to ask was why the prince was so strong. Ozus instructs the knights to restrain everyone who has fallen to the ground. Soon, they got every thief bound, while the other knights admired his highness. This is the first prince who personally leads the knight battalion. Even today, Ozus neutralized half the bandits in the blink of an eye. Seeing him so well put together sets a great example among the knights, inspiring them to train more and to become more useful to the prince. Meanwhile, the prince's butler, Sebas, hands a handkerchief to his highness. Ozus removes his gloves to check the small cut on his right palm. Since that day, he has been working hard just to be noticed by her. He pulls a photograph out of his pocket, thinking that now, he's sure that he'll be able to come and see her, and the person he's referring to is none other than our heroine, Charlotte. Before Charlotte settled at her current inn, she first asked the receptionist if the latter knew of any inn in this town. Lucky for her, she has a recommendation in mind. Charlotte heads straight to the inn the receptionist mentioned, in awe because she has never been in an inn for common folks. She finds the place has a pretty unique charm and decides she'll stay at this town's inn. Our heroine cheerfully bursts through the door, asking if anyone is there. What greets her instead is a surly, intimidating older woman smoking a cigar. She blows the smoke while still maintaining eye contact with our frozen Charlotte. The older woman asks what a lady like Charlotte is doing in a place like this. Despite the unfriendly tone, Charlotte remains respectful as ever, saying she'd like to stay the night. "Huh? What are you talking about? This is a place for adventurers only. Go somewhere else," the lady grumpily said. "Eh? Did she just say adventurers?" Charlotte wonders if the term adventurers is the same as the Adventurers Guild restaurant that she knows. So does that mean it's members only? Oh, if that's the case, then she can just show them her points card, right? Someone really needs to explain this whole adventurer thing to Charlotte sooner rather than later. "Just a moment, please." "Charlotte," says the innkeeper, and to the latter's surprise, this chick has an item box. Isn't that a rare skill? One hardly sees anyone with a skill like that. Charlotte pulls out her adventurer's card and shows it to the older lady, making her more shocked than she already is. This girl is ranked gold, and her registration date is today too. The same day she reached gold. There's no doubt about it. This little miss has extraordinary power. While the innkeeper is having the time of her life, Charlotte goes on about how her favorite item on the menu is the sandwich. Without hesitation, the innkeeper hands Charlotte the key to her room, saying she's welcome to stay as long as she likes. "We'll always support you," the older lady adds, and our heroine couldn't be happier at how kind-hearted this lady is. Back in the guild, the receptionist is smiling to herself because she knows she did a good service today. You see, when you see a strong adventurer, you end up offering extra service unintentionally, which is exactly what happened earlier. Anyway, back to Charlotte. She heads straight to her room and is amazed at how tight it is. Despite that, she finds it refreshing. What's even more fun is that everyone bathes together, and the bed is not too soft, but it is comfortable. Charlotte was already feeling the bed that night when she sat upright, remembering that her clothes would get wrinkled. She pulls them out of her bag, thinking of what she would do tomorrow. Of course, it's a given that she'll have breakfast at the Adventurers Guild. Plus, it looks like they're open 24/7, so she can also head there anytime. As she folds her clothes, she thinks about how she wants to hunt monsters again and taste them. The only problem is that she didn't bring a lot of clothes, but that's okay. This means she can go shopping in town. She feels melancholic, thinking about how she wanted to go back home and get some clothes, but yeah, that's not happening. Charlotte lies in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking of her father and her family. There's also the maids whom she loves so much, but because she was exiled so suddenly, she wasn't even able to say goodbye. She feels sad that she'll never see her noble friends as well, making her put her hand over her heart. Does she really feel sad? No, it's hunger. Charlotte opens up her item box, rummaging frantically because she totally forgot about it. It's the sandwich she bought from the guild. Charlotte is in good spirits again, eager to eat the sandwich part set for dinner. As she starts munching on her food, she starts thinking that she'll meet everyone again someday. But tomorrow she'll keep devouring monsters with appetite in the meantime. Wait a minute, now that she remembers it, she also has to thank her private tutor. If he hadn't taught her magic, then Charlotte's not too sure what would have happened to her by now. Our heroine decides to write him a thank you letter. Charlotte starts her letter by thanking her tutor for the magic he taught her. It was because of that magic that she was able to protect herself and also devour delicious monsters like slime. She thanks the older man again before wrapping up the letter. Instead of feeling appreciative and proud of her achievements, Charlotte's tutor is left feeling confused because what did she mean by she's eating delicious monsters? Speaking of monsters, Charlotte also had her experimental phase with monsters. When she faced the Dreadwolf, she wondered what would happen if she used Poochie Ice instead. Poochie Fire gave her a T-bone steak, so maybe if she used Poochie Ice, she'd discover a new dish. Charlotte raised both her hands and unleashed Poochie Ice on the wolf, but to her horror, the monster disintegrated. Oh no, her meat is gone. And here come the regrets. If only I had used Poochie Fire, I would have had steak instead of freezing myself. Because of what happened, Charlotte vowed never to make that mistake again. Charlotte! The voice of a young boy can be heard on the palace grounds. It belongs to the young Prince Ozus, who is leading an equally young Charlotte to where the flowers have sweet and delicious nectar. He shows her how to suck the nectar, and Charlotte mirrors the gesture, surprised that it really tastes amazing. She flashes a blinding smile at the young prince, amazed because Ozus knows so many things. And that one moment was all it took for the young prince to fall so deeply in love with our heroine. At present, the kingdom welcomes the return of the royal battalion to the capital, led by Prince Ozus. The crowd cheers, showing that Ozus is well loved by everyone, excitedly calling out his name. The prince waves, thanking them for the warm welcome, and you can hear the people talking about how amazing the knights of the kingdom are. From what they heard, they captured a band of thieves for the sake of the people. With such a great example before them, even the kids dream of becoming strong like Prince Ozus. But he's not just strong, Ozus also possesses a sharp intellect that allowed him, even at this age, to contribute to the country's governance. On top of that, he has a kind heart that cares for the people. And let's not forget his handsome face to boot. The village girls are fawning over him because rumors say the prince is not engaged yet. The girl's friend scolds her, reminding the former that they're just commoners, and that what she's thinking is nothing but a pipe dream. But even the second girl is not immune to Ozus's charm, squealing as soon as he gave them a smile and a wave. A little girl excitedly runs in front, and in her hurry, she accidentally sends her ice cream flying straight to Prince Ozus's cheek, and the world stopped. The people, the knights, everyone paled at the embarrassment that happened to the prince. Even the little girl couldn't believe what she had done. Her mother puts her arm over her daughter, apologizing profusely for what the girl did to the prince. "Please, she didn't mean it. Please forgive her," the older woman cried. While the girl did the same, Ozus approaches them and crouches in front of the girl with a smile. He assures them that there's nothing to be sorry about. Besides, this is also part of their warm welcome, and it makes him really happy. Ozus wipes the girl's tears with his handkerchief before doing the same on his soiled cheek. "You'll really forgive me?" she asks His Highness. Of course he will. This thing can be wiped off easily, and besides, lemon ice cream is one of the prince's favorite treats, licking his lips as he said so. Ozus calls Sebas, instructing him to buy the girl a new ice cream, making sure not to forget the toppings, which the older man quickly does. If things were left as they are, then the girl would regret what happened forever. To prevent that, the prince gave her a happy memory instead, which is a gesture of kindness and care for the little girl. Thanks to Prince Ozus Rodenheim's noble character and true strength, he's immensely popular among the people. Fast forward several hours, a carriage makes its way through the forest. Inside, Prince Ozus looks so nervous that he almost looks like he's constipated. He wipes the sweat off his brow while Sebas worries because the prince must be tired due to their visit to the Marquise's estate. Ozus assures the older man that he's fine. "Sebas, I've made up my mind. Today I will propose to Charlotte," the prince valiantly proclaims. But the realization of what he said hit him like a brick, and Ozus almost folded over and threw up because his nerves were getting the better of him. "Ah, I feel like my heart is going to explode," the prince cries dramatically over the carriage seat, while Sebas is all over him. "Don't worry, it's your highness, of course you'll succeed." The older man cheers Ozus on. Sebas goes ahead and lists down all the prince's qualities, starting from his looks to his status, down to his character, urging Ozus to have confidence in himself. Sebas knows how hard Ozus worked for this day, and hearing that somewhat grounded his highness. "Thank you, Sebas, I'm completely ready," he proudly proclaims. Even though Ozus can't usually speak to her today, he intends to look Charlotte straight in the eyes and finally tell her what's in his heart. "Boy, have we got bad news for you." And yeah, the Marquis Mashnevi proudly told the prince that he kicked Charlotte out. A sudden darkness befalls Ozus's face while Sebas pales right behind him. The Marquis, on the other hand, fails to notice the change in atmosphere. Like his daughter, this man is pretty dense. He smiles, offering fine tea to the prince, but no, Ozus says there's no need for that. He hides the bouquet of flowers in his back, asking what the Marquis meant when he said that he kicked Charlotte out. "Oh yes, I kicked her out," the Marquis reiterates. He goes on about how his daughter just turned 15 and received her gift. But in his opinion, hers is a disgusting gift. He can't even say the gift out loud in front of Ozus since it was too vulgar. "So do I. Told her, you're unfit to be part of the Marquis's family. And I cast her out," Charlotte's father happily recounts. Finally, Ozus opens his mouth to speak. In a quiet voice, he asks, "You said you cast her out. To which city did you send her?" "Huh? City?" The Marquis says he didn't send Charlotte to any particular city. He just tossed her out the front gate. Hearing such cruelty done to the love of his life made Ozus grip the bouquet harder, doing his best to remain composed. The Marquis's housemaid, who has been listening quietly yet trembling all this time, became even more fearful as Charlotte's father continued babbling about what he did to her daughter. Considering the forest around the Nevi Palace may not be the most dangerous, it does have monsters. Unlike the Marquis's son, Charlotte was never trained in swordsmanship or combat of any kind. So right at this moment, the Marquis carelessly says Charlotte might have already been eaten by monsters like slimes or wolves. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. By now, Ozus is fuming, and here the Marquis has the guts to complain, sharing how his son opposes him and everything, and that the servants have suddenly started quitting. Speaking of servants, the maid discreetly leaves the scene of the crime, while the prince takes a step forward toward the Marquis. "Marquis Nevi, do you know why I came to your mansion today?" the prince asks. The older man turns to him saying, "Of course. You came to strengthen ties with the noble house of Nevi, right?" Charlotte's father also believes Ozus came all the way there to reinforce the foundations of the kingdom, but the prince cuts him off, saying he was wrong. Then why is the prince here? Finally, Charlotte's father starts paying attention to Ozus and notices the bouquet in his highness's hand. Ozus grips the bouquet tightly before shoving it right into the Marquis's face, saying he came here today to propose to Charlotte. His frequent visits to the mansion were purely to see Charlotte, and meeting the Marquis was merely incidental. Ozus goes on about how his heart has belonged to Charlotte ever since he saw her smile when she visited the royal palace at the age of 5. Since then, he has worked on improving himself to become worthy of her. He worked so hard that people ended up calling him the perfect prince. And yet, Charlotte only ever saw Ozus as a childhood friend. The Marquis asks why the prince decided to propose now, of all times. After a beat, Ozus admits it's because he simply lacked the courage to do so. He tried many times to propose to her before, but whenever she's in front of him, Ozus gets so nervous that he can't get the words out. In this matter, the prince says he'll take full responsibility and has no intention to blame the Marquis. However, the fact that the older man cast Charlotte out, just what exactly did the Marquis mean by that? Just uttering those words is enough to make Ozus fume again. The older man stutters while Ozus asks him this. "In your opinion, what state is Charlotte in right now? The words you said earlier, I want you to repeat them again." His Highness looked at the Marquis so coldly that the older man started spewing lies, saying Charlotte must have reached the city by now and is resting peacefully. The answer earned him a glare from Ozus. "Why lie? Maybe a slime or a wolf has eaten her by now. Isn't that what you said yourself?" Charlotte's father finally gave way, fearing what the prince would do. Ozus says that from this moment forward he will mobilize all available resources to search for Charlotte, and that the Marquis will do the same. The older man quickly obliges while the prince continues that if anything happens to her, he trails off, leaving the Marquis even more panicked. What? What will happen? Will I be removed from my post or demoted to a count? Ozus says that's not it, as the Marquis even grows more fearful if he's being demoted to a viscount. Still, Ozus says no, so the older man asks more frantically now if he will become a commoner. This time, the prince did not answer and instructed Sebas to begin taking the measurements. The butler did as his master told while the Marquis remained slumped on the floor, wondering what the measurements would be used for. "Your Highness, what's going on?" he asks. The prince says the measurements are for constructing a custom execution platform for the Marquis. Hearing that just made all the blood drain from the older man's face as he started to tremble. The prince continues that if what the Marquis said is true and something has happened to Charlotte, or if she has died and they are unable to find her and she has not returned within a week, then Marquis Nevi will ascend his own custom execution platform. Charlotte's father almost passed out upon hearing the prince's ultimatum. So despite having no clear leads, a massive search operation was launched to find her. 3 days after Charlotte's exile, the Marquis became bedridden, growing more fearful by the minute, yet ordering the servants to search for his daughter. Meanwhile, in another forest, Charlotte is out on a chase, excited because she'll be devouring this legendary delicious monster. Her eyes twinkle at the sight of this brand new ingredient that's within her grasp. The story so far, Charlotte was suddenly kicked out of the Marquis's house, but right now she's living energetically, devouring one monster after another. She's hiding, listening for a certain monster, wondering if she'll be able to catch this creature. What she does know is that her heart is pounding with excitement. Our heroine has always easily subdued all of the monsters she encountered before, but it looks like she can't eat monster meat easily today because all the monsters she's facing are incredibly strong. So how did she end up in this situation? Let's wind it back to several hours ago. Our heroine begins every day in a good mood, brimming with good energy as she waltzes inside the Adventurers Guild, which she still thinks is just another restaurant, by the way. She always starts her day with a luxurious breakfast there. And because the receptionist relayed to the whole guild back then the legend of Charlotte, some of the adventurers easily recognize her. 2 random adventurers approach and greet her with a good morning. Of course, the clueless Charlotte greets them all the same without realizing it. For a moment it made her wonder if this was the first step to becoming a regular customer. On the receiving end, the guys were just so happy they got to meet the city's heroine, the Miss Charlotte. Our little miss had no idea that she had become worshipped like a goddess within the guild. But enough of that. It's time to do what she does best. Eat. And right before her is her favorite sandwich. Today's sandwich is raw ham and fresh morning lettuce served with steamed potatoes. Charlotte takes a bite, and as a food enjoyer, of course, she has a lot to say. It's delicious. Nothing beats this sandwich in the morning, she thought. This is the very reason why she goes to the Adventurers Guild daily. As she continues her meal, she wonders what kind of monster she'll eat today. Maybe a new forest she hasn't visited yet would be a good choice. This girl really only thinks about food. She's thinking about food while eating food. "Milady!" a voice cries from the entryway, and there stood a girl wearing a maid's uniform, carrying a backpack. "Mary!" Charlotte stands from her seat, surprised to see a familiar face. This Mary girl starts crying, saying she's been looking for Charlotte this whole time. Our heroine opens her arms just as Mary runs straight to hug Charlotte. She's so relieved to see Charlotte is safe. This girl's name is Mary, and she used to be Charlotte's personal maid back at the Marquis's house. They grew up together since childhood, and she was always honest and kind, just like a little sister to Charlotte. Mary is bawling her eyes out, relieved to see that Charlotte is doing okay. The latter, on the other hand, is way too chill and even offers a bite of her meal to the crying maid. "Calm down, Mary, why are you here?" Mary takes a bite first as she begins the long story of what happened. It all began the night Charlotte was kicked out. As it happened that day, Mary was out on a shopping errand when the Marquis kicked the young miss out. Naturally, Mary was pissed about it, thinking that if this house is falling apart, then so be it. That's when the door to the Marquis's study burst open and in came Jess Nevi, Charlotte's older brother. The young lord is distressed upon discovering what happened to his younger sister. "What do you mean by kicking Charlotte out?" Jess asks his father. The older man turned, annoyed that his son started yelling as soon as he set foot in the manor. But Jess continued, saying he heard from the servants that the Marquis kicked Charlotte out because of her gift. "That's insane. How could you do this to my pure noble sister? The real disgrace is you," the younger man yells. But the Marquis fires back that Charlotte is a disgrace to the house of the Marquis. Moreover, is this how a son should speak to his father? The Marquis didn't like his son's tone, threatening the younger man with being kicked out too. But Jess doubled down, eager to throw hands, so Mary and the house butler had to stop him from attacking the Marquis. In the end, the young lord stormed out of the room, still fuming about the Marquis. "Father has lost his mind," he says, adding that it won't be long before the curse of the heavens falls upon his old man. The butler apologizes since they weren't able to do anything about it. But Jess has already decided that he'll search the forest for Charlotte himself. He believes his little sister must be on the road leading out. Unfortunately for him, the house butler reminded Jess that tomorrow morning he has an important meeting. Plus, there are official documents that need completing as well. Jess can only curse and grit his teeth, and that's when Mary asks for a day off from her duties as a maid. She will follow Charlotte herself. You see, Mary was just an orphaned girl back then, but it was Charlotte who took her hand, letting her become a maid in the Marquis' household. For Mary, Charlotte is her savior, which is why she wants to repay her mistress. She wants to save Charlotte. Jess doesn't doubt the maid's loyalty and instructs her to take the pouch that repels monsters in his room as she goes. He rummages through his coat pocket and hands Mary a small item, telling her to give that to Charlotte too. With that said, Jess says he'll count on Mary to protect his sister. That same night, Mary marches off into the woods with a lamp and a backpack, leaving the Marquise's house behind. Walking through the forest was like taking a stroll along the park. Jurassic Park, that is. Mary soon discovered how hard it was, traversing pitch-black darkness, stumbling confused as she did her best, trying to find Charlotte. Thankfully, she arrived in the city in the morning, which brings us to the present. Charlotte feels bad for her maid, already imagining the challenges she went through just to find her. Despite the one struggling, Mary is more scared about the idea that some monster may have devoured the young miss, imagining the worst-case scenario multiple times back then. But now she's glad to see that Charlotte is safe. Upon hearing that, our heroine wanted to clarify that it was the other way around. She was the one devouring the monsters. Anyway, she's curious. What did her brother give to Mary? When she heard that, the maid started rummaging through her backpack and showed Charlotte a key. A few minutes later, Charlotte couldn't believe her eyes. Pristine living area and multiple rooms on the second floor? She opens the casement window, shouting how amazing this house is. Mary had just finished bathing, saying it's Jess's summer home. Charlotte's older brother wanted Charlotte to use it. Of course, she's happy to hear that, especially since this house is too big for her to live in alone. At that, Mary goes on one knee, asking if Charlotte can hire her again as a maid in this house. Ever since they first met, even when she was just a novice maid learning the ropes, Charlotte had always been kind to her. For all Mary knows, she can never express how grateful she is to the young miss, and that she wants to stay by Charlotte's side for the rest of her life. She won't even ask for any pay. She'll work somewhere else to earn her daily bread, but before Mary can ask the big question, Charlotte already has an answer. Rejected. Mary starts bawling and bangs her forehead against the floor while Charlotte starts rummaging through her bag, saying Mary can't do that. That's when the young miss produced a gold coin. I won't let you work without pay. If you're going to work for me, you'll get a proper salary. Besides, Charlotte doesn't think she could live without Mary anymore after being with her for so long back in the Marquis's house. So this means they'll be together forever. Mary starts bawling even harder, clinging to Charlotte as she does so. While the former is crying her heart out, there's Charlotte, who enjoys ruffling Mary's hair. She can't help it. Mary's hair is so soft and silky, like a cat's. Mary quickly sits up, apologizing for her excessive crying and assuring Charlotte that she's fine now. If that's the case, our heroine suggests they go out. Charlotte is all fired up, saying they should eat something delicious, to which Mary innocently asks, "Didn't we just eat a little while ago?" Half an hour later in the forest, a scream echoes across the trees. A dreadwolf has appeared, snarling before them. "Run, milady, quick!" Mary says in a trembling voice. While she puts herself between Charlotte and the creature despite being scared, her mistress tells her not to worry. But now that she thinks about it, Mary asks why they came to the forest for food. They're the ones getting here, not the other way around. "That's not true! Monsters may look scary, but in reality, they're very weak creatures," Charlotte replies. As proof, she gives a first-hand demo, extending her hand right in front of the dreadwolf. Mary screams, and it gets even louder when she sees how the wolf's teeth fell off as soon as it bit Charlotte's hand. Suddenly, the maid is intrigued, asking her mistress what happened. It doesn't make sense at all. The poor toothless wolf also listens, shocked at its sudden loss of teeth. "Did you mean my skin is as hard as iron now?" Charlotte asks innocently. "But no, it's not that. The monsters are just weak." She raises both hands and unleashes Poochie Fire at point-blank range and Kamehameha'd the poor thing. "See?" Mary stood frozen there, pointing out that the monsters aren't weak. It's Charlotte who is the unnatural one. But her mistress insists that she's just an ordinary girl. Mary's eyes widen at the magic she sees next. Suddenly, Charlotte is holding a plate of steak. How is this possible? Her mistress explains that it's the effect of her gift, Monster Eater. Any monster she kills automatically turns into a cooked meal. Mary can't believe it, something Charlotte initially felt too the first time she experienced it. Suddenly, Charlotte remembers something. She asks Mary if she could help her for a bit, which the latter readily does. Charlotte conjures her item box and pulls a table out of the hole like a rabbit in a magician's hat. "You even brought a table and a chair?" Mary asks incredulously. She asks where it came from, so Charlotte explains this time how she learned the skill Toolbox yesterday. With this, she can store anything inside the portal, which is super convenient. As for the chairs and table, Charlotte actually pulled those from the summer house a while ago. Our girl already had an inkling that she would be eating monster meat later. "See? There's no need to fear the forest, Mary. Now say ah!" "Charlotte," she tells her. But no sooner had the meat come in close contact with Mary's mouth than it suddenly disintegrated. Well, it looks like that's how it is with Charlotte's gift. No one can eat it except her. "New discovery, sorry, Mary," she says nonchalantly, while Mary can only sit there and watch the young miss feast on the steak. She starts eating it vigorously before the meat gets cold. As soon as she finished her meal, there it was again, the ringing in her ears. aka the voice informing Charlotte that she had leveled up. This time, the voice says that on top of her level increasing, she also gained a permanent skill, sensing. Level 6 has evolved to level 7. Charlotte quickly sits up, looking curiously around her. She quickly shoves the table and chairs inside the toolbox and tells Mary they need to move now. Of course, Mary is curious, asking what it is. They start walking as Charlotte explains that her senses sharpen more and more every time she eats monster meat, thanks to her skill. She can even pinpoint their exact location now. Mary is amazed, and no sooner had she said that than Charlotte finally discovered the thing she had been sensing. She squats right next to a fairy ring. They're mushrooms. Looking at them like this, Charlotte notes how they were so small, but she just knows they're a different kind since she has never sensed an aura like theirs before. Mary looks at them curiously, asking if those are really monsters because they look just like ordinary mushrooms. Charlotte leans closer to inspect them. Mary's right, they don't look like monsters at all, but there's definitely some strange energy in them. At times like this, it's best to pull that thing out. Charlotte conjures her toolbox again and pulls the monster encyclopedia she bought from the guild. Thanks to this book, she can identify any monster no matter what. Charlotte starts flipping through the pages until she finally finds them. They're called Mandragora, a mushroom-type monster. They're classified as monsters, but they don't move. According to the book, they're very rare and hard to find. The Mandragora has many medical benefits and sells for 20 gold coins each. Mary's eyes twinkle. She likes the sound of that. Suddenly, she grabs one of the Mandragora, excited because they're going to make a fortune. As she was about to pull one, Charlotte told her to wait and continued reading. When uprooted, it lets out a scream, and any human who hears it loses their mind and dies. So they're like mandrakes? Mary has never moved her hand away that fast in life, afraid for her life. Charlotte, on the other hand, discovers that the only way to eat it is to uproot it. Because the Mandragora is poisonous in its current state, the poison will only dissolve and become safe to eat if its full body is exposed to sunlight after uprooting. Eh? Mary points out that if they only eat the visible part without uprooting, then they'll die from the poison instantly. And if they uproot it, they'll die from its scream. It's a lose-lose situation. Mary starts to stress because this monster is so complicated. No wonder it sells for 20 gold coins. Charlotte closes her book and says she'll try something. She'll see if she can cook it with magic directly before uprooting it. She Poochie fires the mushroom, but alas, the Mandragora turned into charcoal. She sighs because as long as the mushroom's poison is in effect, her gift can't cook it. Mary asks if Charlotte can use any other magic, with the latter saying she only knows Poochie fire and Poochie ice. She's just an ordinary daughter of a marquise, you know? The two sit together in silence as Charlotte admits that this Mandragora is pretty tough, which just makes her want it more. Charlotte is determined to eat this monster no matter what. Meanwhile, Mary is fueled by her intent to sell it and turn it into gold no matter what. The Mandragora monster. The scream it lets out when uprooted kills whoever hears it, and if it's eaten without uprooting, its poison kills whoever consumes it. It really is a rare and troublesome monster. As hopeless as it sounds, there are actually two safe ways to capture it. First, you uproot it, and then within 0.01 seconds, it must be destroyed. If it's done within that extremely short time, the scream can be avoided. The other way to capture it is to tie a rope to a well-trained dog, move far away, then call the dog to pull it out. That way, the Mandragora can be captured safely. But as for the dog, Charlotte and Mary couldn't finish the entry. They can't do that to a dog, that's just way too cruel. Well, Charlotte has searched the encyclopedia for a safe way to capture it, but she just can't do that to a dog. Mary adds that even the first method is way too hard for them. They have to uproot and destroy it within seconds? Impossible. They're starting to feel hopeless. Charlotte hangs her head low, sad because she wanted to eat the mushroom. Mary tries to cheer her up. They're sure to come up with a new plan and take revenge on the Mandragora. There might be other mushroom monsters. Mary wants to see them. At the mention of other mushroom monsters, Charlotte looks to her right. They look just like that creature over there. She finally smiles while Mary pales. Huh? What in the dungeon, Meshi? Charlotte even finds the monster adorable, walking clumsily like that. Mary sticks to her like glue, grossed out by the walking mushroom monster. Eh? But didn't she just say a while ago that she wanted to see other mushroom monsters? Looks like Mary had already changed her mind, huh? I changed my mind! There, she said it! Charlotte explains that this monster is called a matango. It paralyzes anyone who comes near using paralyzing spores, then grows mushrooms in them. Just hearing that made Mary's skin crawl. She tries to pull Charlotte away, saying they should run away, but Charlotte just Poochie fired the creature. The next moment, she's pulling the chair and table out of the toolbox again, excited to have a small meal. Mary's taken aback at how the young miss is astonishingly brave, while Charlotte's attention is solely focused on the dish before her. Butter-fried mushrooms. She takes the plate in her hands, noting how heavy it is, and takes the first bite. So delicious. She cries aloud, as if we've ever seen her not enjoy any monster meat she has eaten so far. The mushrooms have a pretty firm texture coated with delicious roasted butter. You know, when it comes to mushrooms, they're usually used as a garnish or as an ingredient in sauces. Simply put, they're basically seen as just a side ingredient. But gobbling these tasty mushrooms right now, Charlotte knows they're a true main dish with how delicious they are. Mary can only watch in awe as the young miss eats. Even if it's a monster, seeing Charlotte eat it made it look super appetizing. Charlotte feels bad about the way Mary can only watch while she eats, which is why she thinks they also need to find monsters that she can eat too. By eating the monster, your level has increased, the voice tells Charlotte. This time it told her that she also has acquired the spell, Paralyze. Charlotte immediately gets up from her seat. Hooray, she beams because she can finally use magic now. For the first time, she liked what she heard because usually the voices she hears say meaningless things, at least for her. We all know what her skills do. Mary shares her excitement, asking what kind of magic it is. Before she can explain, a dreadwolf appears out of the bushes and approaches them. Perfect. Now she can just show Mary what her new skill is. Paralyze! A wisp of smoke emits from her hands, and as soon as the wolf came in contact with it, it dropped to the ground like a rock. Oh, so it literally paralyzes. Charlotte thinks that it's a spell that releases yellow smoke and causes paralysis. She used Poochie Fire on the wolf and had a little meal again while Mary watched with a watering mouth. Wait a minute, if they use Paralyze on the Mandragora before uprooting it, then they can pull it out without it screaming, right? Mary finds this brilliant and suggests they try it right away. Charlotte stands next to the Mandragora, hovering her hands over them as she unleashes Paralyze on a pair of mushrooms. Both of them grab a piece and on the count of 3 pull it off the ground. It didn't scream, Mary happily says. Plus, the Mandragora's color changed because of the sunlight. The poison has come out. Both ladies high-fived for successfully defeating the Mandragora. All right, it's time to get to work. Mary already has a knife in her hand as she intends to cut it and take it with them. As for the one in Charlotte's hands, you already know it. Poochie Fire incinerated the lone mushroom, which turned into a small plate of fried mushrooms. The portion is a bit smaller than the others she's had so far, but it doesn't decrease Charlotte's interest in the dish. She hurriedly takes a bite, excited for its taste. To our surprise, she doesn't fawn over this one like the others. Huh? She chews thoroughly before Mary asks how it tasted. Well, it tasted very ordinary, according to Charlotte's taste buds. Sure, the texture is super soft and chewy, and it's tasty. Ah, Charlotte finally places a dish similar to this. It tastes exactly like the mushrooms her mother used as appetizers in her dishes. Mary feels bad, commenting that if a chef heard that, he'd cry. Anyway, Charlotte puts the tableware away again and says the next time she finds another Mandragora, she'll just catch it and sell it. By eating the monster, your level has increased. Rare Monster Mandragora Devouring Bonus. You've acquired the rare permanent skill, Complete Immunity to Status Effects. The voice in Charlotte's ear announces. She can only frown because she has no idea what it's saying. Just then she hears rustling, and before she or Mary can do anything, a rabbit-like creature runs past their feet. What is that? Charlotte has never seen anything like it. But Mary knows what it is. It's a jackalope. It's a rabbit with deer antlers. It's considered a mythical monster, and according to legend, whoever catches it will be blessed with luck. Legendary? Did she say legendary? That's the only word Charlotte zeroed in on. Mary, on the other hand, is feeling giddy just by seeing it, because it was still considered good luck. She just didn't expect it to be that fast. With the speed of her current spells, she won't be able to hit it. Then here's Charlotte, all fired up because finally, a legendary monster. Her curiosity is sparked, wondering what a monster like that will taste like. This alarms Mary. "Milady, are you planning to kill the jackalope? That's crazy," she asks. Charlotte does know that it is crazy, but the thing is, she believes that the food they eat after overcoming hardships has to taste even better. The maid is shocked at how easily her mistress bounced back from the taste of the tender and cold Mandragora. And yet Charlotte's eyes are filled with resolve. As her maid, of course, Mary will also help. She suggests they come up with a plan to take on the speedy monster. Charlotte couldn't be more thankful. She feels like the jackalope's energy is now about 1 kilometer away. It reached that far in an instant. Mary is amazed that Charlotte can sense monster energy like that. Now, if only the jackalope would pass by them again like before. But with that speed, hitting it with magic is really hard. That's when Charlotte notices something strange on the ground. She kneels right next to it, seeing how the jackalope's trail is clear. The grass is unnaturally bent. Mary explains that the path is called a monster trail. When an animal passes through an area often, the grass bends or withers, thus creating a path. She adds that there may be a good chance the jackalope will pass through here again. Wait a minute, that's it. Charlotte has an idea, so she turns to Mary asking for help. After 5 minutes, somewhere in the forest, the little jackalope is munching on grass when it hears a scream from behind. Mary appears with her hands up, chasing the little runt. "I'll eat you now," she says. So what exactly was their plan? Well, Charlotte wants Mary to chase the jackalope, but the latter points out that there's no way she could catch up to the monster. "It's fine if you can't catch up, I just want you to chase it from behind and guide the jackalope towards the monster trail," Charlotte says. True enough, the jackalope returns to its usual trail while Charlotte waits on the other end. She's getting excited because she can feel the energy getting closer, while the jackalope is too focused on running away. That's when the little runt slipped. Charlotte actually Poochie iced the ground, and because the jackalope was busy running, it failed to notice it. But that's not all. In the air, Charlotte also unleashed smoke from the paralyze spell. The jackalope fell to the ground with a thud. Its slowed movement gave Charlotte the chance to Poochie fire the monster. Charlotte blasted the jackalope with fire magic, instantly killing it. Yes, she actually did it. The usual poof sounded, signaling that the monster had turned into a dish. To her amazement, it turned into a delicious soup. Charlotte takes the bowl in her hands, smelling its savory aroma. But this time, Charlotte didn't want to pull out the tableware out of excitement so she could taste it right away. She dunks her spoon in the soup, and after blowing it a little, she finally takes a bite. It's back! Charlotte's excited face is back. The dish is so delicious. The jackalope meat is so tender and it's soft like silk. This is totally different from those juicy steaks she had before because it gently melts in her mouth. Charlotte continues to eat heartily, thinking that she could eat multiple plates of this and never get tired of it. She savors the meal because this is the luck the jackalope brought her, an endless appetite. By eating the monster, your level has increased. Rare monster, jackalope, devouring bonus. You've acquired the rare permanent skill resistance to all magic. Charlotte can only smile because again, she doesn't understand what it all means. Be that as it may, at least she's satisfied with her monster meal. Mary appears, panting and asking how the young mistress was feeling. Charlotte immediately hugs her maid, thanking her because they achieved overwhelming success. Mary is glad to hear that when her eyes shift to the smoky forest yonder. "Why is everything there completely yellow?" she asks, panicked. It's practically the forest of paralysis at this point. Mary asks her mistress how many times she used the paralyze spell. Looking at her work, Charlotte lost count and used it way too many times. In her defense, she didn't want to fail. "Still, wasn't it dangerous for you to stay in all that smoke?" Mary asks. Charlotte assures her that she's totally fine, so the former thinks that maybe the spell doesn't affect the young miss. Well, that's not the reason. It's actually because of the skill Charlotte obtained when she caught the mandragora. Complete immunity to status effects. Because of that, Charlotte avoided paralysis even while surrounded by thick paralyzed smoke. Then, by catching the jackalope, Charlotte gained a new skill, resistance to all magic. This skill reduces the effects of all magical attacks by half. So far, Charlotte has an automatic counter that reflects physical attacks, immunity to status effects, and magic resistance. After eating just 5 monsters in this single meal, she reached level 39. Our heroine is now very close to being considered invincible, but even she hasn't realized how strong and grown she has become. Satisfied with everything they did that day, Charlotte says they should return to the city and sell the mandragora. Plus, they need to start preparing for the new life celebration party. Mary agrees and even promises to prepare a luxurious feast. Even though Charlotte had just eaten, she was already brimming with excitement at that again. While Charlotte is having the time of her life eating monsters back at her old home, the Marquis Nevi's mansion, her father lies bedridden, thinking about Ozis's ultimatum of execution to him. Suddenly, the door to his chambers bursts open as one of the maids informs him that reports of a lady resembling Charlotte have been seen in the city. What's more, Jess also delivered the key to the villa in the city. The Marquis bolted upright when he heard this. Suddenly, he's up on his feet, putting his coat on, saying he'll head to where Charlotte is immediately. Meanwhile, at Charlotte's new home, aka her older brother's villa, our heroine stares lovingly at Mary, specifically at the dish the latter is holding. Tonight's dessert is pancakes. Charlotte stares starry-eyed at the pancakes, thanking Mary for her efforts. Even the decoration and plating of the pancakes are so luxurious. She slices a small piece to finally have a taste and, it's that familiar delicious taste. It's sweet and wonderful, so fluffy that she almost wants to wrap herself in it. It's really delicious. Seeing how happy the young miss is, Mary offers to make more, which Charlotte takes her up on. Still, Mary finds it surprising that even though the young miss would prefer her pancakes, Charlotte could have bought any dessert from the city with the money she got from selling the mandragora to the pharmacy. "The only dessert I want is Mary's pancakes." That's what our heroine told her personal maid. For Charlotte, she doesn't find it strange at all. After all, she loves the pancakes Mary makes. For her, there is no dessert better than these pancakes. She even went as far as to say she can't live without them. Mary was so touched by the young miss's words that she started beating the batter more furiously, promising to make the pancakes tomorrow and the day after too. Just then, they hear the doorbell ring. Who could it be? Charlotte wonders. Mary offers to check who it is, but the young miss urges Mary to continue baking the pancakes. She'll check who it was instead. At least Charlotte is careful enough to put the chain on before opening the door, because as soon as she cracked it open, there's Marquis Nevis, desperately telling Charlotte to return to the Marquise's mansion. It's like a scene from The Shining. That poor Charlotte let out a scream. "What? Father?" Our heroine didn't expect to see the Nevi patriarch on her doorstep while the Marquis desperately tells her to return home, promising he won't kick her out anymore. Okay, that sounds fishy. Charlotte reminds her father of how he told her how much he hated her gift. What changed all of a sudden? Instead of answering her, the Marquis reiterated what he said before. "Just return at once." Her father's intense face shoved at the crack of her door is scaring her. Why does he look so determined now? Wait, could it be? Charlotte thinks maybe her father feels lonely after she left. Tee-hee. Who would have thought her father actually has a sweet side? Touched and happy as she is at that thought, Charlotte explicitly tells him that she will not return to the family mansion. Her answer made the Nevi Marquis panic even more. "Why not?" he asked. Well, it's because Charlotte is very content with her life right now, so she doesn't see any reason why she should return. From the kitchen, Mary starts to get worried because her mistress sure is taking a long time at the front door. This time, the Marquis tries to reason with money. What about money? Surely Charlotte can't live without that. Too bad for him. Charlotte's quite loaded right now thanks to the Mandragora. But she didn't elaborate on that, saying she won't be facing any financial trouble for a long while. With that, she closed the door on his face before the Marquis could even say or do anything. Charlotte returns to the table just as Mary approaches and asks if she's fine with what she just did. Of course she is. Even if Charlotte returned to the family mansion, she already knows she'll be forced to do this and that, living under constant restrictions. Even at 15, Charlotte already knows that she'll be forced into a political marriage. With all things considered, living here freely in her older brother's summer villa with Mary is the best for her. Ever the supporter, of course, Mary also prefers whatever makes the young miss happy. While the two are happy, there's the Marquis, who continues to stand frozen outside, shocked at this unexpected turn of events. The next day, the Marquis is at Charlotte's door again. This time, his bribe is a wonderful marriage proposal. Before the Nevi patriarch could say who the groom is, Charlotte shuts him down and says she's not interested in marrying any man. Food is far more important to her. She slams the door again in his face, but the older man is relentless. I mean, I would too if my neck were on the line. The following day, the Marquis tries to butter up to her by bringing her favorite pancakes. Doesn't she want to come home to the family mansion now? Too bad for him, Charlotte's already satisfied with pancakes thanks to Mary's cooking. Yet the older man returns on the third day with a picture book in hand. "Daddy will read you a picture book." "I don't want that," was her hard reply. And even on the next day, the Marquis cannot be stopped. This time he's on his final plan. With a mallet in hand, he'll just break down the door and bring her back no matter what. The maids try to stop him, but with his neck on the line, the Marquis silences them. This is about his reputation. Besides, if Charlotte isn't back at home, even the royal engagement will collapse, he says. Before he can smash the door open, someone rushes over and grabs the older man's arm mid-air. "Hello, Marquis," Ozus greets him calmly. The older man is taken aback at the prince's sudden appearance, while the latter thanks him for informing him that Charlotte is doing well. "As long as she's living happily, that's enough for me," Ozus says. Furthermore, the prince withdraws her request to bring Charlotte back to the family mansion. Well, that may be so, but the Marquis is more interested in the engagement. What of that now? Instead of answering him, Ozus puts more pressure on the older man with his next question. "By the way, Lady Charlotte wishes to live in the villa, correct?" The Marquis says that it is correct and takes it as his cue to leave. As Ozus watches the Marquis's carriage ride away, he can't help but think about how he caused Charlotte trouble when he asked the Marquis to bring her back to the family mansion. Sebas comes running, asking if His Highness will now take the next step through a marriage proposal. Oh god, that! Ozus almost jumps out of his skin when he remembers that. He puts his hand over his chest and already has an excuse ready. He can't do that right now because he just got back from a mission and his clothes are dirty. Plus, Charlotte may be busy right now, so for today he's determined to just invite her out for a simple outing. Sebas and the prince's bodyguard can't believe it. His Highness really lowered the level of obstacle today. There was a knock on Charlotte's door, and this time she's fed up. She marches with a broom in hand, Mary trailing behind her because she knows it's her father again. She's annoyed now at how persistent the older man is. As soon as she opens the door, Charlotte lets him have it with a broom. "Enough, father, I told you I won't come back." But when they hear a different voice on the receiving end of her blow, Charlotte can't believe it's His Highness Ozus. As for the prince, thank God he caught the broom before it hit him. Charlotte hides the broom behind her back, greeting the prince, trying to treat him better. "It's been a while, Your Highness. What brings you here?" Ozus starts to stutter, explaining that he asked the Marquis where she was. But deep inside, Ozus can barely contain himself, seeing how beautiful she is. Charlotte continues their conversation. "Through my father?" she asks. Ozus confirms that it is so, then clears his throat before telling our heroine, "Today the weather is nice, isn't it?" Sebas is already panicking on behalf of the young prince. Why is His Highness talking about the weather now of all times? Plus, it's cloudy today. At least Charlotte is nice enough to go along, but she can't help but wonder if what he's trying to tell her is that cloudy weather has its charm too. As if that wasn't bad enough, Ozus repeats the same sentence word for word, until Charlotte points out that he said it again. This time she wonders if he likes cloudy weather. This interaction of theirs reminds Charlotte of the past. Now that she remembers it, His Highness Ozus, her childhood friend, has always been like this. They say he's a brilliant and unique person, but ever since they were kids, he has kept bringing up the weather whenever he gets the chance. As far as she remembers, the number of topics he talks about is really limited, and she can't help but worry for him as his childhood friend. Charlotte finally puts the broom down, thinking that Ozus is still as eccentric as ever. Meanwhile, from the back, Sebas tries to cheer His Highness through telepathy. "Take a deep breath," the older man communicates using his mind. Thankfully, Ozus seems to have gotten the message as he takes a deep breath, thanking the butler for his assistance. But the gesture he just made him look weird in Charlotte's eyes, clutching his chest like that. Alright, he got this. Charlotte notices how the prince suddenly looks energetic. She finds his personality pretty entertaining. Ozus reaches for something in his pocket and produces 2 tickets, handing them to Charlotte. "I have a ticket left for an opera that'll be showing in the city soon if you'd like," he says smoothly. Charlotte beams, excited at the idea of watching opera. From the back, Sebas is close to squealing because His Highness did a strong start. A date at the opera. It's brilliant. Charlotte asks Ozus if he'll give it to her, and the latter readily says, "Yes." Charlotte clutches both of his hands in hers, thanking her for them, and it was enough to send him to overdrive. "Ah, she touched my finger." Sebas feels secondhand embarrassment seeing the prince act like that, all because she touched his finger? Unbelievable. Since Charlotte already has the tickets in her hands, she tells Ozus that she'll go with Mary. Oh no, the young miss failed to realize that the prince was asking her for a date. Poor Sebas is on the brink of a breakdown, seeing that the young prince's invitation failed. But hey, at least Charlotte tries to extend their conversation. Since he's already in front of her, she can't help but bring up how she hasn't seen him in a while. His hair has gotten so much longer too. Ozus asks if she really thinks so, and Charlotte affirms. From what she remembers, it wasn't long enough to tie before. He feels touched that she still remembers that, so he asks her if she prefers long hair or short hair. Charlotte stands frozen because if she can just say what she wants to say, she absolutely doesn't care. Our heroine has no interest at all in men's hairstyles, but of course, saying that out loud would sound so rude, right? She ponders for a bit, thinking that both are fine, but if she has to choose, Charlotte tells him that she prefers short hair. Probably. Ozus smiles, and then, all of a sudden, he unsheathes his sword and starts cutting his ponytail right then and there. Sebas dashes straight to the young prince, while the latter orders his butler to bring him a razor. Ozus intends to shave his entire head right now. Poor Sebas is tasked to stop His Highness because women across the kingdom will cry if he does that. But no, Ozus is hell-bent on doing it. If possible, he'll get the shortest haircut in history, while Charlotte watches dumbstruck at what's happening before her. At least she tries to offer help, even if she's the main reason for this whole fiasco, asking if she should bring Ozus a mirror. Ozus tells her not to worry, while Sebas and another guard have restrained the prince. More knights join them, with Sebas ordering them to hold the prince down, scared that there won't be any hair left on Ozus's head. As for Charlotte herself, she goes back inside, wondering what was happening. Anyway, she goes straight to Mary, excited to show the opera tickets she got from Prince Ozus. She says they should see it together, while Mary's a little taken aback. "Isn't that a date invitation?" she asks Charlotte, but our heroine's attention is already on Mary's pancakes. The maid can only smile at Charlotte because no matter what, food seems more important to the young miss than the prince himself. And so, the Marquis has finally stopped trying to bring Charlotte back to the Nevi mansion. But just when she thought peaceful days would finally begin, a huge disaster struck. At Charlotte's favorite adventurers guild, she can't believe a huge catastrophe has unfolded before her. With shaking knees, she laments the lack of lettuce in her sandwich. By the way, today's sandwich is smoked meat, egg lettuce, and no lettuce. The chef apologizes to Charlotte, saying they can't provide lettuce right now because of supply issues, but he did try to make it up by adding an extra meat slice instead. Charlotte takes her plate and thanks him, but in her mind, she's crashing out. In a sandwich, the harmony of the ingredients is everything. Without the lettuce, the perfect balance falls apart. So, just like that, she eats her sandwich tearfully, sad that there's no lettuce. It's still delicious though. Just then, the receptionist sees her sorrowful state, asking if she's okay. She heard Charlotte scream all the way to the front desk and apologized for the lack of lettuce in their menu. As for Charlotte, she just couldn't contain the shock of a lettuceless sandwich, asking why they have no supply of the crunchy vegetable. That's when the front desk lady reveals that monsters have been damaging the farm they get their lettuce from. As a result, it has become difficult to supply not just lettuce but other vegetables as well. To make matters worse, the farmer doesn't have enough money to issue a monster extermination request, so the damage to the farm keeps getting worse. At the mention of farms being attacked, Charlotte's cowlick perks up. This is getting serious. She takes a bite of her lettuceless sandwich and has decided she'll take the quest to defeat the monsters at the lettuce farm herself. The receptionist follows Charlotte, who is determined to tackle the root of this lack of lettuce issue once and for all. Are you really going to get rid of the pests in the field? She reminded Charlotte again that without an official extermination request, she wouldn't reap any rewards. That's practically free labor. It's okay, Charlotte replies, because for a foodie like our heroine, eating a sandwich with lettuce is the best reward possible for her. With that, she dashed straight to where the problem is, leaving the receptionist puzzled at what she just said. A lettuce sandwich as a reward? Just like that, we find ourselves at the vegetable field on the outskirts of the city. Right now, Charlotte is having tea as the girl before her laments at the trouble they're facing. This girl actually works here. In fact, her parents are the farm owners. She goes on to detail how a large number of monsters have appeared and ruined everything so badly that they can't work anymore. Our Charlotte nods in all seriousness, urging her to continue, as the girl adds that they don't have the money to request an extermination campaign since most of their budget was allocated to the repairs needed for the recent storm damage they suffered. It's one misfortune after another. The girl worries that if this keeps up, the people may suffer from malnutrition, given how their produce is eaten by city residents in many places. Charlotte couldn't agree more. This truly is a serious crisis. Personally speaking, our girl already suffers from severe lettuce deficiency. Of course, the farmer's daughter tried to solve this problem on their own, but alas, they failed. What's even worse is that today, her parents are out looking for someone who might help them get rid of the monsters. But as expected, it's hard to find someone who's willing to work for free. Nobody wants to do free labor under capitalism, save for our girl, and that's because of personal reasons. Did you say your name is Charlotte? Is it really okay to ask for your help for free? The farmer's daughter asks. Of course. Charlotte puts her cup down, proclaiming how much she loves the vegetables from this field. So much that she's willing to help them. The girl almost cried tears of joy upon hearing our heroine say that. She takes both of Charlotte's hands into hers and shakes them furiously, thanking the latter as she does so. I'll help too, so please tell me if you need anything. Charlotte is pleased to hear that, and just as the girl is about to invite her to see the field, she notices Charlotte's elegant clothing. She tells Charlotte that her clothes are too fancy for the job. Cut to 20 minutes later, we see Charlotte in local farm gear, excited as she asks if it's really okay for her to borrow those clothes. The girl also packed Charlotte's clothes, feeling bad in case they might get dirty in the process. With her outfit settled, the girl leads her out the door as they head to the field. But just as Charlotte asks what kind of monster they were dealing with, the farmer's daughter yells in distress, "There it is, over there!" She points to the culprit, the large rabbit. Our girl hurries over to the fence to get a better look at it, claiming, "It's a big, cute rabbit." But her client thinks otherwise, distraught at how the monster broke the fence. For a moment, the large rabbit and Charlotte lock eyes, with the latter taking it as an invitation for her to pet the rabbit. But to be fair, when Charlotte first heard that a monster was ruining the fields, she expected it to be something really fierce. But this one is way too cute. She walks right up to the large rabbit, asking if it could give the lettuce back. She had just told the fuzzy monster that without the lettuce, the sandwich wouldn't be complete. But the large rabbit turns away and makes a break for it. It turned with so much force that dirt and soil flew straight to Charlotte's face as the rabbit zoomed with such speed, breaking through another part of the fence. It landed with a crash but soon found its footing before looking at Charlotte as it bit through the lettuce with a sinister look. Charlotte is left speechless while the girl tells her that even though the large rabbit is huge, it moves pretty fast, which makes it hard for them to catch it. But that's not all. Several large rabbits start popping out of the ground as Charlotte soon realizes that there are so many of them. The farm girl panics, seeing how the monsters have multiplied yet again. Meanwhile, Charlotte is mumbling about her dear lettuce. Did she just call those creatures cute earlier? She takes it back, they're disgusting and she can't stand those pests. "I'll turn every single one of you into meat pies, no exception," she proclaims while pointing at the fuzzy monsters. Suddenly, another one appears and zooms past them. But this time, Charlotte is determined to catch it. "Poochie fire!" Her blazing firepower chased the rabbit, leaving it scurrying faster away from her. Oh no, she fired without thinking. Darn, it's hard to hit a fast monster like that. Meanwhile, the farm girl is fawning over our girl because of what incredible magical power this young miss has. But Charlotte has bigger problems to deal with. Because of the sound of her magic, the large rabbits got scared and started to retreat to the hill. Wait a minute, what is that hill anyway? Charlotte, she asks her. The latter answers that it's the den of the large rabbits. Even if they dig the openings, the little runts dig them open again quickly, and it's probably full of tunnels inside. Now that Charlotte remembers, the rabbits did come out of multiple different places earlier. Since the rabbits are all gathered in their den now, She thinks it's best to take advantage of this chance. While she was busy pondering over what to do, the farmer's daughter looked at our heroine starry-eyed. "What is it? Are you still nervous?" Charlotte asks and mirrors the other's energy. "Charlotte's magic was really powerful. I didn't know you were someone this strong," she excitedly tells the former. Ever so humble and clueless about her own powers, Charlotte tells her that's not the case at all. She's totally ordinary. In fact, she only knows a handful of spells: Poochie Fire, Poochie Ice, and Paralyze. Wait, that's it. Charlotte remembers that she has another useful skill besides magic. With that, she claims that she found the perfect solution to this problem. Charlotte approaches the opening of the rabbit hill and casts Poochie Ice multiple times, sealing all the openings. Soon enough, she sealed all the holes with ice. But the farmer's daughter sees that there was one hole left untouched, while our heroine runs over the hill and unleashes Poochie Fire this time. The blaze was so powerful that even the rabbits were shaken by her explosive power. Now Charlotte knows that the large rabbits inside are startled, so they're going to start hopping out through the only opening left. True to her claim, the first rabbit rushes out of the hole, but Charlotte is ready for it and conjures her item box. The rabbit runs straight to it, quickly followed by the others. "That's amazing, Miss Charlotte," the farmer's daughter watches in awe. Sure, this may not be magic, but the item box is definitely a useful skill since it can also store monsters. Charlotte also watches in amusement as the rabbits are being sucked inside the hole one by one. Just looking at this is soothing for her. She can watch this forever. Who knew pest extermination could be this fun? As soon as the last rabbit runs straight to the hole, Charlotte closes her item box. Since there is no trace of the large rabbits anymore, she happily tells the farmer's daughter that all the fuzzy monsters are already in the item box. "Thank you so much, Miss Charlotte." The latter grabs her hand, smiling with tears in her eyes. Our heroine truly saved them. She promises to bring vegetables next time and that she'll come and thank Charlotte personally. As for the rabbits, she tells Charlotte that she can keep them all and do with them as she wishes. Hearing that leaves Charlotte stunned. "Really? Is that possible?" she asks cautiously. The girl says, "Of course." She even suggests to our girl to use them as materials for the guild, or even better, they can also be turned into delicious meat pie. Now that's what Charlotte's all about. Before our girl can even say anything, the farmer's daughter is already hurrying off since she needs to get back to the field right away. She bids Charlotte goodbye and tells her to just leave the work clothes at the door. Ever so respectful, Charlotte says she'll just wash it and return it later, then waves back at the former, wishing her good luck. Now left to her own devices, Charlotte can't believe it. She actually caught the giant rabbits. She didn't have an exact count of them, but she believes there must be over 30 rabbits inside the item box. This could only mean one thing. They're going to have a rabbit meat feast. From rabbit steak to meat pie and rabbit soup. Just the thought of that is making her salivate and hungry. She almost doubles over thinking of the 30 rabbits before opening up her item box. Since there are 30 rabbits, it's time for a little taste. Like a magician, she pops a rabbit out of the hole and then instantly Poochie fired the poor fellow. A moment later, Charlotte is looking at a very sumptuous whole roasted rabbit. As for the others, she'll have to ask Mary to make a meat pie since the latter can cook anything. But for the roasted rabbit, Charlotte is already seated, excited to try the taste of this new dish. She slices a chunk off the rabbit and takes a bite. "So delicious," she cries. The meat is incredibly tender, and every time she cuts into it, a rich aroma fills the air. What's more, she can also taste the fresh vegetables the rabbit had been munching on. All the flavors and nutrition are concentrated in this meat, and Charlotte can't help but devour it greedily. Before long, she cleared the plate. "One more bite," she says as she opens up the item box again to get another rabbit. "As a result of eating the monster, your level has increased. Skill obtained. Auto heal giant rabbit devour bonus," the voice in her ears said, leaving Charlotte startled. She grabs her ears and shakes her head. Thanks to the voice, her consciousness snapped back to reality. Seriously, it was dangerous. With that said, Charlotte plans to finish eating at home instead. Later that night, Mary's voice rings clear in the summer villa. "I'm finished. Rabbit meat stew, rabbit meat soup, and rabbit meat pie," she proudly announces as she shows off the dishes she cooked. It really is a rabbit meat party. Charlotte couldn't be happier, seeing how everything looks so delicious. As expected of Mary, she suggests they start eating right away, and Mary agrees. The latter cuts off a piece of pie for herself and Charlotte, and after serving the young miss, she slices a forkful on her own plate. Mary blows on it and finally takes a bite. "It's so hot and tasty," she cries out in delight. She's so happy to eat such delicious food, most especially since the rabbit Charlotte caught tastes so amazing. The latter is pleased to see her enjoying the food a lot, but to be fair, Mary's cooking is truly amazing. The crust is crispy, and the meat is packed and scattered inside. There are a lot of it, making each bite so delicious and savory. Charlotte tells her that it's the perfect meat pie she was looking for. It pleases Mary to hear that. As a maid, she has never had the chance to eat her fill of meat before, so to be able to eat as much as she wants is like a dream for her. Charlotte urges her to eat as much as she likes. After all, they have more rabbits than they can eat. Or do they? For now, yes, but who knows? Given Charlotte's appetite. Our girl caught way too many rabbits in the field, so she decided to distribute some of them to the farmers later on. She used her paralyze so the farmers could handle the little runts easily, and they couldn't be more grateful. Despite distributing the rabbits, Charlotte is still left with 20 rabbits. As she munches on her food, she looks at Mary, glad that her maid enjoys the food. At last, she finally had the chance to feed Mary monster meat too. Charlotte was so deep in thought that she didn't realize how much she had eaten, and that's when she realized something. She shouldn't overdo it. Even though they have a lot of food and rabbits left, if she eats more then there won't be anything left for Mary. Mary has eaten half the pie and Charlotte only had a piece, but okay. As she munches on her food, Charlotte thinks that this is not enough at all. After eating everything on the table, she feels like she wants Mary to cook even more. But no matter, Charlotte can prepare the food by herself, so it's fine. She gets up from her seat and tells Mary that she'll head to the garden for a bit and turn one of the monsters into a delicious dish. "Don't worry about me, continue your meal comfortably," she tells her maid. Thankfully, Mary is aware of her gift quirks, so she lets the young miss be. Charlotte makes her way outside, thinking that when she added what she got from the field, this became the second dish of fully roasted rabbit. She tells herself that she has to be careful not to overeat. But today is special because she ate monsters with Mary. So I think it's okay to spoil myself today. Isn't that what she always says anyway? It's like every day is cheat day for her. Charlotte already pulled out the tableware and one rabbit out of the item box and cooked it with her magic. She tells herself that it's okay to have 2 dishes since they're tasty. But in the blink of an eye, Charlotte already devoured it. As she wipes her mouth with a napkin, she opens the item box again, wondering what it's like inside. What if the rabbit is suffering inside? She wonders. That would be terrible. I have to get it out quickly and devour it. I must eat it. She even tries to justify what she's about to do, telling herself that she's not doing it because she wants to, but because she needs to. And yeah, she keeps telling herself that as she eats through the 3rd up to the 10th rabbit. Due to eating monsters, your level has increased. Bonus for devouring the giant rabbit. The auto-heal skill has evolved to level 10, the ringing in her ears said. Anyway, Charlotte has eaten 10 whole rabbits, but who cares? At least she's completely satisfied. Of course, she can still eat, but 10 is a nice and round number, so with that, she puts away the tableware. Mary appears just in time, calling out to her. The latter tells Charlotte of her plan to turn the leftover meat into jerky when suddenly she tripped. Kya! Our heroine hears Mary's cry of pain and sees that the latter has bruised her palm when she fell. Charlotte walks over to her while Mary remains slumped on the ground. Our heroine checks the injury and volunteers to get the first aid kit when, to both their surprise, Mary's wound instantly heals. "It's healed, I don't feel any pain." In response, Charlotte asks her when she got a gift that heals wounds. That's pretty amazing. Mary doesn't think this is her own doing. After all, she's still 14 years old, so she hasn't received any gift yet. But when the young miss came near her, Mary felt the wound heal, so maybe the latter has the ability to heal those around her, no? Charlotte dismisses the idea entirely, saying, "I don't have such an incredible ability. I'm not some chosen heroine or anything like that." She did in fact have it. Charlotte's auto-heal is level 10, and this skill creates a continuous healing effect on her and those nearby. Several days later, at the Adventurers Guild, the majority were surprised to see lettuce back in their dishes. "Has it become edible again?" they ask. One of the adventurers remembers that the vegetable fields were completely destroyed, and another adds how he heard that a huge number of monsters appeared out of nowhere. They continue chatting, remembering how the farm owners didn't have the budget to request a cleanup mission. So does this mean they finally put in a request this time? "No," someone answers and joins their conversation. It was the receptionist. She tells them that the monsters were wiped out for free. "For free?" they echo in unison. "In this economy?" The adventurers couldn't believe what they just heard, asking who did that. Wait, it couldn't be? Yes, it was the heroine of the city, Miss Charlotte. Suddenly, the guild turns into a worship venue for our heroine. The adventurers crowd around the receptionist, eager to know how the young miss saved them again. "Tell us the details, miss," they ask the ever-so-eager-to-narrate lady. Of course, she's more than happy to do so. So one morning, she told them that Charlotte noticed something odd in the Adventurer Guild's sandwich. It was lettuceless. Once she found out what happened to the lettuce in the fields, the receptionist said Charlotte went straight to the field without hesitation to wipe out the monsters. Of course, the former didn't forget to mention that, at the time, there wasn't any official quest request for monster extermination. One adventurer has a mind-boggling question. "But why would Miss Charlotte go out to exterminate monsters without receiving any rewards?" he asks. "Isn't it exhausting, especially since it's such a dangerous task?" The others agree with his question, so the receptionist continues with her tale. She told Charlotte many times that without an official quest request, there won't be pay or financial gain. And then, to her surprise, Charlotte said only one thing: Just being able to eat a sandwich with lettuce is the greatest reward for me. There was a moment of silence as everyone absorbed what was just said. Wah! How wonderful Miss Charlotte is. The room erupts in cheer, praising Charlotte for her gallantry. The receptionist shares with everyone how she spent the whole day thinking about the deeper meaning behind Charlotte's words. Honestly, there's none, but we get the hype. Ultimately, she deciphered what the heroine really wanted to say. If I can save the townspeople, and if they can continue eating vegetables as usual, and if I can save them from malnutrition, then that's the greatest happiness for me, and I don't need any financial reward. The receptionist is pretty sure that this is what Charlotte meant. Which she doesn't, by the way. Sorry to disappoint, but she's a self-serving glutton, folks. Of course, the adventurers were quick to buy the receptionist's tall tale, leaving them touched and teary-eyed at Charlotte. Not only is she strong and kind, but she's noble too. The front desk lady even has a summary of Charlotte's alleged overflowing feelings. What the heroine said translates to, just being able to eat a sandwich with lettuce is the greatest reward. The characters in this manga read way too much in between the lines. Anyway, because of that, a new legend of heroine Charlotte's deeds was born, along with a new famous quote. The next morning, Charlotte tells Mary she's off for a walk. The latter is surprised since it's a little too early for a walk. Well, that's because Charlotte decided to go on a little trip. Mary stands from her seat, excited for her mistress. Sounds exciting. Where are you going? Today, I'm going to the graveyard to get some vegetables. Our heroine beams. Mary is confused. Didn't they just eat vegetables earlier this morning? What the hell does Charlotte even mean by that? They ate those vegetables they got from the farm, right? Oh, Charlotte's not talking about that. She opens the item box, saying she's referring to the vegetable monsters. She pulls out the Monsterpedia and shows the vegetable in question to Mary. A jack-o'-lantern. Of course, the latter instantly panics because that's definitely a ghost. But to the simpleton Charlotte, it's a pumpkin. Just look closely. She was browsing the encyclopedia earlier and chanced upon it. Charlotte finds it pretty amazing that there are monsters out there shaped like vegetables. At least she also eats vegetables, huh? Up until now, most of her meals were meat-based, but now, thanks to her Monster Eater gift, she wants to know what vegetable dishes taste like. Just the thought of it gets her excited. With that said, Charlotte also discovered that there's actually a graveyard north of the town, which is why she'll head there now. She promises to be back before dinner. Well, it's not like Mary can contest what the young miss wants to do, so with that she just waves Charlotte off, bidding her to take care and come back safely. But a graveyard, huh? Mary can't help but wonder if the young miss is not afraid of ghosts or anything. So what's the graveyard like? Well, it's sullen, dark, gloomy, and hey, full of dead people. What's even more disturbing is the ominous miasma emanating from the gravestones, followed by a sinister shadow figure floating around. Healing! A lone adventurer shouts as it cleanses the spirit, but he was so focused on what was in front of him that he left his back wide open. He barely managed to raise his arm to block the spirit's attack, which left him on his knees. The poor adventurer nurses his injured arm, cursing under his breath. He thought accepting the quest to purify evil spirits from the graveyard would be an easy task, but he didn't expect that there would be so many of them. What's even worse is that some of them have even turned aggressive and violent. Just a little background about this adventurer. He actually specializes in using healing magic to exorcise spirits, and he has completed many similar missions. But this graveyard in particular is a totally different case. There's something unnatural about it. All the ghosts here have turned into evil spirits attacking any human who comes near without distinction. As he is, he's doing his best to defend himself, but honestly, he has already reached his limit. Even the mere act of standing is getting harder for him. Suddenly, another violent spirit creeps from behind him and nicks his cheek. Oh, he can't stay here forever. He has no choice. He'll have to abandon the mission. For now, he just needs to get out of this graveyard. That's when he heard it. Someone humming near him. Is he hallucinating? No, there's definitely someone there because he can see a figure walking past the bushes. The adventurer quickly makes his way towards this person, in the hopes of warning them to run away before they could get hurt. And who else would stroll around a creepy graveyard but our very own Charlotte? The girl is literally glowing as the dark spirits try to attack her, only to be repelled. I didn't know the graveyard was glowing like this. Girl, no, you are the one glowing. The adventurer, on the other hand, is dumbfounded as he watches Charlotte stroll around carelessly in the graveyard. But what he knows for sure is that the girl has zero spiritual awareness. Charlotte is just happy to see that the graveyard is livelier than she expected, and it's not scary at all. Plus, there aren't ghosts around either. Thanks to her skill, Auto Heal, Charlotte unknowingly purifies the evil spirits around her without realizing it. The adventurer can't believe this girl hums a hymn softly with extremely high energy, and she's also exterminating the evil spirits as she goes. In the middle of a graveyard flooded with evil spirits, a lone woman walks through it casually as if it's the most normal thing in the whole world. One such evil spirit tried to attack Charlotte from behind, but alas, it got purified instead. You see, even though Charlotte can't see the evil spirits while wandering the graveyard, she was actually unconsciously using the healing skill Auto Heal. and purifying the spirits without realizing it. Then there's her, clueless as always, wondering why she can't find a single monster. From the bushes, the adventurer who was having a pretty hard time at the graveyard has his mouth hanging open. What's up with that girl? She's acting like she's out for a stroll, he thought. But wait, more importantly, he can't believe she's purifying that many spirits. This must mean she's incredibly focused. With that in mind, he thought it's best to just observe her so he won't interrupt her. An hour later, Charlotte is bent over, hands on her knees. This can't be happening. She never found a jack-o'-lantern. This is peak frustration. Where did she go wrong? She's been tracking monster auras while she was roaming around. She even went around the entire graveyard. That's when Charlotte noticed something peculiar in the air. Even though the lights are flickering around her and the atmosphere is noisy, at least it's good that the place isn't scary. By the way, those lights are caused by the spirits she unconsciously purified using her skill. Despite not finding anything yet, Charlotte's desire to eat pumpkins still hasn't died down. It's funny because she can feel the aura is really close, like really close. Charlotte puts both of her hands up and feels the air around her, looking for the right spot. When she finally zeroes in on it, that's when she uses Paralyze. Suddenly, to her surprise, something crashed to the ground. A jack-o'-lantern appeared. So it has the ability to hide itself. Before the monster can do anything, she decides to Poochie fire the vegetable monster, especially since it has given her a lot of trouble by making her search for a while. Finally, she has pumpkin soup. As usual, Charlotte starts pulling out the tableware, happy because she'll finally get to taste it. She's been wanting to do that ever since she saw it in the Monsterpedia. She takes a spoonful for a taste, and just as expected, the warm liquid is thick and very delicious, with the warmth and sweetness quickly spreading in her mouth. If this were any other day, Charlotte would have been satisfied with just slurping the soup like this. But today, she brought bread with her. She had it stored inside her item box, then proceeded to break it so she could slowly dip it into the soup. If she were still living in the manor, she would just know she'd get scolded for such improper behavior. But she's not right now. And frankly, Charlotte doesn't care. She takes a bite and beams. This is just so delicious. Whenever she takes a bite, the rich flavor explodes in her mouth. The texture blends with the bread, making the experience truly amazing. Just like that, she's down to her last bite. But this time, she made sure to savor the soup down to the last drop with elegance and poise. As soon as she finished her meal, there goes that ringing in her ears again. Level up achieved from devouring the monster. Jack-o'-lantern devour bonus. Magic acquired, magical invisibility. Oh, new magic. Excited, Charlotte extends her hand to try it right away. Invisibility, she yells. She didn't see the effects at first until she finally noticed her body had become transparent. It's just like the jack-o'-lantern earlier. It's a spell that hides the body from plain sight, which she finds pretty strange and exciting. Speaking of jack-o'-lanterns, she senses one again nearby. Since she's invisible now, Charlotte decides to approach it quietly and cast Poochie Fire. Wait a minute, if Poochie Fire creates warm soup, then how about Poochie Ice? This time, Charlotte casts the latter, and as the vegetable monster fell to the ground, it turned into a different dish. It's just as Charlotte thought. Cold pumpkin soup. This one is refreshing and tastes smooth. Like usual, she enjoys it satisfactorily and finishes it in no time at all. Since she's done with her meal, Charlotte shoves her tableware back to the item box, and while doing so, she hears the voice telling her that she leveled up again. She's now level 51. Jack-o'-lantern devour bonus, magic acquired, wall of fire. Did she hear that right? Wall of fire? That sounds like a different kind of magic. It makes her wonder if it's like a small flame. Wait a minute. Does that mean that the type of magic she learns depends on how she defeats the monster? Since she defeated 2 jack-o'-lanterns with different types of magic, they granted her 2 different skills. This is also exciting. If I try different ways to defeat monsters, I'll be able to learn many kinds of magic. Following this logic, then she can enjoy a variety of dishes too. But Charlotte also remembers that things don't always turn into food, so she keeps a mental note to experiment carefully when the time comes. Just then, she hears a loud whoosh from the heavens. She looks up just in time to see something crashing down into the graveyard. From the aura of it alone, it's an enormous monster. It came crashing just a few feet in front of Charlotte, and being the monster foodie that she is, she's excited to know what kind of dish this monster will turn into. Only, this monster is a stone gargoyle, not that Charlotte knows anything about that. A stone statue, was her first thought. She carefully approaches it, walking around the stone monster. It's just a rock, no? A fancy stone statue, maybe? She mutters. But this only made her realize one crucial thing. A statue like this is impossible to eat. Charlotte starts pulling a face. This just gives her no motivation at all. She doesn't want to fight monsters that can't be eaten. It's just pointless and exhausting. Still, she thinks it's best to solve this one peacefully. Hey, stone monster, fighting here won't benefit either of us, she says. Could you quietly go back? The gargoyle's eye twinkles, followed by a roar as it tries to intimidate her. Ah, this is pointless. The monster doesn't understand Charlotte at all. The monster gets ready to attack her, gurgling an unknown liquid in its mouth. It spits the liquid right at Charlotte, but thankfully she got out of the way. Oh no, she has become its target. She looks at the place where the monster's attack hit. Water magic? If it hits me, I'll be soaked from head to toe. That would be terrible. This girl and her priorities, really. Wait, a second attack is coming. Charlotte knows she needs to move fast and block it. She puts her hands up and yells, "Wall of fire!" The spell she just learned a few minutes ago. She literally conjured a wall of fire that successfully blocked the monster's water magic. Obviously, the latter was not expecting that and was taken aback by Charlotte's defense. Our heroine made use of her enemy's distracted moment and cast invisibility. With her out of its eyesight, she was able to run past it, and Charlotte made use of this moment to attack the monster from behind. "Poochie fire!" she yells just as the monster turns to face her. It was a clean shot at point-blank range, with the attack completely destroying the monster. Charlotte walks over to check the remains, and after confirming that it really was defeated, she's a bit disappointed to see that it only dropped raw materials. Still, she took and stored them in her item box with disappointment. It's just as she thought, this monster can't be turned into food. What a shame. Well, at least she'll just give these materials to the sis, aka the receptionist at the Adventurers Guild. With all the adventures she had in the past few hours, Charlotte starts to get sleepy. She did walk a lot, and the disappointment from the stone monster wore her out completely. Charlotte spots a tree stump and puts a little cloth over it. This looks like the perfect resting spot for her. Plus, the gentle breeze is refreshing, so she'll just rest here for a bit and head home. Charlotte settles into the tree stump, closing her eyes for just a little while, but before long the daylight has faded to dusk. She wakes up with a start and rubs her eyes, looking around to see if that was light shining on her. Oh no, she dozed off unintentionally and fell into a deep sleep. But she doesn't exactly feel bad about it since it was a truly peaceful nap. Charlotte bolts to her feet. "Ah, the sun is starting to set. I wanted to be back before dinner." She panics. Plus, the weather's starting to get chilly too, so she really has to go back now. From behind, a dark figure looms over Charlotte and starts chanting gibberish over her. She turns just in time for this cloaked figure's chanting to become even more intense. "Hey you! Can you tell me what time it is now?" she asks desperately, moving even closer to this sketchy figure. See? She's got zero awareness at all. While the cloaked figure continues its chant, Charlotte can only make the entity repeat itself. She can't understand, so we can't exactly blame her. Oh no, what should she do? She has no idea what this figure is saying. From the looks of it, he looks weird, but Charlotte doesn't sense any monster aura from him. Suddenly, the figure starts glowing and collapses on its knees, leaving Charlotte even more panicked. "Are you okay?" she asks. "Are you in pain?" But just when she was about to finally touch it, the figure burst into a bright ray of light and completely disappeared. Did the figure just use magic? As usual, our heroine has no idea what is going on, but this is no time to think. She needs to hurry back home quickly. As she hurries out of the graveyard, our heroine has no idea that an adventurer was watching her and her adventures this whole time. Of course, who else would he tell this crazy story to other than the guild itself? Once he returned to the Adventurers Guild, he relayed everything that transpired in the graveyard to the interested listeners. After sharing his story, they stand dumbfounded. "Are you saying Miss Charlotte purified that massive, vengeful spirit entity all on her own?" The adventurer confirms that that's exactly what happened. Of course, he understands that they may doubt his account, but he swears this is not a made-up story. But the others believe his every word, since this person was actually a seasoned adventurer. And if someone like him claims that it's true, then they believe it. "Please tell us the details," they ask of him. "First, what's known as a vengeful spirit cluster is a mass of evil spirits that gathers and condenses," he begins. With a spiritual density high enough to be seen even by those without spiritual sensitivity, it's far more dangerous than any normal evil spirit. The adventurer continues that the entity unleashed a tremendous amount of curses on Charlotte, but the latter stood firm as if nothing had happened. He believes that if it were an ordinary person, they would have died instantly. But instead, from what he had seen, Charlotte kept getting closer and closer to it and then proceeded to purify the entity completely in an instant. But that's not all. The adventurer even told them how he saw Charlotte was just walking around the graveyard, continuously activating the healing skill, purifying every inch slowly and precisely. He even saw her sit and focus for a full 3 hours straight just doing that. According to him, Charlotte purified the spirits one by one with the utmost care. But wait, there's more. The adventurer goes on to say how Charlotte even managed to defeat the gargoyle that suddenly appeared. She vanished suddenly, then reappeared and struck it down with a single magic blast, he recounts to them. The rest of the guys start singing praises of how amazing she is, especially since a gargoyle is no ordinary monster. It's extremely strong. They say that even if they're the ones who have encountered it, then they would have been goners for sure. The story just goes to show that Charlotte's combat abilities and healing skills are at the level of legendary heroes. Finally, the adventurer has one last thing to say about our heroine. He hesitates at first, saying they probably won't believe him, but they were just as eager to know. To be fair, the guy says he was busy defending himself from the surrounding evil spirits, so maybe he saw it wrong, but here goes. Charlotte was drinking pumpkin soup in the graveyard. A collective silence followed. Did he say pumpkin soup? Don't blame the guy, he also couldn't believe it then. Suddenly he found himself watching her sitting at a table and calmly having a meal out in the open graveyard. Of course, the rest were quick to ask why the Miss Charlotte was having a fancy meal in the graveyard out of all the places. They tell the adventurer that maybe he's imagining things, especially since there's no table in the graveyard. Suddenly it hit the receptionist. Everyone! What if Miss Charlotte simply carried the soup and table in her item box and came to enjoy her lunch? Oh ho, that must be it. That's the perfectly logical explanation for it, at least by their standards. Yeah, it might sound strange, but she thinks it must be one of Charlotte's skills. After all, food is the foundation of maintaining physical condition, and without food, abilities can't be used efficiently. Everyone was quick to buy this crap, impressed that Charlotte never neglects the basics. Even her choice of eating pumpkin soup got praised by their lot, impressed at how our heroine found a graveyard full of evil spirits as nothing but a kitchen in her home. The adventurer grabs his drink wordlessly as he listens to the people talk. If all those evil spirits and that massive, vengeful spirit entity had escaped the graveyard, the city would have been in a catastrophic state, he says. And yet Charlotte didn't tell anyone and handled everything alone calmly and silently. He raises his drink, proposing a toast for our heroine since there's no other word that suits her better than the best. A toast to the heroine who saved the city! Cheers! They cry in unison at the tavern. And thus, Charlotte saved the city once again without even realizing it. From there, another saga was added to her legend told through generations. Somewhere else at the royal castle, the first prince Aziz is pretty busy since he's swamped with paperwork. Thanks to his brilliance, he's been entrusted with many tasks by the current king despite his young age. Even today, Ozus is knee-deep in official duties, signing documents, but at least he's finished as per schedule. He hands them to the messenger, instructing the latter to send them to the Minister of Finance. As soon as the latter receives the documents, he marvels at them. As expected of His Highness Prince Ozus, his work is incredibly fast and precise. He's not the only one fanboying over Ozus because the other messenger does too. The latter went on to say how the country's GDP increased 12-fold in just 2 years, thanks to the policies implemented by the first prince. Who would even believe that the economy had been in continuous decline before? What an amazing person His Highness really is. He overcomes any obstacles no matter how difficult. Later that night, after all his duties are done and dusted, Ozus calls his loyal Sebas. The older man is already worried despite the prince not saying anything. So here it goes. I need to think about this difficult matter today of all days, the prince began. And that is none other than the biggest problem of his life so far. How can he get Charlotte to notice him? Last time when he tried to invite her to the opera, Ozus made a complete fool of himself, with his nervousness getting the better of him. But there is one thing he understood clearly. Charlotte doesn't see him as a man at all. Arg, just thinking about it is enough for the prince to spiral. Anyway, this is why he believes Charlotte needs to see him as a man first. The only problem is that he doesn't know how to make that happen. Sebas, can you give me some advice? He asks his trusty butler. Like any sensible person, the older man points out the obvious. How about the prince stop overthinking things and invite Charlotte by saying, let's go on a date? There was a pause before Ozus's knees started shaking like a leaf. I can't say something that bold, the prince says, getting paler just by thinking about it. What if she rejects me when I ask her outright? Sebas assures him that Charlotte would never hate him, but it's too late. Ozus is crashing out again. Now he's on all fours crying about how helpless he is. He can't even manage to ask Charlotte out. Sebas gets down on the floor with him as the older man tries to console the prince. All I can do is carry out my official duties from morning till night. Ozus laments, but his butler points out that that's a great thing. Because of that, the lives of the citizens have improved drastically and their well-being has increased. Ozus slowly gets up from the floor, muttering that if he can't invite Charlotte out directly, then at the very least he should act like it's a coincidence and make some moves. Aha! Sebas quickly pulls out a small notebook from his coat pocket and tells the prince that Charlotte has recently been taking walks in a forest full of monsters, at least according to a well-informed source inside the palace. Huh? The forest? Why would she go somewhere dangerous? Ozus asks. Wait a minute, this is it. The next day a masked Ozus with 3 of his knights is out in the forest. The prince adjusts his mask before re-explaining the plan to make Charlotte notice him. First, he secretly follows the target Charlotte during her usual walk through the forest without her noticing him. Then when she's just about to be attacked by a monster, Ozus will jump in and save her with his face hidden behind a mask. Once she feels safe and the tension fades, he will finally reveal his identity. You best believe Ozus already has this scenario played out in his mind. So this will make Charlotte fall in love with him, amazed by his bravado. That's basically the plan. Still, Ozus reiterates that the target's safety is their top priority. His men commend him for having the perfect plan. using the psychological danger bridge effect and revealing the prince's face at a dramatic moment. His Highness sure has thought of everything. Ozzy formally asks them, the elite knights, to protect him while he carries out the mission. He also apologizes for dragging them into something personal, but because of his position he can't move on his own. The knights assure Ozzy that there's no need for him to apologize, vowing to protect the prince with everything they've got. In their minds they're all thinking of the same thing. We'll be your personal cupids, your highness. Just then another knight appears, reporting that the target has left the city and has entered the forest. Alright, he turns to them saying, let's begin the mission. But fate has other plans in store for them. No sooner had Ozzy gotten the words out of his mouth than a winged monster landed right behind him. The knights crowd around him as Ozzy checks to see what it was. It was a hippogriff. This is a boss-class monster, with the upper body of a bird and the lower body of a horse. This monster has never been recorded in this area before, so for Ozzy and his knights this was an unexpected situation. Still, they all worked as pros. The knights didn't panic and quickly formed a defensive formation around the prince. But to their surprise, the hippogriff charges straight at them, sending two men flying and exposing their front. The two landed behind them while Buckbeak attacked both flanks simultaneously. This monster is fast. Before long, Ozzy is left to defend himself against Buckbeak. Here he could feel how heavy the hippogriff was. It glared at Ozzy before pulling back, shifting its attention to one of Ozzy's men. Oh no, that's bad. The prince quickly leaps to the rescue of his men, but it's too late. He fell for Buckbeak's bait. The hippogriff just plants both of its talons on the ground and then raises its hind legs ready to kick the approaching prince. Crap, this is bad. Before Ozzy can pull back, the hooves of the monster land squarely on his chest, kicking him with so much force that he slams into the tree trunk behind him. I can't breathe, Ozzy thinks, but he has far more important things to be concerned about. Buckbeak walks over to him slowly while Ozzy can only sit there in pain. He can't even pick up his sword due to the soreness he feels. Just when he feels it was hopeless, a masked heroine steps up and he hears her cry, "Poachy fire!" Ozzy raises his eyes just in time to see Buckbeak getting incinerated by his savior in a dress. The monster lets out a dying squeal before it collapses, charred to the ground. Did she just take it down with one hit? Plus, she's got pretty overwhelming power in her magic. Just who is this girl? The prince wonders. Wait a minute. He can also breathe again, and his body no longer hurts. He checks the wound on his forearm, and even that has healed. His men start to sit up as well and have regained consciousness at the same time he did. Everyone is on the ground, but it doesn't look like anyone was safely injured, his masked heroine says. Ozzy is amazed to see that even the knights are okay. He finally turns to his savior, thanking her for saving them. "My lady, if you don't mind, may we know your name?" he asks excitedly. The latter is surprised but starts removing her mask all the same. "My name? Ho ho ho, ta-da, it's me, Charlotte," our heroine cheerfully says with a wink. Ozzy is almost blinded by her beauty yet again, but more importantly, what was his plan again? He jumps in with his mask on to save her when she's threatened by a monster. Once she feels safe and relaxed, that's when he reveals his identity, right? The danger bridge effect paired with the mask reveal will definitely result in an overwhelming emotional impact. And that's exactly what happened, only the tables have turned. Ozzy fell harder than ever for Charlotte. Once again, the first prince stands awkwardly before her while Charlotte just thinks his shock is just because he didn't realize it was her. She got the mask she's holding at a home goods store earlier and she just knew she had to get it because she loves it. That's why as soon as she bought it, she put it on right away. "Isn't it cute?" she asks Ozzy. The poor lad is doing everything in his power not to go into overdrive, as he can only echo cute right in front of her. While Ozzy is still dazed by everything that has happened, Charlotte smells a delicious scent coming from the monster she had just defeated. This is her chance. She quickly grabs the plate of monster dish and tells Ozzy that she's got something important going on. Bye-bye. And just like that, she dashed further into the woods. Meanwhile, the elite knights rush over to His Highness, asking if he is okay. By the way, it's all thanks to Charlotte's auto-heal that they're all fine now. Ozzy is still flushed and dazed before finally collapsing, mumbling about how sweet she is. So that marks the end of the first prince's plan to make Charlotte notice him. It was a complete failure. Now on to Charlotte. Our heroine pants as she finally gets away from the prince and the others. "If His Highness sees me cooking, he'll definitely insist on sharing the food," she says. "Girl, no, that's just you." This girl really believes that Ozzy will ask for a share of her food when he can barely ask her out. After looking both ways, the coast is clear. Charlotte opens her item box to start setting up the tableware. Since she's already out here wearing a fancy dress, she thinks it's a good idea to wear this stylish coat she brought along. The reason why our heroine dressed up a little today is that earlier Mary showed her all of her personal belongings, which include the party dress she's wearing now. Since she no longer attends social events, she thinks it's a waste to let the dress sit unused in the closet, so she decided to wear it now and then every time she goes out. Now that she thinks about it, she never imagined the first prince would be so deep in this forest. From what she saw, it looked like Ozzy was so shocked by the monster that he couldn't stand. Oh, could this be the first time he has seen a monster? Well, it's normal to be paralyzed in fear. Even for her, it was her first time seeing a massive monster like that. As for her, she was just planning to eat a wolf steak dish, but she chanced upon Ozus and Buckbeak's face-off earlier, so score! She encountered a new monster. On top of that, the said monster turned into these delicious steak slices before her. Charlotte pokes around her meal, noting that this monster has two kinds of meat. Based on its appearance, she believes it is probably a mix of chicken and horse meat. She decides to start with the white meat first, and on her first bite, it's so tasty. Charlotte is beaming again, because it really is chicken. It's light, delicious, and irresistible. Of course she can eat this for life, but now, it's time to taste the other meat. This red meat is a slice of horse steak, or so she thinks. But wait, actually, she has never eaten horse meat before. When she was little, she remembers her father showing off that they would be riding a horse-drawn carriage that day. But instead of being impressed with their mode of transportation, Charlotte's focus is on the horse's thigh. She remembered how strong it looked, and out of excitement she happily cried out that she wanted to taste the animal's legs. Of course she got an earful for saying crap like that, especially since her father really loved horseback riding. She really sat through his long lecture that lasted for hours. From there she promised never to speak of horse meat again, so she never got the chance to try it at home. But now, finally, she'll get to fulfill her dream of tasting horse meat. It's time to eat. She bites into it, and the meat melts into her mouth instantly. Such smooth and tender fat. Usually when we eat something rich in fat, the taste lingers, and it feels heavy on the stomach. But this meat has a delicious fatty flavor without being cloying or heavy at all. Wait a minute, when she alternates eating the horse meat with the chicken, the flavor becomes endlessly delicious. Charlotte is convinced that this monster was practically born just to become a full steak. Just like that, she continues to devour her delicious meal. Our heroine unknowingly devoured a boss-class monster, the hippogriff. Finally, Charlotte is done with her hippogriff meal, or what she'd like to call the meat chicken and horse meat what beasts, which was so delicious. Because you ate a boss-class beast, hippogriff. Your level increased by 5. The voice in her ear starts again. Predation bonus. Hippogriff. You acquired a wind spell. Tornado. Oh-ho, a new spell. Charlotte hurriedly shoves the tableware inside the item box because she couldn't wait to try this wind element magic. She puts her hands in front of her and yells, "Tornado!" As the name suggests, a tornado really appeared in front of Charlotte. She didn't expect to encounter such fierce winds, but with this spell, Charlotte thinks the monsters won't turn into food dishes after she defeats them, right? Due to the intensity of the winds, her coat flew away, forcing our heroine to run after it. Wait, slow down! She can't believe she's experiencing this right after she cast the spell. That tornado magic is completely useless. Finally, the wind died down and her coat landed on the ground. She picks it up, noting how it flew too far away. As she puts it on, Charlotte feels something. She senses a monster nearby. Of course, she follows her gut and walks straight to where she senses it, but it's a bit strange. Why does this monster move so strangely? And that's when Charlotte finds herself right in front of a lake. She looks wide-eyed at the serene scenery. She didn't know a place like this existed. And on top of that, she can feel a monster coming from inside the lake. So exciting. A water-type monster. Could it be a fish? She wonders. If that's the case, Charlotte immediately opens her item box and pulls out a bait, an ice box, and a fishing rod. "I'm going fishing," she yells happily to the clouds. "Would you look at that?" Charlotte bought a fishing rod from the tool shop earlier in preparation to one day meet a fish-type monster, and frankly speaking, she was excited to fish too. Since she's already at it, she'll take out the table and chair as well. This just reminds her of her father. You see, the Marquis loved fishing a lot, and even she used to do it a lot when she was a child. It was one of her hobbies. She can't believe she's fishing again after a long time. She's getting so excited. She grabs the pouch to take out the dango bait. Suddenly, she notices something in her periphery. Something just flew toward my dress," she says. And that's when she saw the bugs creeping over her. Charlotte lets out a blood-curdling scream, panicking as she tries to brush them away. Wait a minute, she senses a monster. These bugs, are they a locust monster? She was too focused on sensing the monster at the lake and didn't notice them at all. These bugs are so small compared to the other monsters. Obviously, she doesn't want them to ruin her fishing, so she must take them down. And more importantly, she doesn't want to eat a dish made of bugs. Charlotte is on the fence about what to do. Wait, she just needs to defeat it, right? She just needs to stop their movement. She extends her hands before her and yells, "Paralyze," rendering the bugs immobile. Phew, I'm safe. Magic is really amazing. She finally heaves a sigh of relief. Alright, now that's settled, it's time to put the bait back on the hook. But wait a minute, where's the bait? Oh, there it is. The contents have already fallen into the lake. Kaya, when did that happen? Oh, it was when she was fighting for her life earlier with the bugs. We're here, we're here. She seems to hear voices call out to her. Charlotte turns and senses that they were coming from the paralyzed locusts. Now that she thinks about it, locusts can be used as bait for fish, right? Obviously, she feels iffy about doing that, and in all honesty, she never even wants to touch a locust. But then again, she wants to eat fish. In the end, Charlotte sucked it up and used them as bait. It's for the sake of fishing. It was a long journey, but finally it's fishing time. Charlotte cast the bait in the spot where she sensed the monster earlier. From there, she waited quietly until she felt a tug on the line. Something caught on so quickly, the water starts splashing around as whatever was on the other end tries to fight back. Even Charlotte noticed how heavy it was, so she knew she must pull hard unless she risked getting dragged into the lake. It took one flick of her wrist before Charlotte finally pulled a large fish out of the water. She couldn't believe she caught the fish so easily. The fish falls with a splat on the ground, flapping around while Charlotte stands over it. It's a pretty large fish. She doesn't have that much physical strength based on what she knows, so maybe fish monsters are naturally very weak, no? Who knew they were this easy to catch? Folks, just so everyone knows, Charlotte currently has a level 56 muscle strength, okay? Now, time to prepare it into a delicious dish. Poochie fire, she exclaims, followed by a poof, signaling it's time for her to feast. She beams because it turned into a crispy and delicious meuniere. It looks like a trout, but does it taste like one? She slices a portion of the fish, excited to take a bite. As soon as she did, Charlotte noticed the tender texture of the dish. It really tastes like trout. Trout, unlike salmon that cross the ocean, spend their lives in lakes, which gives them this soft texture. She proceeds to list the flaky meat and its crispy skin, but what she loves the most is the fatty part under the gills. And here is the secret of the world. Delicious things are made of fat and sugar. That is the eternal truth of this world. Thanks to her gift as a monster eater, the food she prepares tastes 5 times better than normal food. According to her personal research, Meuniere scores 500 out of 100. However, the buttery aroma boosts appetite, doubling the taste, and the area under the gill becomes twice as delicious. On top of that, because she caught it herself, the flavor multiplies again. So she gives it a total of 4,000 points out of 100. The taste is so irresistible. Thanks for the meal, she says as she finishes eating. Because you ate a monster, your level increased by 1, the ringing in her ears tells her. Predation bonus, Royal Trout. You've acquired a water spell. Water Shot. Ooh, it's another new spell. Let's try it out. Water Shot. A stream of water jets out from her palm. She didn't expect such a powerful water stream. But despite this, she's worried because can this be used for cooking? It's an intriguing thought, but what's important for her right now is more food. Charlotte grabs the fishing rod again and casts the line into the lake. She sits over the edge, and 30 minutes later, nothing is still biting. She tries to shake it off, telling herself that waiting patiently is part of the joy of fishing. Perseverance is important. Besides, enjoying quiet moments now and then is a beautiful thing. There's the gentle, refreshing breeze, the sunlight trickling through the trees, and then there's the shimmering water surface. Most importantly, the thing Charlotte looks forward to the most is the meuniere she's about to eat. But the fishing rod isn't moving at all. No, I can't take this anymore. Charlotte leaps to her feet. I can't keep doing something so ineffective. Saying enjoying peace is a total lie. If she wants to eat meuniere now, then she has no choice but to be shameless. With that, she puts her hand in front of her and yells, "Tornado!" The tornado she conjures sucks up the water and sends the fish flying all over. It's raining fish. Kaya, this is a dreamlike sight for Charlotte. She quickly makes an inventory and records 5 trout monsters along with some regular non-fish monsters. She really caught a whole bunch all at once, huh? The fish were already paralyzed, and looking at them like this, it's truly a magnificent sight. Now that she thinks about it, ever since she was a child she has loved fishing. But the moment she eats the fish after catching it has always been the one moment she loves the most. Charlotte decides she'll take the normal fish with her and puts them inside the item box. Later she'll ask Mary to cook them for her. As for the trout monsters, of course she'll eat them all. Let the Meuniere festival begin. She Poochie fires them all in one go. Charlotte finished eating all 4 royal trouts, and the ringing informs her that her level increased by 4, along with her water shot level. After she finished eating the last trout, that's when she noticed that the 5th trout-like monster looked like it was glowing gold. Is it different from the other ones she caught? Still, Charlotte Poochie fired it, and yet this one somewhat turned into a Meuniere that looks like it's glowing. Okay, time to take a bite. The moment she does, Charlotte can't believe her taste buds. Amazing! What can I even say? It tastes incredibly delicious, she says. It's like the flavor sparkles in her mouth like gold. It has a rich taste, but it's not heavy or overwhelming. It's very refined. Compared to the previous ones she ate, this one is a whole different league of deliciousness. Such a delicious meal. Like all of her monster meals, Charlotte finished up the golden trout clean. That one was amazing without a doubt. Now she's really satisfied. She starts clearing her things since it's about time for her to head back to the city, no? But the ringing in her ears is distracting her. Because you ate the rare golden trout monster, your level increased by 5, it said. So now Charlotte is level 66. She noticed how the ringing in her ears this time is different from the other monsters. But hey, the last one turned out to be a completely different type of monster. Predation bonus, golden trout, you've acquired a new water spell, Bubble. The announcement shocked Charlotte because that's the 3rd time the ringing told her she got a new spell today. Water bubble, huh? She can only hope this one is useful in cooking. Okay, let's try it. Bubble, she yells. From her palm, a barrier forms and surrounds her like a giant water bubble. Oh my god, it's a giant bubble, she happily cries out. Looking at the barrier, she wonders if the spell protects her using the bubble. She takes a step to the right and the bubble moves along with her, and she does it again on the opposite foot. Again, the bubble follows along. The bubble moves with her. Plus, when she bumped it into the table corner earlier, it didn't pop. That's weird. But at the same time, she's curious to know what the bubble's limits are. That's when she noticed that the bubble was pushing away the lake water. This gave Charlotte the idea to step into it, and no sooner did she do so than the lake bed gradually revealed itself. So does that mean this is a spell that repels water around her? Feeling much braver and curious, Charlotte starts running straight into the lake with the bubble protecting her from the water. Before long, she finds herself deep underwater, seeing the different kinds of schools of fish up close and personal. What a beautiful view. She stops in the middle to admire just how wonderful this spell is because it allows her to walk around the lake bed. Even though it's dark down there, Charlotte still thinks it's magical. Plus, the water bubble is pretty sturdy because despite it being completely surrounded by water, it doesn't cave in or pop at all. Looking at the fish around her, Charlotte thinks it won't be long before she encounters new monsters. Plus, she had a strong feeling just moments ago that what she felt wasn't a trout-type monster. It was something completely different. As if on cue, a shadow looms over her, just as she feels an immense aura that's extremely massive. Well, what do you know, there's a giant catfish just above Charlotte. And this is no ordinary catfish, it's a catfish monster, a demon catfish. This one is aggressive by nature, and it's said to swallow humans who fall into the lake in one gulp. The vicious monster bares its sharp teeth to our heroine, but instead of feeling scared or intimidated, Charlotte is excited. What a huge monster! I want to eat it right now. At the bottom of the lake there, Charlotte comes face to face with a colossal entity, only she does not fear it, she wants to eat it. Can you believe she stands starry-eyed looking at the fish monster looming over? Our heroine is so excited that she wants to eat the giant fish quickly. Too bad she couldn't see the fish clearly, but from the looks of it, it seems to have long whiskers. So maybe it's a catfish, no? Whenever she thinks of catfish, she remembers a certain childhood memory when she caught one, and her father immediately told her not to eat it. Before Charlotte could react, he snatched the fish from her hands and threw it back to the water. Of course, our heroine laments the loss of the fish, asking her father why he did that. As usual, her father is stuck up, annoyed about how Charlotte wants to eat everything. But for him, he personally dislikes the catfish's flat and slimy faces. Who would want that on their dining table? As expected of Charlotte's judgmental father, but of course he didn't say that out loud. He only told Charlotte that catfish aren't tasty. Despite her father's objections, our heroine kept catching catfish, only for her father to release them back to the water. But now looming before him is this very fish. She's sure of it. Charlotte puts her arms out ready to torch the fish when she suddenly stops herself. Wait, no. If she takes down the catfish here, then the delicious food might scatter in the water. That's a no-no. But then again, she wonders if offensive spells even work underwater. Crap, she needs to think of something fast. Just then, the monster catfish breaks through her bubble barrier and tries to eat her. Too bad for the fish. There's no water inside the bubble barrier, so it flops down with a thud. Well, that was anticlimactic. The fish tries to swim on the dry surface and sends Charlotte scurrying away from it. But alas, there's not much the catfish monster can do on dry soil. Charlotte catches her breath looking at the fish as it flaps around, but because her bubble has no water, she realizes the catfish can't move. The catfish defeated itself, so that makes Charlotte the winner. God bless this large bubble for playing a big part in that. She quickly gets to work and puts her hand up to Poochie fire the catfish. As soon as she did, the catfish monster puked a whole load of trash. Ew. She looks at the pile, wondering if this is the lake garbage the fish swallowed, leaving her wondering if she should take it back to the surface. But her thoughts quickly shifted to the popping sounds she heard from the catfish, signaling that the monster was being cooked. Charlotte quickly pulls out a chair because she's a civilized lady after all, wondering what the catfish would taste like. Finally, the dish appears, and it's fried catfish. She holds the dish in her hands, mouth-watering, all while thinking about how delicious things are made of fats and sugars. It's pretty obvious that this one is full of that, so there's no denying this will also be a delicious treat. Despite her father's claims, she just knows this will be super tasty, so without further ado, she stabs her fork into it, blows on the fish meat, and takes a bite. It's just as she thought. The outside is crispy and the fish's texture is absolutely amazing. It has quite the luxurious pure white meat. Its soft, refined texture dances on Charlotte's tongue, and it pairs perfectly with the sauce. The grilled aroma also appeals to her, encouraging her to eat more. Before long, she's left with the last bite, and she can't help but sigh. It was so delicious that she finished eating it in a flash. Still, she's grateful for the meal, and more importantly, it made her remember the catfish his father threw back to the lake when she was younger. If only she could retrieve those now, huh? After she's done eating, Charlotte puts her chair away, and that's when she hears the voice telling her that her level increased and that she received something else, a predation bonus from the demon catfish. Now she acquired the always active skill, night vision. Suddenly, her surroundings lit up and for a moment she thought everything got brighter. Then she realizes that her eyesight has actually improved. Ooh, this must be the power of the fish. She's heard about how fish are full of nutrients, and given what happened to her just now, it must be true. It's quite amazing being able to see in the dark like this. She was still admiring the clarity of the lake underwater when she finally noticed that there was a pair of legs sticking out of the garbage the fish had hurled earlier. Oh my god. Charlotte quickly runs over and starts rummaging through the trash to save the person. Why is a person even here? A moment later, the figure gets up screaming, "Catfish!" scaring Charlotte as our heroine comes face to face with a woman with disheveled hair. She tells the lady that if she's talking about the catfish from earlier, then she already ate it. Oh, she ate it. Wait, the lady realizes how much of a mess she's in and runs off to clean herself up. She comes back not a minute later all prim and proper and thanks Charlotte for saving her. As it turns out, she's the fairy of the lake. Oh, Charlotte's face lights up when she hears it, but what did the lake fairy mean when she said our heroine saved her? The latter points out that Charlotte defeated the catfish monster, did she not? Actually, the fairy explains how the giant catfish accidentally swallowed her, leaving her in trouble. Thanks to Charlotte, she was able to get out. Well, that's nice to hear, but Charlotte just has one question. Does this happen a lot? The fairy being swallowed by the lake monster? With an insistent look, the lake fairy assures her that it's a common occurrence and totally not because she's dumb or anything. In fact, it also happens a lot too. Anyway, they should move on to more important matters. She takes Charlotte's hands in hers, saying she'd like to give our heroine something as a token of gratitude. Out of nowhere, she brandished a beautiful sword which she personally crafted and polished herself. Charlotte admires the relic because it's like a holy sword. The fairy says she is correct, it's the holy sword of the lake fairy. It's a special kind of sword. Wait a minute, so does that mean this is the same sword from the legend? The fairy says that's correct again. And by that legend she means to say that it's the very legend that tells of the hero receiving their sacred sword from the fairy of the lake. This is told in many regions, and this time she has chosen Charlotte as the rightful receiver of the sacred item. Whoa, all this time Charlotte only thought of it as a fairy tale, but who would have imagined that it's actually real? She feels like a heroine because of this. It's quite an honor, but she tells the fairy that she can't accept it. In Charlotte's defense, she has never used a sword before, and if a beginner like her carries it, it could be dangerous, right? Besides, she thinks a fancy sword like this doesn't suit her at all. The fairy of the lake fell to their knees, shocked at Charlotte's refusal, because just when she thought she finally felt like she'd met someone she considers a hero, this person refuses to accept her gift. The fairy goes on, rambling about how she wanted her sword to be remembered in legends like the other fairies. While she goes on about her monologue, Charlotte notices how the fairy seems a little off. Suddenly she clings to Charlotte's dress, practically begging our heroine to just give the sword to anyone. Heck, she could even sell it if she wants to. Still holding the sword, Charlotte had to tell the fair that what she's doing is dangerous. The sword is about to hit her. But as expected of our heroine, she's truly kind-hearted and realizes that she acted badly. Ultimately, she apologizes and tells the lake fairy that she'll accept the sword with gratitude. After all, this is a precious gift from the fairy of the lake, right? The latter's face instantly lights up, hoping that the sword will become useful to Charlotte. Okay, so what exactly is she going to do with the sword? For now, she stores it in her item box for safekeeping, with the fairy also handing her the scabbard to store away. Today, Charlotte killed 5 royal trout, a hippogriff, the demon catfish, and a golden trout. She and the lake fairy heads make their way out of the bottom of the lake, and as soon as Charlotte is back on the surface, they bid their goodbyes. So for today's monster kill count, Charlotte killed 8 monsters and leveled up 16 times, becoming so high level yet so unaware of it. On top of that, she also obtained the holy sword of the lake fairy, a dream weapon for any adventurer. But from the looks of it, the sword won't be taken out of the item box anytime soon. Meanwhile, back at the royal palace later that night, Ozzy's groans in his sleep, clutching his chest tightly as he does so. Phoebus comes running in his doctor's fit, asking if his highness is in pain. Is it the injury from earlier today? The young prince says he feels a tightness, alarming Phoebus. Where does his highness feel it? The latter answers that he feels it in his chest. No matter what he does, he's always thinking about Charlotte so much that his chest hurts. Why is this? Upon hearing that, Phoebus removes his doctor's fit, while his highness continues that Charlotte's mischievous smile when she took off her mask just won't leave his mind. From the moment she saved Ozus so skillfully, she hasn't been able to forget her. He sits up desperate to know what's happening to him, so he asks Ozus. His butler is already scribbling his notes and tells him that what he's experiencing is love. Huh. Love. But he has loved Charlotte since he was a child. Phoebus is also aware of that, which only means Ozys has fallen in love with her even more deeply. What? He's fallen in love more deeply? Phoebus points out that the scheme to target Charlotte completely backfired and struck Ozys' heart instead. His love for her has grown even stronger. The prince slumps back into bed with a shout. He starts rolling around in bed because of this burning feeling, like a ball of fire igniting in his chest. Phoebus has no idea what to do, begging the prince to calm down. Fast forward 5 minutes later, and Ozys finally regains his composure, apologizing to Phoebus for such an unsightly scene. Phoebus agrees it was indeed an indecent sight, asking Ozys not to do something like that outside of the palace. But going back to Charlotte, Ozys finds her strength truly incredible, huh? If Sabus remembers correctly, Charlotte defeated a hippogriff with a single blow. It seems her magic even surpasses the royal court mage's. Crap, at Ozzy's level he doesn't stand a chance of catching her attention. He grips his robes tighter and stands up. The prince has finally made his decision. From this moment on he declares he will be reborn. Thus began the harsh days of Prince Ozzy's intense training. He minimized his rest time as much as possible, completed his official duties faster than usual, and used the time he saved to train in swordsmanship with the kingdom's elite knights. His sword skills improved at an astonishing rate, to the point where even the elites could no longer block his strikes. Then came that day. Ozzy cuts down the pig monster before him, asking the others if that was the last one. The spectators were amazed at how skilled the prince had become. Just look at how he completed the entire monster extermination campaign alone. The kingdom regularly held monster extermination campaigns. They sent the royal knights on patrol missions to prevent the spread of dangerous beasts threatening civilians. Usually the knights worked with the royal court mages, gathered the monsters in one place and used wide-area magic to eliminate them all. But today Prince Ozus took on the mission by himself. The citizens and fellow knights thank Ozus for his hard work. One of them approaches Ozus, praising him for his absolute swordsmanship. On the other hand, the prince apologizes for insisting on taking part in it. Plus, this was also excellent training for him. Ozus has now leveled up and is now level 24, while Sebus applauds his highness since this is his second level up this month. The latter says this is just him getting started, but more importantly, isn't there another monster cleansing campaign tomorrow in a different area? He asks if he could join that as well. Sebas is alarmed, but Ozus assures him that it will be fine. He wants to become stronger. When they heard that, it left the people wondering, isn't Prince Ozus strong enough? What could be driving the prince to go this far? Without batting an eyelash, he tells them it's love. That day, when he saw Charlotte's power in his own eyes, he realized he wouldn't be worthy of her if he stayed the way he is. He wants to become the kind of man who's worthy of standing by her side, and if that happens, maybe she'll look his way someday. For that, he will endure the harshest training. The fuel of his heart is love. Love is what makes him stronger, and for that he will become a strong man. The people are even more impressed by him, lauding the prince for his passion. Sebus too is touched by this and gets teary-eyed. However, the older man thought to himself that even if Ozus becomes strong, who knows what Charlotte would actually think. He could only stand there, deeply moved, watching Ozus grow more resolute and determined with each passing day. At the Adventurers Guild, the others are looking at Charlotte curiously. Lately they notice that she's been reading the Monster Encyclopedia all the time. Sitting alone and her nose deep into the books, they can't help but notice how she's such a diligent student. But maybe that's the secret to her strength, no? Charlotte flips the last page and has finally finished reading. Right, now she has decided that she'll set rules for eating monsters. After she encountered the locust monster and looked it up again in the encyclopedia, she discovered that there are types of monsters that just don't seem edible, even if they're not insects. So to make quick judgments when she meets them in real life, she decided in advance which types of monsters she won't turn into dishes. First, insect-type monsters are a no-no. Second, filthy monsters are likely to carry germs, and they seem way too dangerous. Second, human-shaped monsters are intelligent monsters that speak human languages. Eating them is absolutely unacceptable. Third, inorganic monsters, she can't even imagine such things as food. She stores the Monster Encyclopedia away in her item box, thinking that she wants to complete a list of edible monsters, excluding the types she listed. However, the mimic turned into a dish that looked like oyster food. So maybe it's best to judge inorganic monsters with caution. Just then she notices some of the townsfolk carrying construction materials. Looking around, she notices that the townsfolk seem to be busy these days. Could they be preparing for something? Just then they notice Charlotte and greet her. She greets them back and asks if something is going on, and just then one of the local boys hands her a flyer. They'll be having a grand festival held once a year and invite Charlotte to come. She takes the flyer, and as soon as she reads the contents, her eyes twinkle. It's all so wonderful. Fast forward to the actual day of the festival, Charlotte couldn't contain her excitement. Arms raised at the bustling scenery. How could she not, given how the place is so lively and full of people? Today she changes into her casual clothes and is with Mary. Her maid is aware that Charlotte has been so excited about it since last week, and she was even counting down the days in anticipation. Actually, our heroine has always been interested in festivals, even back when she was still living at the Marquise's mansion. The idea of eating food from the stalls amidst the joyful atmosphere became a dream of hers, which is why she has a game plan. She carefully checked the list of stalls in advance, confirmed their locations on the map, and planned the most efficient route to visit them all. What's more, she even chose comfortable clothes that make it easy to move through the crowds. Our Charlotte is hell-bent on completing the experience of tasting all the stall foods today. They start off strong with 2 grilled kebabs, but unfortunately Charlotte's fun is cut short when a few villagers come running, shouting, "Disaster!" Our heroine turns in the direction of trouble and feels that familiar feeling when a monster is nearby, and true enough, on the main street the Red Wyvern has appeared. Mary panics, suggesting to her mistress that they should run, but Charlotte is more caught up in the fact that a monster has appeared. The red wyvern is a type of dragonkin capable of flying at high speed through the skies. Even if the monster is weak with its large body, if it goes on a rampage, it will destroy the stalls. But more importantly, Charlotte is more curious about how its meat tastes. Mary is just about to tell her that she shouldn't, but Charlotte hands the kebabs to her for safekeeping as our heroine hurries off to the main street for some quick eating. Well, what else is Mary supposed to do but wail after her mistress? The red wyvern is already wreaking havoc and a few soldiers are already on the scene trying to take it down. Crap, none of their attacks affect the monster at all. They can't defeat the wyverns like this, but they have no choice, they need to hold their ground. If they don't fight now, it won't just be the festival that will be toasted, the whole city will be destroyed. They ask for more adventurers for backup. Unbeknownst to them, one lady from a nearby stall is hiding in fear from the monster. She's too scared to run. She's also distressed because soon enough the stalls will be destroyed. How could this happen on such a beautiful day? To everyone's shock, they hear a lady's voice proclaiming that she won't let the monster ruin the festival. Of course, it's our Charlotte. The adventurers had mixed reactions upon seeing her, but she doesn't care. Her focus is on the wyvern. Looking up at it now, the monster is exactly as she read it in the monster encyclopedia. According to what she read, the red wyvern unleashes something called breath, which are fireballs. It sounds scary, but Charlotte knows better. It's just like how the fangs of the wolf beast broke easily despite their fierce appearance. And this is the part where we need to tell our heroine not to get ahead of herself. Because of her past encounters with monsters, she has come to believe that monster attacks are all just for show, which means the wyvern's fire is probably not hot, right? Still, at least she's aware of the danger if the fire starts to spread around them. She readies herself to take on the wyvern's attack, and not a moment later it unleashes breath. The other adventurers tell her to watch out, but Charlotte doesn't listen. She braces herself, planting her feet firmly on the ground, thinking that she needs to stay calm so as not to let the fire hit the stalls. She volleys the fireball and sends it flying high into the sky. Everyone couldn't believe what just happened, even the wyvern itself. There is a prolonged silence before Charlotte cries out in pain. Ow, it's hot. She really thinks that even if the attack is fake, it still feels seriously hot. It felt like pouring hot tea. She blows on her burns, muttering about how she should have worn gloves. But the wyvern doesn't let her get reprieve. It starts firing multiple fireballs that have our Charlotte out here defending the stalls like a real volleyball game. She keeps crying out, asking the wyvern to stop because it's way too hot. Meanwhile, the townsfolk and the adventurers watch in awe as she blocks the wyvern's breath with her bare hands. It got them wondering if it's really possible that the breath, which has enough power to turn the main street to ashes, is merely described as hot. Little did they know, Charlotte's all-magic resistance skill activated and reduced the power of all magic attacks by half. Back to Charlotte, she grows worried because what if the fire hits the stalls? The lady from before watches her just as our heroine has had enough. She doesn't want to block it with her hands anymore. She puts both hands up and uses Poochie Ice while the wyvern uses breath. The elements clashed, canceling each other's attack. Ha! The adventurers couldn't believe it. Did she really just use a simple ice spell against such a monster? The wyvern was about to fire another breath when it spat blood instead. Ha! Did its spell fail? It starts coughing, and now's Charlotte's chance. She puts her hands up, ready to toast and eat the monster, but the wyvern knows better and bails. No, where is it going? Charlotte was about to chase after it, but the adventurers and townsfolk crowd her, amazed at how she drove the red wyvern away. How can they be rejoicing when the monster flew away? The adventurer tells her that it got scared and ran because it ran out of magic energy. Everybody was back on their feet, ready to patch things up, leaving Charlotte distressed at the wyvern's exit. Just then, the lady from before hands her a multi-scoop ice cream. Charlotte's eyes get glossy at the sight of the 5-layer ice cream because it's something she absolutely wanted to try at this festival. The lady says it's her thank you gift for chasing off the monster. Charlotte insists on paying for it, but the lady doesn't accept. After all, it's thanks to Charlotte that they were all saved. She thanks our heroine for protecting the festival and urges her to eat the ice cream quickly before it melts. Well, what else can Charlotte do? She gratefully accepts the lady's gift and takes a small bite of the ice cream. As expected, it's so cold and smooth. There are 5 different flavors, and it even has a biscuit as a bonus. It looks fun, and it tastes even better. Because of the red wyvern's flames making the air hot, the ice cream tastes even more delicious. Mary calls out to her, asking if she's okay. The former is still holding the kebab while Charlotte shoves a spoonful of ice cream into her mouth. She apologizes for leaving Mary alone, but it's all right. It's thanks to Charlotte that the stalls and shows are up and running again. With that said, the two decide to enjoy the festival. What do you know? All their planning and effort pushed through as both ladies managed to eat to their heart's content, enjoying the games, music, and festivities the whole day. Soon enough, day turned to night and they're down to their last meal. Charlotte fulfilled her wish and completed the experience of all the festival foods. Even Mary couldn't take another bite, she's too full. She's happy though because everything was really delicious and she feels like she enjoyed the festival to the fullest. Charlotte stares at her and agrees. However, there's one thing that still fills our heroine with regret. So the next morning she makes her way to the Adventurers Guild. The receptionist greets her, applauding Charlotte for yesterday's battle, but Charlotte has more pressing matters. She asks the former where she can find the Red Wyvern again. The receptionist asks if she's referring to the monster she fought yesterday, and Charlotte confirms it's true. She's still sad about how it got away in the end and finds that so frustrating. And it happened just when she had decided that she would eat every edible monster too. Now she can't stop thinking about the Red Wyvern. The receptionist at the guild tells her that while it's good that Charlotte is proactive at finding the wyvern, there's just one problem. The monster's nest is located in Rotnan Valley. The place is not home to just the red wyverns but also to many giant monsters. To enter the region, Charlotte needs a platinum-ranked card. Platinum? But Charlotte's still a gold-rank card holder. She's one rank lower, which means she can't go yet. This just makes her sob. Wait a minute. Sis just remembered something from last night. She asks Charlotte if she could borrow the latter's card for a second, which she readily hands over. The receptionist checks, and it's just as she suspected. Charlotte is eligible for platinum rank right now. This piece of news sparks hope in our heroine, while the receptionist explains that she received recognition points yesterday because of her contribution in defeating the Red Wyvern. With those, Charlotte is officially qualified to take the platinum rank promotion. Yay, that's amazing news. The receptionist instructs her that if she fills out and submits this form, then she can take the test happening in 3 days. If she passes, then Charlotte will get her platinum card. Oh, you bet Charlotte is already filling up the form, ready to submit it all for the Red Wyvern. She'll take this test no matter what it takes. The platinum rank promotion test. Wait, she has to take a test? The platinum rank promotion exam is held once a year at the Adventurers Guild branch in Mayonzel and lasts for a week. Over 100 adventurers participate each year, but the number of those who pass rarely exceeds a single digit, making it a harsh test. Adventurers of platinum rank are allowed to enter dangerous areas inhabited by large monsters. 1 week before the platinum exam at the Mayonzel Adventurers Guild branch, the head of the Mayonzel Guild branch couldn't believe who was standing in front of him. Why, it's none other than Prince Ozys himself. The guild head asks if His Highness would like to take the exam alongside other adventurers, and Ozys says he does. His answer prompts the older man to ask why someone of royal blood wishes to do such a thing. For one, Ozys believes that taking this exam will allow him to strengthen himself even more, and if he becomes a platinum-ranked adventurer, he'll be able to expand his range of movements. Of course, he's still mindful of his surroundings and asks the head of the guild if they have any issues with him participating, given that he's of royalty. The latter assures the prince that the exam is open to everyone as long as they meet the necessary qualifications. As he said that, his assistant handed him a piece of paper, while Ozys asked if his understanding was correct. To qualify, he has to be a gold-ranked adventurer and to have gathered the maximum required points. No, the head guild tells him that he is correct, and points out that the prince has not registered as an adventurer yet. However, if the monster materials Ozys bought are evaluated and recorded, then these will be enough for him to meet the requirements. On another note, the guild head points out that these materials were obtained from monsters surrounded by the royal knights, of whom Ozys himself delivered the finishing blow. Despite the prince's efforts, it's pretty hard to say that he accomplished the deed alone, since the achievement was made with the support of the royal knights and palace mages. So if they consider it a team mission, the points are divided among the team members, meaning Ozys won't reach the gold maximum. The guildmaster apologizes because, frankly speaking, they cannot allow the prince to take part in the exam. The Adventurers Guild is based on merit, and there are no exceptions even for him. One of the knights was quick to react, telling the guildmaster that he should at least see and assess the prince's strength himself. Ozys quickly waves him to stop, apologizing as he even admits that it was rather hasty of him to think that he'd qualify given how he was collecting the points in such a short time. Wait, did he say short time? The guild head checks Ozys' records again and realizes that all the hunting records the prince submitted are just from the past few days. Even though it was a joint effort, he has to admit that the quantity is astounding. After a prolonged beat, the guild head suggested something. How about Ozys challenge an adventurer of a higher rank to a sword duel and wager points on it? The guildmaster himself steps up and volunteers to be Ozys' opponent, given he's a diamond-ranked adventurer. The condition is simple: if the prince manages to land even a single hit on him, then the guild will consider the missing points fulfilled and allow Ozys to participate in the exam. Of course, how could Ozys say no to that? Cut to the next scene. A flag is raised signaling the winner of the duel. It was Ozys. The guildmaster is slumped on the floor, his head bowed, while the prince sheathes his sword. What the heck just happened? The match ended in an instant. They can't believe it. Who would have thought that the guildmaster who fought on the front lines during the dungeon invasions would lose that fast? Ozys squats in front of the guildmaster and thanks him. The latter grabs the prince's hands with both hands, eyes sparkling as he commends the prince for his amazing skills. His speed, strength, technique, and swordsmanship are superb. Heck, it even surpasses the guildmaster in his best days. He's practically begging Ozys to let him see that strike again up close, just for practice. One of the guildmaster's men had to call him off with how he's acting and ask if he'll allow Ozys to take the exam. Of course he is. Thankfully, the paper is ready and the older man hands it to the prince to fill out. While doing so, the guildmaster sings praises about Ozis's skill, saying they could even exempt him from the first stage of the exam, but His Highness refuses the offer. No special treatment, right? However, Ozis can't participate openly because of his position. As such, he asks if he could register as an adventurer under an alias. The guildmaster has no problem with that because even if he said that the Adventurers Guild is based on merit, it's actually surprisingly flexible as an organization. With that said, they wish Ozzy's good luck in the Platinum Rank promotion exam next week. Fast forward a week later, the day before the Platinum Rank promotion exam, a carriage passes through the forest. There are passengers on board this carriage, including our heroine, Charlotte. She stretches for a bit, thinking she's a bit tired from sitting all this time, but there's not much she can do, so she bears it. Right now they're on their way to Mayonzel, where the exam will be held. They've been traveling for about half a day in their shared carriage. She looks outside and notices how the sun is starting to set, which means they're about to arrive. You see, just a few days ago when the receptionist at the guild told Charlotte about the exam, she was so surprised. Sis explained to her that the Platinum Rank exam is held at the Mayonzel branch over the course of a whole week. Since it's only held once a year, you'll have to wait next year to take it if you miss it, so it's a good thing Charlotte made it in time. Wait a minute, our heroine is confused. Isn't this just about receiving a platinum card? So why does it require an exam? And the fact that they have to travel to a faraway place to stay there for a week, isn't that too much? Sis tells her the reason why is that the platinum card is extremely valuable. As such, it's necessary to thoroughly determine whether the applicant is truly worthy or not. Charlotte is overwhelmed by the receptionist's hype, but then again, isn't this déjà vu? Anyway, since it doesn't seem unreasonable, Charlotte decided to take the exam. Back to the present. Charlotte remains rooted in her seat, thinking about how it's a little strange that obtaining a platinum card is a requirement to enter the valley where the wyverns live. Anywho, since she's already en route, she might as well do her best to pass the exam. Plus, there's also the exam location, the great city of Mayonzel. It's a coastal city known for its delicious seafood dishes. Charlotte is already thinking of having paella tonight, and this just feels a bit like a vacation. She makes a mental note to buy a gift for Mary too. As for the carriage, this is her first time riding a shared one. It's actually so refreshing to be with strangers all heading to the same destination. But these good vibes were cut short when the carriage came to a sudden halt. The coachman tells them that the road is blocked by rocks and trees. At this rate, they can't pass through. Suddenly, bandits came out of nowhere, pointing their weapons and demanding that they leave all their valuable belongings behind. It's an armed carriage robbery. Some of the adventurers try to fend off the bandits, but there are way too many of them. The guards alone won't be enough to fight them. While Charlotte and the other passengers peek through the window, one of the passengers runs off hurriedly. Charlotte notices that the girl is from the monster folk race. She was with them in the carriage earlier. The girl grabs a bunch of grass and activates her alchemy. She balls up the grass and throws it to the bandits. The grass transforms into small explosives that send the bandits scattering because of the smoke. They start coughing, asking what this is this gunpowder? Charlotte saw everything, but she has no idea what just happened. The girl's hand lit up and there came an explosion after. That girl, she's incredible. The girl grabs a bunch of grass again and activates her alchemy gift. This is not the time to watch. If a tiny girl can fight that bravely, then Charlotte should fight too. She hurriedly gets out of the carriage, wondering if there's a spell she can use against humans. As the smoke starts to fizzle out, one of the bandits lunges at the girl, but before his attack could land, Charlotte steps in and uses her paralyze skill. The bandit stood frozen in time while Charlotte ran off, saying she would also paralyze the others. The girl watches silently as our heroine immobilizes their attackers. 3 minutes later, all the bandits are rounded up and tied. The coachman thanks Charlotte for lending a hand, and the latter is happy to help. Now then, the coachman will start clearing the road and advise Charlotte and the girl to wait in the carriage. Our heroine smiles and waves them off, glad that her powers worked given how it's her first time using her magic on humans. Just then, the girl bows her head and thanks Charlotte for saving her earlier. Oh, Charlotte is embarrassed, telling her there's no need for that. That may be so, but she had to tell Charlotte how amazing she was with the way she paralyzed so many bandits, one after another. This got our heroine all shy and flustered as she counters that the girl is the amazing one. She remembers how the latter's hand lit up, threw something in the air, and boom! Charlotte's even more impressed at how the girl charged in alone at all those bandits. She was truly incredible. Oh, the girl's cheeks get redder, at a loss on what to say with the way Charlotte's hyping her up. This time, it's Charlotte who blushes more. This girl is way too adorable. As she leans closer, the girl says she'll head back to the carriage, but not before saying her name, Yuxi Sarati. She's heading to Mayonzel for the promotion exam. Oh, what a coincidence. Charlotte is also taking the same exam. Charlotte introduces herself to Yuxi, and the younger girl starts calling her Sister Charlotte. Huh? Sister Charlotte? Once again, our heroine gets excited. She can't believe she's being called sister by such a cute girl. If that's the case, then she must act in a way worthy of being a big sister. But wait a minute, didn't Yuxi call that light in her hand a gift? Gifts don't manifest until the age of 15, right? So does that mean Yuxi's not much younger than Charlotte, which means she's not a big sister at all? Just then Yuxi admits that she's been feeling nervous about the exam because she's scared to take it alone. But now she's so happy that she met someone as kind as Sister Charlotte. Okay, that does it. That sweetness is too cute. Big sister or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is she's happy to have met Yuxi too. The two spent their time together chatting inside the carriage, and before long they arrived in the city of Myanzel that night. The next day the promotion exam to the platinum rank begins. The place is crowded with adventurers, and even Charlotte feels overwhelmed at the many applicants. She walks around wondering if she would even be able to find Yuxi in the crowd, when a familiar masked man spots her walking by. Gasp! Ozzy's instinctively raises his hands to his face, panicking because why is Charlotte here? He's not Prince Ozzy's today. He's taken on the identity of the adventurer Orov. Soon Charlotte sees Yuki's familiar figure ahead, and she walks over to her to greet her with a good morning. She's glad they met again given how they parted ways so quickly yesterday. Yuki feels sorry about that since there are a lot of things she had to take care of. Before she noticed time slipped by so fast. Wait, she had a lot to take care of. Does she mean preparation for the exam? Yuki says it's something like that. For one, she went to the shop to get her weapon maintained, her little hammer. Oh crap, this time it's Charlotte's turn to panic. As if on cue, the double doors opened and out came the guild representatives. They hushed the room and announced the commencement of the platinum rank promotion exam. Everybody immediately settled down and a quick silence descended upon the halls. The man introduces himself as Ganogan and he'll be in charge of the first test. First he'll give them a general explanation of the exam. The applicants will go through 4 tests starting today. The details of each test will be explained at the time. The first and second test will take place today at the Myanzel branch. As for the remaining tests, they'll begin tomorrow and will be held on an uninhabited island, managed by their guild, which they will travel to by ship. Usually more than half the applicants are eliminated on the first day, so Ganagan encourages them to try not to be among them. The 2 staff members of the guild thought that he shouldn't give out unnecessary commentary, but it's not like they voiced it out, no? Anyway, Ganogan continues with the explanation of the first test. Then there's Charlotte, panicking because she didn't prepare for the exam at all. All she did was read the monster encyclopedia. The sister at the guild told her that she'll surely pass and that she's not allowed to reveal the contents. Still, the receptionist has high hopes for our heroine and gave her a 2 thumbs up. But can Charlotte really pass? Didn't that man at the front say that more than half the participants fail on the first day? Oh no, is it a written test? No. Charlotte breaks free from doubt and decides to trust what the sister at the guild said. Surely the exam contents must be something she's good at. Just then Ganogan announces that the first test is simple, making Charlotte's face perk up only to freeze the next moment. Why? It's because the first one is a basic physical ability test. Ganogan says they'll measure their magical and physical strength, and if their total exceeds the threshold, they will pass. If they don't meet the requirement, obviously they will fail and will be asked to leave immediately. It's a pretty simple test, right? Not known to him, Charlotte is almost spiraling into a panic because which part of that is simple exactly? She has never done anything like this before. Ganogan says he'll guide them in order. When the applicant's name is called, that person will move to the other room. Then there's Charlotte, panicking, wondering what they will do for the first test, a test of magic and physical strength. She has no confidence in these things at all, leaving her all anxious. Charlotte was so wrapped up in her thoughts, trembling, that Yuxi asked if she was okay. The latter notices how she looks frozen from tension. Yuxi says it's normal to feel nervous because she does too. She's even starting to feel her heart race. Oh no, Yuxi is also getting anxious because of her. This activates Charlotte's big sister mode. She needs to pull herself together. It's not okay for her to act like this. She has to act like a big sister. Suddenly she's all fine now, and gives a little cheer for both of them. Do you see how quick our heroine's moral recovery is thanks to her big sister mode? So back to the test. The first one is the basic physical abilities test, the magic and physical strength exam. During the exam, magic and physical strength are measured. If the total score exceeds the required threshold, the applicant passes. To measure magic, a special crystal ball is used, and the size of the light changes according to the strength of the magic flowing into it. The assessor checks the light of the first applicant and notes it in. Then he informs the latter that lifting 150 kilograms with the tool is considered a pass. Ha? Isn't that too much? Anyway, to measure physical strength, a magical rod with adjustable weight is used, and the required points for passing are calculated after measuring magic. Then the weight to be lifted is set to meet that threshold. If the applicant can lift the tool even once, they pass. And you bet Baldy managed to lift the rod. Once he's done with the tests and passed, he's ushered to the next room. As soon as he's out of earshot, Ganogan scowls. This is boring for him. The assessor had to scold him. Well, it's because everyone barely passed the threshold, with the assessor reminding him that it's enough to just pass the threshold. The assessor points out one candidate, the masked applicant. His magical power and physical strength were both incredible. Oh, that Mr. Oruf guy? Ganogan remembers him. Actually, he's aware that the said applicant is actually Prince Ozzy's. But hey, is the assessor really not aware that's His Highness? Probably not, because the latter's still going on about how he felt an extraordinary from Orov. Actually, this assistant was not informed about the prince's participation since the guildmaster decided to keep information exchange to a minimum. Anyway, what Ganogan meant by interesting is like someone breaking the crystal ball with their magic power or someone who lifts the magic rod even when it's set to its maximum weight. You know what I'm saying? But the assessor just became worried because lifting the maximum weight means they need to lift 1 ton. No one can do that, only monsters can. More importantly, he tells Ganogan not to play with the equipment. That's quite expensive, and they should get ready since the next applicant is coming. True enough, they hear a knock on the door, and in comes our heroine. She does a little curtsy and introduces herself, while the assistant tells her that they'll begin by measuring her magic. They move over to the magic crystal ball, and all Ganogan can think of is how she's such a refined young lady. Charlotte says this is her first time having her magic measured and asks the assistant to guide her if she's doing something wrong. Ganogan, on the other hand, leans back, wondering if she's really a gold rank adventurer. Just look at her. She's still so calm. With that, she put both hands on the crystal ball, and as soon as she did, Ganogan's impression changed. There was a flash of bright light, and not a second later, the crystal ball cracked before it shattered with a bang. Charlotte looks at the pulverized remains of the crystal ball. The assistant can only stare incredulously at the remnants of the crystal ball, jaws hanging open. Then there's Charlotte in full-blown panic, apologizing for destroying it, but she promises to pay for it. Unlike the two, Ganogan perks up because he knows there's nothing wrong with the ball. He saw the item fill with light instantly, so maybe the glow was so intense it couldn't handle the amount of magic which caused it to burst. He's never seen anything like that before. This girl, she has incredible magical power. Help! Before the assistant could fail her, Charlotte urged him not to do that. Just let her do her best at the physical strength test first. This time it's Ganogan's turn to be dumbstruck. Charlotte gets into the bench ready to bench press the rod, and Ganogan was a second too late. Crap, the weight is still set to 1 ton. And hup, that's when Charlotte easily bench pressed a 1 ton magical rod without a sweat. What in the did she just lift 1 ton? To their surprise, she proceeds to bench press it. Like, girl, are you for real? By this time the assistant is clinging to Ganogan out of fear because what monstrosity is she? More importantly, why does she keep doing it? Ganogan says maybe it's because she probably thinks the evaluation is based on how many times she lifts it. And just like that, Charlotte completed 1 set of 40 bench presses. By the end of it, she's all drenched in sweat. Because yeah, this rod really is heavy. Girl, that's 1 ton. She asks them how many times she has to lift it, but the two only stare back at her with unreadable expressions. In the end, another guild member ushers Charlotte out of the room, telling her she passed the test. But more importantly, what about the compensation for the crystal ball she destroyed? The former assures her that it's fine. Inside, Ganogan tries the crystal ball and it lights up, but it's incomparable to Charlotte's earlier. Ha, she's quite the interesting girl, huh? He makes a mental note to write a report about the damaged crystal ball. Meanwhile, the assistant is crashing out. Ganogan had to tell him to get himself together since the next applicant was coming, but the latter had the last word, saying even Ganogan himself was trembling earlier. The door opens, and in comes Yuxi. She introduces herself while the assistant takes over. Like before, Ganogan steps back and knows her kind. Beaskin are known for their agility, which makes up for their weak magical power. Yuxi places both hands on the crystal, but nothing happens. As expected, she has no magical power, which proves what Ganogan just thought of. Now it's his turn to tell her that she needs to lift 300 kilograms to pass. But before they proceed, he asks her if she can do it. Yuxi says she will, so he adjusts the magical rod's load while Yuxi gets into position. After a prolonged beat, nothing is happening, and it made Ganogan wonder if it's too hard for her. He tells her that she can stop if it's too much, but Yuxi cuts him off. She won't stop, she'll never give up. Her tenacity shocks him, while she continues about how she won't give up in a place like this, not for Elena's sake. She vows to make it to the final test. With that, she gives it her all and manages to raise the 300 kg rod. The assistant happily announces that she passed, and as Yuxi stands to head to the next room, Ganogan cheers her on. She thanks him and exits the room, ushered by the other guild member staff. Ganogan and the assistant fix the test setup again, talking about how they were moved by Yuxi's passion. Even the assistant admires her incredible determination. It felt like she was saying that she'll pass the platinum test no matter what. Wait a minute, that catches Ganogan's attention. What he just said is what most applicants say during the exam, but that's not what Yuxi said. He remembers she said that she'll definitely make it to the final test. Her phrasing makes it sound like she's focused on the final test specifically, but as far as Ganogan knows, the final test is just a trip to that deserted island. There's nothing really special about it. Before he could ponder more about what Yuxi said, the next applicant arrived, forcing him to focus on the present. But yeah, maybe it's nothing. He's probably overthinking it. And that concludes the first part of the test. In the other room, the door burst open, with the next proctor waltzing in with a smile. He congratulates everyone there for passing the first test. Too bad for them, they're proceeding straight to the second test. Charlotte's a little disappointed because she was hoping that they would have a short lunch break. The proctor continues that the content of the second test is a combat and team coordination test. The applicants will be grouped in threes and fight a 3-on-1 battle against the proctor at the training grounds outside. If their team as adventurers manages to break the necklace the proctor is wearing, they pass. But if all the team members faint or surrender, they fail. Charlotte grows worried because what a violent test this is. Why does it have to be like this? Meanwhile, the proctor announces that the team compositions have been decided by the guild in advance. Outside, the proctor calls Team 11, which comprises Charlotte Nevi, Yuxi Sarati, and Henry Bondo. The proctor reiterates what he said inside, telling them that their task is to work together and defeat him by breaking his necklace. They're free to use a sword, magic, or any method they like. As for him, his weapon of choice is the wooden axe. It's modified so it won't cause serious injury, but harm is still possible. So if the adventurers feel like they're in danger, they should surrender before it gets worse. The Lady Guild member staff says she'll be the overseeing judge. They're given 1 minute to strategize before the fight begins, which the three do. The Lady Guild member asks the proctor if he wants to see the results of Team 11's members, but nah. If anything, does she know how many applicants he has faced? Just by observing their movements a bit, he can roughly gauge their strength. The young man Hurry is a decent swordsman, but he's still below platinum level. He seems frustrated about being matched with such a team. Yuxi, the beastkin girl, looks agile, so he makes a note to be cautious. Her body is too small, so it's too soon for her to pass. As for Charlotte, the elegant-looking girl, he can't get a read on her. His initial assessment of her is that she doesn't appear to have any combat skills. But if she's made it to the platinum test, then she must be skilled in some form of support magic. But overall, the proctor believes that this team will be over quickly too. Are you sure, bro? The 1 minute grace period is done, and the Lady Guild member signals the start of the match. Henry dashes straight to the proctor and goes on the offense. It makes the latter wonder if he's trying to end it quickly, while the proctor himself takes a step back and swings the axe straight at Henry. It's a direct hit that sends the swordsman flying. The proctor calls him off for having too simple movements, while Yuxi sneaks up on his side and hits his thigh with her hammer. He retaliates while Yuxi moves back, out of his range. She's not only fast, but she's also good at concealing her presence too. But this time, the proctor turns his attention to Charlotte, just in time to see her use Paralyze. He barely avoids it, but the wisps quickly spread, forcing him to cover his nose. This is quite a powerful paralyzing spell. He clicks his tongue, getting annoyed at how things are starting to get troublesome. If this is the case, he decides to take Charlotte out first and remove her from the battle. Oh buddy. He runs up to her, apologizing in advance as he promises to go easy on this hit. He swings his axe and hits Charlotte's shoulder, and nothing happens. You see, if that axe were an actual battlefield weapon and not a test tool, then Charlotte's skill auto-counter might have activated. But since she has incredible defensive strength, the strike wasn't even strong enough to be considered dangerous, so the skill didn't activate. On another note, because the examiner has no knowledge of abilities that surpass the usual standards, he panicked when he saw that a blow meant to remove her from battle had no effect whatsoever. The man got humbled real quick, sweating as he realized she's just like a rock. She's so strong. Charlotte grabs his axe, then asks if he's alright since he looks a little pale. LOL, this girl is diabolical. He grows more fearful as he finally understands now. This girl is like a dragon. It's not that she lacks combat skills, she simply doesn't need them because she possesses the greatest weapon of all, overwhelming physical prowess. And there's Charlotte, looking at him with that innocent look on her face. He was so scared of her that he stumbled backwards trying to get away from Charlotte. He was still looking up at her when Yuxi approached him and used this chance to smash his necklace. Ah, just like that they won. But why does it look like the proctor is the one relieved? It's over. He survived. Team 11 passed. As soon as the Lady Guild member announces their victory, the proctor heaves a sigh of relief. Charlotte and Yuxi high-five each other, happy with their win. She's amazed at the latter's final blow, but Yuxi finds her even more incredible. She can't believe that Charlotte was unharmed even after she took the examiner's attack. Surely she must have impressive defensive power. It's like her body is a shield. No, like a top-tier dragon. What did she call her? A dragon. That's no way to call a lady. Charlotte pinches her cheek, telling Yuxi that she's just an ordinary girl. She's not a dragon. If she had a body like a dragon's, wouldn't that make her a monster? Yuxi doesn't understand why her big sis is upset, but she apologizes anyway. Well, Charlotte thinks the examiner wasn't even fighting at full power, and although it looked like he dodged, her paralyze ability did work. Henry walks up to them and joins the conversation. He thanks them both and admits that he was so nervous he tried to decide on his own, but it's thanks to the two's teamwork that saved him. Plus, he doesn't feel any pain from his injury anymore. He asks if any of them use healing magic or something like that. Well, Yuxi surely didn't use any healing technique, and Charlotte says it wasn't her either. Well, maybe the examiner must have held back on them. Thank goodness that they're all okay, right? Henry's not too convinced, especially since the pain he felt earlier was pretty intense. But we all know it's her. It's thanks to her auto-healing skill that's always active. An hour later, the remaining applicants are gathered in the hall where the proctor announces that today's second test is finally over. Everybody present in the hall right now will proceed to the third test. Looking around, Charlotte notices how their numbers have significantly decreased. The proctor tells them that they'll gather here the same time tomorrow, where they will head to the port. From there they'll be moving to an uninhabited island, so he urges the applicants to rest well today. With that, they were dismissed. Finally, some free time for themselves. Charlotte's been feeling super hungry. She turns to Yuxi, asking if she'd like to come eat with her, but the sweet girl has gone. She was already out running to the door thanking Charlotte and saying they should do their best again tomorrow. Well, she's pretty fast. This leaves our heroine all by herself, feeling dejected because she couldn't catch up to Yuxi. Is she busy? Suddenly she hears a voice from behind that greets her, and as she turns to look, it's the prince disguised as Oraf, still wearing the mask with an awkward wave. As usual, he delivers his signature one-liner. "The weather's nice today, isn't it?" And yet Charlotte doesn't recognize him? Who is this fellow wearing a mask, and why mention the weather? As far as she knows, she doesn't know anyone wearing a mask. Seeing her frown, Aziz removes his mask, and finally it hits her. But before she could shout his name, the prince shushed her. Still, why is his highness in my Anzal? Aziz puts the mask back on and says he's also taking the platinum exam. Since he's from the royal family, he wanted to challenge himself with different things. But it's also because he's from the royal family that he can't participate openly, which explains why he's competing under the name of masked adventurer Oraf. Oh, is that so? Well, now that she knows who he is, Charlotte quickly sees that Sebus and a royal guard knight are watching them from behind. But wait a minute, does this also mean that Oraf also passed the second exam? He tells her that she's correct, but none of that matters now. Aziz is in Cloud 9 right now. The test is going well, and he even gets to speak with Charlotte. This day couldn't get any better. The royal guard and Sebus are both so happy for him. Since his highness is already here, Charlotte asks him if he'd like to join her for lunch. The three men could not believe their ears. And half a second later, Aziz pulls back with such force and starts to panic. Lunch? With him? With her? Oh well. Seeing him flustered, Charlotte asks if he has any prior commitments, so he quickly circles back and tells her that he's free, he has the time, and he's very hungry. Still, wait a bit, his heart isn't ready for this yet. Sebas is practically feeling the same as his master, while Charlotte asks if having lunch really requires mental preparation. That's quite strange, no? That's when she decides to pull his arm and forcibly drags him to have lunch. The guard and Sebas both cheer. Just like that, the two find themselves seated at a bench overlooking the lake. Nice view, right? But more important than that, Charlotte's meal looks so delicious. Today she's having fish and chips from the stalls. She really wants to try them, so while it's still hot, she dips it into the sauce and takes a bite. As expected, it's tasty. This is the taste of the fish from coastal towns. It's tender, delicious, and way better than what she usually eats. The flavor of the fish with the sourness of the ketchup makes it irresistible. She turns to Aziz and urges him to eat his food quickly. Eating fish and chips with the sea breeze around them is quite the feeling, no? His highness does as he's told, munching on his food. It really is delicious, like Charlotte said. She beams and flashes him a smile, causing poor Aziz to be speechless again. He starts crying tears of joy because he can't believe he's actually eating on the same bench as Charlotte. Charlotte, on the other hand, wonders if the reason for his tears is that it tastes so good. Wait, no, it's not like that at all. Charlotte remembers how Aziz grew up in the palace his whole life, so he must have always dreamed of tasting commoners' food. She understands because she too used to get excited at city festivals. So even if someone cries from happiness, it wouldn't be strange because his dream finally came true. At least Charlotte got that right. She notices he's got some ketchup on his mouth, urging him to eat more neatly. She giggles because he hasn't changed since childhood. But to Aziz, this reads as unseemly, and it embarrasses him. She smiles and tells him how glad she is that he hasn't changed. Actually, ever since she was expelled from the Marquis's house, she lost contact with all her noble friends. They said they couldn't stay friends with a girl who became a commoner. Well, that's something she couldn't avoid, but it was Aziz alone who remained her friend, like always. That day when he visited her in her new home, she was really happy. For her, his highness is a dear and very precious childhood friend. He looks back at her with so much admiration in his eyes, saying he feels the same. He was just about to say how precious Charlotte is when the person he's talking to is already looking away. She senses the presence of monsters. True enough, they hear a shout from the lake as a group of Sahuagin appears. Today is the day they attack and exterminate these annoying humans. Their leader quickly looks back, asking if there's anyone who chickened out of invading the surface. The rest of them cheer, there's no one. He asks them then if they want to offer humans as a blood sacrifice, and GYU, they said. Charlotte stares at the group of Sahuagin. She's read about them in the Monster Encyclopedia, and according to the book, they are semi-human, semi-aquatic creatures with decent intelligence and extreme aggression. They try to invade the surface and attack humans. They're quite the dangerous bunch. They're very active, but she wouldn't want to eat them as a meal. It'd be awful if she ended up eating one fried or something like that. But as soon as she turns to look at him, he's not there. Back to the Sahuagins, they march on, hell-bent on invading the surface with all their might. But as soon as they took a step closer to the surface, their tridents got cut. There's Aussies fuming, or maxing stomping straight to them. He's in tears, so angry at what they just did. The mood was so nice just a moment ago. Can't they read the room? He'll never forgive these scoundrels. Charlotte watches as the prince goes ham on them. She can't believe he's this angry just because they interrupted his meal. She didn't expect his appetite to be so intense. Girl, that's not the reason, but whatever floats her boat. Anyway, she notices his sword skills are amazing. The prince was skilled with a sword ever since he was a child, and it seems he still trains to this day. Even though he usually only talks about the weather and seems unserious toward Charlotte, when the time comes he's someone you can count on. Alright, Charlotte gets up and joins the fight. She uses Paralyze on some of the Sahuagins who were about to attack Aussies from behind. She tells him she'll help out so Aussies can go ahead and keep crushing them one by one. This instantly boosts Aussie's morale because he can't believe Charlotte is actually helping him. He can feel the excitement and strength surging within him. Before long there's a pile of Sahuagins on the floor, with the last one, their leader, left trembling before the prince. Aussies asks if he's the leader and orders the monster to tell his comrades that the next time they dare to show themselves above ground, they'll gather all the massive trash in the country and buy their colony with it. And that's more than enough to send the Sahuagin leader diving back to the lake. They no longer have any plans to invade the surface. Finally, the issue is resolved. Aussies and Charlotte said it at the same time, catching them by surprise. As they turn to look at each other, they break into a laugh. After they've both calmed down, he asks if she's hurt. Charlotte tells him she's fine, so she asks in turn if he's injured. Aussies puts the mask back on as he tells her that he's fine as well. Still, she feels bad that their precious lunchtime was cut short. So how about they go to a cafe and have some tea then? The prince flops to the ground with a thud. He's already short-circuiting but manages to add that he's happy to get dessert too. He'd be overjoyed to go with her. Gosh, tea time with Charlotte. The royal guard and Sebas are crying tears of joy, and with that the two quietly had tea with His Highness, thus ending the long first day of the exams. The next day the remaining applicants gather at the port. All of them are looking at the ship that will take them to the uninhabited island. Charlotte is no shipwright, but she could tell that it's a pretty old and used ship. Meanwhile, this is Yuxi's first time seeing a real ship. It's her first time to board one as well, so she's getting excited. Just then, someone from the ship descends and tells them that starting now they'll begin today's exam schedule. He introduces himself as Roderick, today's examiner in charge of the third stage of the test. He informs them that they will now board the ship, and from there they'll head to an uninhabited island managed by the guild. But before that, they will collect their luggage, weapons, and any coats they're carrying. Before they could react, Roderick assured them that their items would be returned to them once they arrived at the island. Since Charlotte doesn't carry anything with her, she just watches the others deliver their belongings to the guild. Now Roderick boards the ship and tells them the content of the test will be explained later. With that, they set off. With that, the ship sails. And fast forward a few hours, Charlotte can finally see the island. She hasn't ridden a ship since she lived at the Marquis's house. It's been a long journey. She really loves the sight of these vast stretches of water filling the horizon. She turns to Yuxi and asks how her first experience on a ship is. The latter is enjoying it to the fullest, with the wind blowing so strongly. But you know what? Roderick and the guild still haven't told them anything about the third stage of the exam. Didn't Roderick say they'll tell them later? Well, Charlotte's sure that it will all be explained when they arrive, so for now they should enjoy the beautiful view. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Roderick walks past the applicant and heads near the bow. Ooh! Charlotte wonders if he'll be announcing some special shipboard tea time. Roderick clears his throat and then, in a loud voice, informs everyone that starting now the third stage of the exam will begin. In 1 minute the ship will sink. Huh? Roderick tells them to head to the island, which is 5 kilometers away, using their own strength. This is the content of the third stage of the exam. The applicants start panicking because what the hell, just like that. They're not even carrying anything with them. What if monsters appear? They won't even have to swim. Roderick tells them that there's no need to worry in this sea area, there are no aquatic monsters that attack humans. Also, several support boats are waiting for the signal to intervene if needed. If they feel like they can't make it, they may request help immediately. But the moment they do so, they will be considered as having failed. Roderick wraps up his explanation and jumps from the ship to a smaller boat below. With that, he tells them good luck. As soon as he gets out, they hear a loud crack. Huh? What kind of insane exam is this? The third test begins with the sound of a large crack splitting the ship's deck as it did. While the rest of the applicants panic, there's Aussies who takes one last look at the island before jumping straight into the waters. From his boat, Roderick watches everything unfold in the sinking ship. He saw what Aussies just did and is impressed with His Highness's quick decision. Even before he jumped, the examiner notes how the prince calmly rechecked the island's direction. That's 1 point for Aussies. In this test, they assess the applicant's ability to make correct decisions in unexpected situations. Due to the sinking ship, a whirlpool will form, so it's important to start swimming quickly and get as far away from the ship as possible. One of the applicants has grown tired of swimming, his legs giving out when a diver swims straight to him and catches him right before he collapses. Roderick notes that above all, it's important to have the physical ability to swim to the island while wearing their clothes. Those 2 points are the key to this test. Roderick orders the support team to hurry up and pull any applicant on the verge of drowning without any hesitation. They don't want any deaths on this exam. The assistant from before shares Roderick's boat and comments on how dangerous the third test truly is. He had to ask just to be sure that they've undergone rigorous training daily to be able to conduct this test safely, right? Roderick tells him that it's true, but some applicants may see it as an unfair test. However, when fighting a powerful opponent, a platinum-rank adventurer is required to make quick and precise decisions. An adventurer who can't handle a simple situation like a ship suddenly sinking will perish instantly even if they're promoted. This is why Roderick says it's much better for them to fail right here, right now. But then again, it's just as the assistant said, this test is truly dangerous. Then Roderick instructs the latter to focus and regulate the boat's speed properly. Suddenly, one of the divers appears and calls Roderick. The latter reports that there's a strange applicant in the depths of the sea. Huh? What does he mean by strange? But we all know who this is. Roderick asks what he means by the depths. Isn't the applicant drowning or sinking? Actually, the diver says this applicant is walking on the sea floor. The latter explains that the applicant is inside a bubble dome created with magic when suddenly another diver appears. The second one reports that there's an applicant eating at the bottom of the sea? Huh? It's pretty obvious this is the last thing Roderick expected any applicant to do during the test. You see, a few minutes after the ship sank, the only applicant who didn't swim like the rest was Charlotte. What for when she's got a bubble barrier to keep her safe and breathe underwater? Just look at her. Happily trotting underwater in her bubble, literally. With this, she can keep walking until she reaches the island. The more she walks underwater, the more she realizes that the seafloor is really deep and dark. But thanks to her night vision, she has no problem seeing at all. Just then, she senses a large monster. The examiner said there are no monsters that attack people, but it seems they didn't expect someone to be on the seafloor. Now she wonders what kind of creature this is. She didn't have to wonder long because soon enough she saw a pair of pincers appear from behind a giant rock. Aha, it's a giant hammer shrimp. Lucky, it's edible. The giant hammer shrimp notices her and lunges straight at Charlotte. She's not even scared and only asks if the monster is planning to eat her as well. Too bad for the shrimp, it's the one getting eaten today. The moment the monster's huge head enters her bubble, she poochie fires the heck out of that shrimp. There's a poof. And there it is, a perfectly grilled shrimp dish. Oh ho, what tempting meat, and there's its mouth-watering aroma. Okay, she needs to calm down first. Charlotte pulls out her chair and table and sits. Finally, she can start eating. She slices through the meat, and from that alone she just knows this one is going to be delicious. She takes one look at the morsel before she bites, and absolute bliss. It's truly delicious. That tender texture and rich flavor are irresistible. According to some sources, this type of shrimp doesn't age and lives for a very long time. This monster surely spent countless years growing and shedding its shell again and again. Well, she can't even imagine how long it has lived, but that life journey of the shrimp has been condensed into the deep flavor now exploding in her mouth. And now they come to the claw. Inside, the tender and incredibly delicious meat is densely packed. When she was little, she used to visit the chef in the kitchen. The chef once showed her a shrimp, leaving her salivating over it. Charlotte actually brushed her cheek against the shrimp's pincers since she couldn't stop herself. That day she got scolded pretty harshly, and she's sure anyone would have done the same. It was still worth it, and she'd do it again. Back to her food, she decides to crack the shell using the seafood crackers. Even with normal shrimp, the shell requires force to crack, and it got him wondering how much force is needed for a giant hammer shrimp like this. Surely this isn't something he can break easily with her strength. Crack or not, it broke easily. How could it not when her power level is 67? Well, whatever, at least this giant hammer shrimp is also easy to eat on top of being delicious. Time to dig in. She takes a bite and her face scrunches up in pleasure, savoring the delicious shrimp meat in her mouth. The claw is packed with muscle since it's built to crush hard things, so the meat is very firm, and the flavor is strong. This giant shrimp could win the bodybuilding championship, deep sea division. Yay for muscles and delicious food. That concludes her shrimp dish. She happily puts the tableware back in the item box, commenting about how she hasn't tasted such a delicious monster in such a long time. Now she must continue her journey to reach the island. Then there's that voice again, telling her that her level increased for devouring the monster. For devouring plunder shrimp of the deep sea, she's rewarded with gravity magic, gravity press. Ooh, a new magic spell. But what is that? Gravity magic. Well, the only way to know is to try. Charlotte puts her hands up and points them at a rock and activates gravity press. The rock was crushed to smithereens as soon as she did. Huh, looks like this magic is absolutely useless for food preparation. As always, Charlotte is only interested in food, so if the skill is not helpful for cooking, then it's a no. Plus, this skill shouldn't be used on people as well. Best get back to heading to the island then. Now, what she came to realize later is that walking on the seafloor is super hard. She walked and walked and walked until finally she arrived at the island. The uninhabited island where the final test stage will take place. A member of the guild approaches her and congratulates her for passing the third test. She looks around and notices that the prince has also arrived as well, and she is left wondering where Yuxi is. Just then she hears a familiar voice call out to her, and as she turns to look, there's Yuxi, all drenched and practically melting. The poor girl managed to swim all the way using doggy paddle style. The guild member directs her to where the staff is so she can dry herself off with magic. Once everyone is cleaned up, Roderick appears and tells them the final stage of the test. He will also be the examiner of the last exam, but before he explains what it is, he has the guild member hand out some gears to the applicant. They were given a backpack and a necklace. For this exam, they'll be fighting over the necklace, stealing it from each other. The duration of the exam is until noon on the 5th day. Whoever has 3 or more necklaces at the end will pass, but anyone who loses their necklace is considered to have instantly failed. Killing applicants or causing permanent injuries is forbidden. Aside from that, everything else is allowed. They can even form teams or betray each other. The backpack given to them contains food and water for only 2 days. Now the supervisors will lead them to their designated starting points. Without a doubt, this is a full island survival trial. Oh, one final thing, Roderick warns them not to enter the cave in the Rocky Mountain. Deep within the cave sleeps a monster that even the Adventurers Guild cannot handle. As long as they don't provoke it, there's no danger. Charlotte is still hung up on that violent monster he mentioned. It seems like there are scary creatures like that too. With that, Roderick tells them that the test will begin at sunset. Much later that day, Charlotte is deep in the woods all by herself, since that was her assigned starting point. The applicants were scattered randomly, so she has no idea where the others are. Even before they start competing for necklaces, just finding someone will be extremely difficult. She opens her map and sees there are so many different areas within the island. There's a seaside coast, a wider forest, and even the river's direction. The test has already begun, but she just wants to sleep today. She's tired from all the walking she did earlier that day. It's a good thing she brought that, huh? She opens her item box and pulls out her tent. She never thought it would be useful during the test, but putting it in her item box was such a great decision. Bless Mary for suggesting this that day. Mary was smart enough to suggest she buy the tent on display when they went out, since something like this would come in handy someday. Charlotte also brought a bed so she could sleep comfortably, but for now she starts setting up the tent. Or not. An hour later, Charlotte sits on the ground with a dazed look. She couldn't set it up. Nobility problems. They can't do the basics. No matter how hard she tries, the stakes just won't stay in the ground properly. Heck, she can't even get them to stick in the soil straight. And when she read the instructions, she couldn't figure out how or where to connect the parts. The tent setup is way too hard and she's so sleepy. That's it. She caves in and crawls inside the tent fabric and wraps it around her. She's turning in for the night, but my god, the sight of her wrapping herself up in the tent she failed to pitch is pretty pitiful. The next morning, instead of the sun or an alarm, what woke Charlotte up was her growling stomach. Her first thought, of course, is breakfast. She sits up happily and grabs her backpack. For her peace of mind, she decides to forget the tent disaster from last night, and the remedy for that is to eat something tasty. When it comes to guild food, of course, their signature lettuce sandwich is a given. Surely the food they gave the applicant was also a sandwich, right? Boy, is she wrong. Charlotte stares at the thing in her hand. What the heck is this? Is this supposed to be food? Oh, they're biscuits made for long-term storage. She takes a bite and chews it, but the thing has no taste at all. There's a hint of sweetness, but its dryness is overwhelming. Just imagine the moisture in her mouth vanishing completely like it's being absorbed. It's not good, but it's not bad either. Wait a minute, didn't Roderick say they're given water and food for 2 days only? She immediately empties the contents of her backpack and counts that she has 5 biscuits left. And 1 biscuit is equivalent to 1 meal? And she still has 3 more days? Charlotte plops to the ground in total despair. Oh no, at this moment she doesn't even have spare bread. She wants to eat something delicious. Aha! She sits up and looks at the forest, wondering if there are any monsters here in the forest. There definitely are. She can sense a few of them are nearby. Hee. She quickly puts on her backpack and starts running toward the forest. Wait for her, monsters. She doesn't care about necklaces at all right now. Her priority is to gather food. Now then, it's time to turn those monsters into delicious dishes. Let the hunt begin. Somewhere else on the island, Yuxi bashes a rodent. She was too busy, she just realized that it was already the morning of the 2nd day. Suddenly, she hears footsteps and an applicant comes wandering near her, looking around for another target. Thankfully, he didn't see where she was. Whew, that was close. She uses her gift, alchemy activation, and transmutes the rodent. Unfortunately, it turned into a pile of black ash. That's it? She takes the ash in her hands and says she needs to gather more materials. On the other end of the island, we have Charlotte, desperately checking each nook and corner for monsters. Is it here? Is it there? Where are they? Why can't she find the monsters? She has searched practically everywhere, but she found nothing. Why is that, even though she can feel their presence? This reminds her of the jack-o'-lantern who used to suddenly vanish. Okay, she'll try again and maybe she needs to focus more and follow the trail. The trail seems to lead to this tree before her. Or rather, is it the tree itself? She feels like she's seen something like this before. Okay, she'll try this. Charlotte starts acting, telling no one in particular how the tree looks completely ordinary from every angle. She thought the monster was here, but it seems like it was just an illusion. Too bad, I guess she'll just give up and leave now. What a shame. She starts walking away from the tree, and just when she is a few feet ahead, the tree sneers and suddenly moves. It was about to attack Charlotte with its branches, but too bad, it fell for her plan. Charlotte Pucci fires the tree, and it's just as she expected. It really was a monster tree. This here is a Trent. It disguises itself as a tree and suddenly attacks its prey when they're off guard. The Trent reminds her of a mimic since the latter also disguises itself as a treasure chest, so she feigned unawareness. Ha, this is a victory for her wisdom. She looks back at the burning Trent and notices how it's still burning, and it's quite a big fire. She launched Pucci fire out of habit, but what can you even cook from a tree? As soon as it stopped burning, she was left with a branch. Oh no, it's gone. The Trent can't be cooked. It looks like the Trent is the raw material type monster. Actually, even if they burn the tree, it's no good for cooking. How disappointing. But it's fine, there are still more monsters like these. She can already sense them. Even if she doesn't know how to eat it, she won't miss this food opportunity, so she'll try several methods. True enough, she found a few others and tried Pucci Ice, Tornado, and Water Shot, but it was no use. They never turn into food. All she ever got were branches and more branches. She pulls out her monster encyclopedia and starts flipping through. Even when she checked the encyclopedia, she didn't find any hint about how to cook it. She's been wandering through the forest for so long and now she's really hungry. This monster called Trent seems to disguise itself to match the surrounding types of trees. Their leaf color and trunk thickness vary from one another too. One good thing that came out of this is she's starting to understand Trent more and more, even if she doesn't know how to eat it yet. Charlotte stops dead in her tracks and notices something. The trees in this area give off a sweet scent. Does that mean Trent also gives off a sweet smell? From the smell alone, she knows they're already delicious. Wait, a sweet tree? Charlotte follows the direction of the scent and finds where it's coming from. Maybe magic may work. She apologizes to the skill she's about to use for thinking it couldn't be used, and with that, she activates her gravity press. There goes the familiar poof. The Trent turned into maple syrup. Aha! Who knew the secret was extracting nectar from the wood? And the syrup has a beautiful amber color too, which makes her want to pour it over pancakes. Oh right, maple syrup is meant to be eaten when poured over something else. But is there anything she can eat it with? Yes, there is. She rummages through her backpack and remembers the biscuits given to her. She breaks them off to make them easier to eat, then pours the syrup over them and takes a bite. It tastes so good. The aroma is wonderful. And the biscuit's mild flavor brings out the sweetness of the maple syrup perfectly. Just taking a bite makes her want to eat more. She can't stop because it's so delicious. She poured more of the syrup into the biscuit, and before Charlotte realized it, she had eaten all the biscuits and emptied the jar of maple syrup. She can't believe this is real. Even if the maple syrup is tasty at this rate, she's just nothing but a glutton who couldn't resist her appetite and ate 2 days worth of rations in half a day. But she's not like that, right? Then there's that voice informing her that her level increased and she received a Trent devouring bonus. She now has the permanent skill Defense Boost, which increases defense by 20%. Oh, shut up. Yes, she's the one who devoured it. No need to rub it in her face. She starts wandering through the forest looking for monsters since she ate all the food. That's when she noticed the examiners bunched up a few yards away from her. What are they doing there? Wait a minute. This place is the Forbidden Cave. From where she was standing, she could feel the dark and suspicious aura emanating from it, plus the air is a little chilly. Now that she remembers it, there's a ferocious monster that dwells inside the cave. Will Charlotte be able to sense its presence from here? She moves a little closer, curious, when one of the guild members spots and scolds her. She's not allowed to go in there, and Charlotte turns away, scared to get into trouble. If she gets any closer, she might get scolded more, so it's better to stay away. She continues walking and spots a river ahead. If there's water, monsters might come to drink. She quickly runs toward it, unknowingly activating the trap set up by someone. As soon as her foot hit the string on the ground, smoke was released from the nearby branch, covering her. She remained standing still, not knowing that there was an applicant nearby, the one who set up the trap. He knows getting water is essential for survival, so if he sets up a trap here, someone's bound to fall into it. The applicant gets out of his hiding spot and approaches Charlotte, thinking about how he used a paralyzing potion to stop her movement and steal her necklace without a fight. It's the perfect plan. As he was about to snatch the necklace from her, she grabbed it with both hands. No, she's not going to let that happen. Her sudden movement caused the man to jump back in shock. What the hell? Why didn't the poisons work? Why can she move? Charlotte gives him a puzzled look because what is he talking about? The man tells him that she was hit with a full dose of paralyzing potions strong enough to stop whales. He was backing away so much that he accidentally activated the second trap and sprayed himself with the same paralyzing poisons. Crap, just what kind of idiot is he? Charlotte was still talking to him, but since he was non-responsive, she took the necklace off him. Yay! Now she only needs one more to go. She didn't expect to get it this quickly, but now, more important than the necklace is food. She's so hungry that she actually wants to run into a monster soon. She hears some rustling near the hedges and instantly uses Paralyze, thinking that it's a monster, but when she approaches and checks, it's just a normal rabbit. Oh no, she heard a sound and cast magic without thinking, even though she didn't sense any trace of a monster. She needs to focus more, she's overthinking monsters too much. Generally speaking, a monster is a living creature whose body has been transformed by the influence of mana, magical energy, or a non-living material that moves under the effect of that magical energy. That's why even if the monster is far away, she can feel its presence due to the mana within it. But she doesn't feel any magical energy from this rabbit before her. And because it's a regular animal, she can't use her abilities to eat it. But if she wants to eat it, she'd have to remove its skin and fur. She can't bring herself to do something like that. What she does know is that rabbit meat is really delicious, so it would be a waste to let it get away. Oh no, what should she do now? As she sat there pondering, Charlotte noticed a familiar figure ahead. The girl springs up on Yuxi with such urgency and suddenness that the latter yelps. Huh? Sister Charlotte? Yuxi backs up, trying to de-escalate the situation because this is too early for a fight. Charlotte has that crazed look in her eyes and puts her hands over Yuxi's shoulders. She doesn't really care about the necklace right now because she has an important request for Yuxi. An hour later, Charlotte and Yuxi sit together eating the grilled rabbit. Our heroine is in good spirits now, thankful that Yuxi cooked the rabbit. What a lifesaver. But Yuxi says she should be the one thanking her big sister since she shared her food with her. Charlotte is impressed because the Yuxi was so fast at preparing the rabbit. Plus her seasoning was perfect too. Does she always carry spices with her? To that, Yuxi grabs a rock and holds it with both hands. She activates her gift, alchemy, and her hands instantly light up. Charlotte remembers that light. It's the same as when they caught the bandits from before. Yuxi then shows her what's in her hand, salt. On top of this, she can also convert wild herbs into ones suitable for cooking. Because she's poor, she can't afford to buy preserved food easily, so when she goes on dungeon exploration adventures, Yuxi makes seasonings this way and eats monster meat. As soon as she said that, she panicked a little because she knew it might sound inappropriate and scary for someone like Charlotte, seeing how it's obvious the latter seems like she was raised in an elegant environment. That's where she's wrong. Charlotte says with her whole chest how she also loves eating monsters. And honestly, after tasting Yuki's food, she wished she could try more of the monster dishes she cooked. Hearing that made Yuxi happy, and it made her dream about how nice it would be if they could eat together again someday. That's when Charlotte asks her if she would like to team up for the final test. Yuxi is taken aback and clarifies if she meant forming a team together. Our heroine says that's exactly what she has in mind. It's just like what they did in the second exam. They plan together and move as a team. In doing so, Charlotte thinks they'll have no problem collecting necklaces. Yuxi can attract the opponent's attention while she uses Paralyze. But if she's being honest, Charlotte just wants to taste her food again. Of course, she'll be responsible for hunting monsters because she can sense their presence. At that, Yuxi perks up. Can Charlotte really do that? The latter says she can. If she focuses, she can detect them within about a kilometer. Yuxi tells her that her skill is super useful, then grows quiet. This made Charlotte think that she may have overwhelmed the sweet girl, so she backtracks and apologizes. Yuxi must have her own plan too, right? It's not that at all. Yuxi was just afraid that she might be a burden to Sister Charlotte, so the latter clarifies that's absolutely not true. In her eyes, Yuxi is brave, reliable, and strong too. Well, alright then. If Charlotte is okay with having her, then Yuxi would be honored to work with our heroine. Yay! Charlotte grabs her hands in hers, excited for their new team. Now that's settled, on to more pressing matters. The meal they had just now, doesn't Yuxi also think that it won't keep them full for long? Charlotte's sudden seriousness catches her off guard, but yeah, sure, maybe. Charlotte thinks so too, which is why she suggests they should head out right away and hunt tonight's dinner. 22 hours after the start of the exam, Prince Ozus, adventurer Oruf, carefully makes his way around the forest at sundown. He's on high alert, knowing that someone is tailing him not too far behind. Now the question is, when will they attack? Soon he walks across an open area where two adventurers came out to trap him. They've been eyeing the pendant of this masked covering on both sides. The first guy tells Oruf not to take this personally, reminding him that they're allowed to form a team and gang up on someone alone in this exam. As soon as he said that, both men made their move at the same time. His Highness quickly draws his sword and disarms his first attacker with one swing, then turns around to stop the other by holding the tip of his opponent's blade between his fingers. His attacker's momentary shock was the only opening the prince needed to disarm the former. The first guy grabs his sword and is about to attack again when Oruf tells them that he'll be taking their pendants, picking the items off the ground as he says so. What the? That's impossible. When did that happen? Both men looked down and noticed their pendants were gone. Did the masked guy really block their attacks and cut the chain off at the same time earlier? They didn't even notice at all. Actually, there's a third guy positioned on the cliff, an archer. He draws his bow, wondering if the masked guy actually took their pendants. Even if that were true, that masked guy probably didn't expect that there was another member hiding nearby after stealing the pendant and letting his guard down. With that, the archer drew his bow and fired at Oruf, thinking he'd catch the latter and take the pendants back. As the arrow neared Oruf, he used his sword and easily deflected it, once again shocking his two attackers. The archer couldn't believe it either. The guy blocked it. Just who is this mysterious masked boy? Orof's first attacker asks him how he knew an arrow would be fired. To that His Highness explained that the moment they attacked from the opening he created, he realized one of them was an archer. From the terrain, the prince could narrow down the hiding spots, and if he pretended to drop his guard, he could predict when the arrow would be released. The archer finally understands now. This masked guy saw through everything perfectly. The second dude asked if the guy went down below, but his question remained unanswered because the archer could look at Orof with a mix of admiration and wariness. He personally wanted to see what kind of person could block an arrow while turning his back. Even he admits that it's impossible to get their pendants back from the masked guy. They're still nowhere near his level. The other two agreed, saying that at that level of strength, reaching platinum rank is still a distant dream. Well, there's no use mulling over it. At least they were good sports. They turned and were about to head to the withdrawal point. As far as they remember, it was probably near the first sea. Given that it's a long road back, they bid the masked guy their goodbyes and told him to try to last the remaining 4 days. The prince ponders for a bit before calling out to them. He points out that the sun is already setting, so it'll be completely dark by the time they arrive. Furthermore, traveling at night is dangerous, so he suggests they better wait until morning. Before they could respond, Orof continued that he had caught some rabbits a little while ago. With that said, he asks if they would like to join him for dinner. This guy, strong and kind-hearted, he's the true essence of a platinum-ranked adventurer. No, it feels like he's something even greater than that. At the kind gesture, his once assailants can't help but do a complete change of heart. They want to become like him. No, they vow to be like him. His Highness has no idea what they're even talking about, but the men refuse to settle. They want to know what kind of training he went through to get to that strength. The other two also want to know. Heck, they'll even train from scratch. Just like that, Prince Ozus, or rather, Adventurer Off, finished collecting all the pendants required to pass. He almost even gained disciples in the process of doing so, had he not firmly turned them down. Those 3 adventurers were so captivated by the prince's strength and personality that none of them even thought of reclaiming their pendants from him. The trio ended up spending a fun and fruitful night with Orof instead. Meanwhile, our heroine also formed a tag team with GOURMET, and right now they're on the hunt. Charlotte herself senses an aura coming from that direction, and they're eager to catch some monsters for dinner tonight. Sorry, not they. Charlotte is. As we all know, she has a unique skill, Beast Eater. So even if Yuxi doesn't cook for her, she can prepare her own meals. We all saw how Charlotte Pucci fired many monsters from before, right? Still, she wants to eat something delicious that Yuxi makes. Plus, the meat she cooked earlier was so delicious too. This made our heroine want to taste Yuxi's other dishes too. Charlotte is used to traveling alone, but a little fun won't hurt. As they move closer to where the monster is, Yuxi is curious. What does a monster's aura even look like? Charlotte describes what she sees as best as she can, noting how 300 meters ahead there's a herd of monsters about yay big. Huh. If it's that size, Yuxi thinks they're probably mid-level beasts. At best, they could be silverhorns. Charlotte is not familiar with that monster, so Yuxi explains that silverhorns are deer-like monsters with silver horns, as their name suggests. They're extremely cautious and quick to flee, and honestly speaking, Yuxi saw one a little while ago, but it ran away. If that's the case, Charlotte thinks it's best to get close without being noticed. As soon as she said that, she activated her stealth skill, instantly disappearing before Yuxi's very eyes. The latter looks around frantically for her big sister Charlotte, but our heroine tells her to wait for her, as she is already making her way toward the herd of silverhorns. 10 minutes later, Charlotte returns and starts pulling the paralyzed silverhorns out of her storage box. Upon seeing her other skill, Yuxi gets excited. She's never seen a storage box before, and Charlotte even has the stealth skill. She's so amazing. As always, our clueless heroine just brushes it off, telling the younger one that she's exaggerating. Since they have their main ingredients, Yuxi steps up and volunteers to do the rest. Soon enough, she's done with dinner. Voila! It's a special venison steak cooked by Yuxi. Charlotte's eyes are twinkling. Just look at how luxurious it is. So wild but elegant. Both ladies sat to eat thanks to Charlotte's tableware, and Yuxi couldn't be more thankful. Actually, Charlotte totally forgot about it since she had it inside her storage box. And it's not like she uses it every day. But before they dig in, Charlotte rummages through her pocket for the finishing touch. Using her alchemy gift, she transmutes something and sprinkles it on top of the steak. It's black pepper. Hehe. She can also create other spices too. So Charlotte should just tell her which ones she likes. As usual, Charlotte's already impressed enough as it is because alchemy really is amazing. And now, they feast. Bon appetit! Both girls bite into their steak at the same time and they find the meat incredibly delicious. The salt level and the aroma of the herbs are perfectly balanced. Charlotte didn't know silverhorn meat had such a light flavor. Why, she could eat it endlessly. She also finds it deeply satisfying to hunt, cook, and eat your own meat right away. Well, in this case, Yuxi did the cooking, but even Charlotte had fun watching her do that. With that said, she gives the chef who made the steak a full 3 stars. Yay! Charlotte was happily preoccupied eating her steak, but Yuxi wasn't. In fact, she looks worried. Finally, the latter speaks up and asks if she could take the parts of the monster meat they didn't eat. Charlotte only stares back at her before Yuxi continues that she's aware that Charlotte is the one who caught the monster, and the horns are usually brought to the guild. Lucky for Yuxi, our heroine doesn't really care about that, so she gives the former free rein. She could really have it if she wants to, but Charlotte is curious about what the other girl will do with things like that. Since Yuchi can use alchemy, she plans to use it as a material for her skills. After all, monster parts can be refined into high-grade gunpowder, which is useful in combat. Plus, if she sets up a few traps around their sleeping spot, they can rest more safely and help with her experiments. Oh, why didn't Charlotte ever think of that? Yuchi is a genius, whereas Charlotte just usually curls up in her tent without thinking at all. Charlotte urges Yuchi to just use it however she likes. And oh, there are also these branches she picked up. Yuchi's alarmed at all the materials but takes them anyway. Much later that night, this time Charlotte yet again sings praises about Yuchi. Not only can she cook, but she can even set up camp perfectly. Yuchi can only smile and reply that for people without experience, doing those things can be pretty hard, huh? But no matter what, Yuchi thinks Charlotte is the best. Her big sister not only brought a tent, but she also had a luxurious bed with her. As always, our heroine credits her storage box for it. Yuxi is so amazed because the bed is so soft and comfy. Then Charlotte tackles her so the two land on the bed with a thud. Our heroine giggles, suggesting they sleep together side by side. Yuxi feels a little shy because she has her own sleeping bag after all. The bed will be too crammed if both of them sleep on it. On the other hand, she admits that it really is comfy and she hasn't slept on a bed for so long. Not a second later, Yuxi is already dozing off. She's already asleep. That's not surprising. Yuxi swam a lot yesterday, and Charlotte thinks she also moved around a lot today. She pats the younger's head, thinking that the exhaustion must have built up. Soon after, Charlotte also went to sleep, but not before saying they should work hard again starting tomorrow. From the next day onward, Charlotte and Yuxi executed a detailed plan, tailing other adventurers. Yuxi is the first to initiate contact with their targets, while Charlotte catches them by surprise using her paralyze skill. They work together, collecting pendants smoothly and have no trouble finding food either. Before long, there's only one day left until the exam ends. By sundown, the two have already set up camp for the night. Now they only need one pendant left. Charlotte suggests they sleep early tonight and give it their all the next morning. Yuxi agrees, but somehow she doesn't look excited or happy about it, which Charlotte noticed. She has looked so sad since dinner, so our heroine couldn't help but ask if she's worried they might not find the last pendant. Is something bothering Yuxi? To that, the latter quickly assures her that it's nothing, but then her face fell again. When she speaks, she finally tells her big sister how she was just thinking about how much fun it's been. Even though the exam was tough, eating and sleeping with Charlotte was incredibly fun. Now all of this will end soon. At that, Charlotte grabs her hands firmly, saying she also had a lot of fun. She then tells the latter that they should eat together again after the exam ends. It's a promise. At that, Yuxi finally smiles as she puts her hands over Charlotte's. But much later that night, Yuxi gets up from bed and removes her pendant before placing it right next to Charlotte. She quietly exits the tent and looks back, thinking about how she lied again. Even though she already knew that she might not be able to keep the promise she had made with her big sister Charlotte. Before she walks away, Yuxi can only apologize to Charlotte. And now we finally learn the driving force behind Yuxi's actions. Back when she was much younger than she is now, Yuxi used to live with her family in a village deep in the mountains. It's a village inhabited by beast folk. Together, Yuxi lived with her beloved parents and her dear little sister Elena. The family lived together happily, and for a time Yuxi truly believed that their peaceful and happy days would last forever. But 5 years ago, a highly venomous spider monster attacked their village. The villagers couldn't withstand its poison, so the entire village was destroyed in a short time. Even so, her parents fought with all their strength. She remembers her mother urging them that both of them must survive, pushing her and Elena out of the village. Yuxi carried her sister on her back and managed to escape the village. Soon they were able to find another village where they lived together. Since there are only the two of them, Yuxi became the provider for her sister. She worked hard every day to earn her living, carrying crates of fruit as labor. It was a tough job with mishaps and scolding from her employer. On her way home, she sees a mother with her two sons and she can't help but feel lonely seeing that was the thing that hurt her the most. But no matter how hopeless she felt, she drew strength from Elena's smile. Her little sister happily welcomes her home each night with a bowl of food ready for her to eat. Yuxi is grateful that she wasn't alone, happy to have Elena by her side, but then even that had to be taken from her. Suddenly, Elena collapsed and Yuxi soon found out the reason why. It turned out that Elena had also been poisoned by the monster's venom. The amount of poison in her body was small, so its progress was slow. However, it was gradually eating away at her. The doctor said she wouldn't live more than 5 or 6 years, adding that there's no cure for now. With her head hung low, Yuxi asked if there was no other way to save Elena. Feeling pity over the poor girl, the doctor told her that in their hospital, no, in this entire region, there's no cure. However, if the universal antidote exists, then there's a chance Elena could be saved. According to the doctor, the universal antidote is said to be made from materials taken from powerful monsters, but personally, the doctor has yet to see one for himself. He's not even sure if it's obtainable anymore. Despite the odds stacked against her, Yuxi vowed to go and get the medicine herself. With that, she dashed out of the doctor's office and headed to the Adventurers Guild to register. As an adventurer, Yuxi earned money and gathered information about the universal antidote. Every day she traveled to different lands, fought monsters, and strengthened herself. Yuxi pretty much got her hands full, and yet she never missed visiting Elena so as not to make her little sister lonely. She'd smile and tell her sister how she would bring her the medicine, so Elena should hang in there for a little while longer. Yuxi did everything she possibly could, fighting, earning money, and searching for the antidote without rest. Then years passed, and when she was finally able to travel to distant lands, she finally obtained information about the universal antidote. It said that the universal antidote is made from the venom of a monster known as the Lord of the Isolated Island, which dwells on an uninhabited island near Mayanzel. This island lord doesn't usually attack humans, but its combat strength is immense. Extracting its venom is extremely difficult. The Adventurers Guild classified it about 40 years ago as unbeatable. Upon reading the entry, Yuxi felt hopeless. She's not strong enough as an adventurer, and it hasn't been long since she received her gift. How could she ever defeat such a monster? She won't be able to save Elena. Her poor little sister has less than a year to live. Speaking of Elena, her body began to grow weaker little by little, and ever since she learned that there was no way to save her, it became painful for Yuxi to look at her face. At the hospital, she could only remain right at Elena's door, which she finds pathetic, given how her little sister is the one suffering the most. Now she wonders if Elena will have to endure several more months like this, suffering all that time only to die in the end. No, that would be far too cruel for Elena. So Yuxi thought she should let her rest from her pain quickly. So Yuxi entered Elena's hospital room after being away for an entire month. Looking at her sister, poor Elena could barely breathe. At the time, Yuxi had obtained some type of medicine, but it wasn't the universal antidote. This drug she found would let Elena sleep peacefully, forever. She thought that if she told Elena it was a medicine to cure her, the latter would drink it without hesitation. Yuxi intended for her to drink half of it and for her to drink the other half herself. But then, maybe Elena can't even speak anymore, right? If she's asleep now, maybe it's better to let her sleep just like that. She approached Elena's bed, apologizing, and as soon as her sister heard her voice, she stirred. To Yuxi's shock, Elena welcomed her big sister with a smile, despite feeling so weak. This made Yuxi stop in her tracks, while Elena reached out to her, saying how happy she was to see her big sister. It's been so long after all. Yuxi apologizes, saying there was a big mission she had to complete, but Elena assures her it's fine. If anything, she's the one thanking Yuxi for doing everything for her. Her big sister tells her that she couldn't do anything while Elena was in pain. But Elena doesn't think so. She remembers how Yuking always said that her big sister would definitely save her, which is why she doesn't feel any pain. Seeing Elena's strained smile, Yuking dropped the vial and hugged her sister, crying. While doing so, she told Elena to think hard about what she wants to do once she gets better because her big sister will make all her wishes come true, every single one of them, she promises. Now back to the present. Yuxi broke the warning chain at the mouth of the cave where the Lord of the Island resides. Now she's ready. Ever since that day until now, she has been preparing for this battle for so long, since the moment she arrived in Mayanzel until the start of the final exam. Thanks to using Big Sister Charlotte's materials, she managed to collect more from monsters than she initially planned. Actually, she lied about the gunpowder she made with alchemy. She told Charlotte back then that she would use it for the exam, but in reality, Yuxi reserved most of it for her personal plan. She looks back to where Charlotte's tent is, thinking about how she never thought she'd meet someone here whom she could share meals and go adventuring with. Honestly, Yuxi misses a warm bed, but there's something she must do. She activates her alchemy gift, igniting the fuse that leads to the entrance of the cave. She can't allow Elena to remain in pain, and she vividly remembers her sister's smile on that day. Elena believes in her, so she won't give up anymore. What does unbeatable even mean? It doesn't matter what happens to her. Even if her blood mixes with the blood of the Lord of the Isolated Island, she will save Elena. Finally, the explosives lit up, causing the walls to come crashing down to the ground. The explosion was enough to shake the whole island, alarming the guild members and even Charlotte's tent. Yuxi waited as the debris finally settled, thinking about how she had placed gunpowder inside the cave to bring the ceiling down on the sleeping Lord of the Isolated Island. Additionally, she also set powerful explosives around the creature's perimeter. Now she could only hope it would be enough to inflict a fatal wound. Just then, something started slithering under the rubble, and Yuxi already knew this was going to happen. What she didn't quite expect was to see that the Lord of the Isolated Island is a three-headed snake monster. As it roared in fury, Yuxi could only mutter for her sister to wait a little longer. A little while before Yuxi lit the fuse, Charlotte stirred in bed, feeling cold. She opened her eyes to see that the spot next to her was empty. Yuxi, where is she? She calls out to her, and that's when Charlotte notices the pendant right next to her. Why did Yuxi do this? Since she was already up, she decided to look for Yuxi, walking around and calling out to her. Even before they went to sleep, Yuxi's behavior was strange, so of course Charlotte is pretty worried. Could Yuxi be facing other problems too? Just then, she hears something off in the distance, quickly followed by the ground shaking. Charlotte covers her ears and looks up. wondering what that sound is. Back to Yuxi. She's on the run as the Lord of Long Island chases after her. She looks back eager to lead the monster in a certain area. You see, the Lord of the Cave, who was sleeping on the isolated island, is a mutated three-headed serpent monster. It was categorized as unbeatable by the Adventurers Guild 40 years ago. If she can defeat it, she plans to obtain the poison from its fangs, and that very poison will be used to make the universal antidote. With that, Yuxi believes Elena can be saved. She heard a rumor that the promotion exam to the platinum rank is usually held on this deserted island, and with effort she managed to secure the right to participate in the promotion. But the thing is, even she's aware that staying alive up to this point has been a miracle. Be that as it may, she's definitely getting that venom. Suddenly, she hears electricity crackle, soon followed by a powerful current blasting right where she was just a moment ago. The middle head exhales electricity. It's just as she read in the report. She read an engagement report from the Adventurers Guild about their encounter with the Lord of the Island. According to them, several characteristics of that monster were mentioned. The breath emitted by the three heads is different. Regarding a point of weakness that appeared during combat, apparently the other two heads stop moving when the middle head, the one that emits lightning, is shocked. In other words, it's believed that the middle head gives orders, so if they can crush the middle head, they may become unable to act. With that report in mind, Yuxi believes that if she targets the middle head, then maybe she could defeat it. As she nears a solid rock formation ahead, she swipes her hand over it as she passes by, and the debris collapses over the beast pursuing her. It's a success. Dropping boulders and debris actually stopped the Lord of the Island from moving. Now's her chance. Yuxi made her way to the monster's head, targeting the middle one. She grabbed something from her utility pocket, activating her alchemy gift, stuffing her hammer with the strongest gunpowder she made. She leaped high and put her full strength in this one hit, literally hammering the middle head of the monster with an explosive strike. Her move hurt the creature, but it also made the monster angrier. The middle head roared, causing Yuxi to slip and fall. As she did, one of the heads noticed her. It didn't matter that the middle head passed out. Unguarded and with no way to defend herself, Yuxi could do nothing as the monster's tail slammed her into the boulders, severely injuring her. Crap, she couldn't kill it. Despite coughing up blood, she's still determined to carry out what she came here for. If she can't get the materials from it, then at least she should make the monster vomit the venom. That's when she noticed her right hand was broken. Oh, right in front of her, the Lord of the Long Island looms before her. The middle head starts generating electricity in its mouth, with Yuxi just staring at it blankly. She could only apologize to Elena. This is it, she failed. She couldn't keep her promise, and what's worse is that she probably ruined the island and lied to Charlotte a lot. With tears brimming in her eyes, Yuxi apologizes one last time before she hears a familiar voice. Pucci fire. The next thing she knows, an explosive flame counters the monster's attack on Yuxi. Huh. Of course it's Charlotte. Our heroine finally appears, and she's as bubbly as ever. Charlotte's the only one in their whole universe who smiles upon seeing the great serpent monster. With her standing against the rising sun, she really feels like a savior in Yuxi's eyes. But typical Charlotte, she gets distracted by a sound, and the serpent monster used that chance to zap her into the next life. The scene horrified Yuxi, who could only scream her big sister's name. As soon as the blazes are out, there's Charlotte, barely harmed, and complaining about how much that hurts. It's like an electric sting. The monster heads tilt, looking at her curiously as our heroine goes off, describing it as that annoying feeling when you wear fur clothes and get a static shock. She hates that feeling so much. Yuxi can't believe it. Charlotte just took a direct hit and isn't even harmed. What's even more ridiculous is that she treated the electric breath like it was static electricity. Of course, Charlotte has her beast eater ability to thank, plus the mountain of skills she accumulated from eating monsters. God bless her defense resistance and boosted defense skills. The other head is now also perceiving her as a threat. Now there are two of them firing up their electric charges. Seeing them powering up, Charlotte also put both of her hands up in defense. A 2-on-1 fight is totally unfair, so with every electric current sent her way, Charlotte counters it with Pucci fire. She was so busy countering their attacks that she didn't realize a third attack was creeping up on her side until it hit her. As the smoke clears, Charlotte sneezes, leaving the monster head stupefied yet again. Ugh, this one is so cold. If she catches a cold, what will this monster do about it then, huh? Yuxi is now sitting up, watching the fight unfold. Amazing, even the ice breath doesn't affect her big sister Charlotte. She's got amazing defensive power. But more importantly, she notices how her right arm is starting to heal. Huh? Is this also Charlotte's power? Speaking of Charlotte, she opens her storage box and rummages for a handkerchief when Yuxi notices that the third head is gearing up to attack. She cries out, warning Charlotte to run for it. The third head has poison breath. The third head breathes its toxic fumes into Charlotte, even killing the surrounding trees and foliage in the area. But the third head is just as shocked as the other two, because what do you mean, Charlotte is just coughing at worst. And she even called this smoke very annoying. This time she should thank her skill complete prevention negative status effects. What the hell? No matter the attack, this girl will not fall. For the first time, the Lord of the Isolated Island turns tail and tries to flee from the natural enemy he's facing for the first time. But the rubble on its body slows his movement for a moment. That one moment is all Charlotte needed as she Poochie fired the heck out of that monster with a smile. The giant blazing ball of flame is the last thing the monster sees before its whole body is set afire. Yuxi watched as the fearsome monster collapsed to the ground, still blazing, while Charlotte approached its flaming carcass. Now Yuxi is confused. Did her big sister Charlotte really take down the monster with just one strike? Speaking of Charlotte, our heroine turns to Yuxi and starts walking toward her. Oh no, the latter knows her big sister will be mad at her. Why wouldn't she? Yuxi did wake the Lord of the Island without permission after all, and she also took advantage of Charlotte. She couldn't look Charlotte straight in the eyes and was just about to apologize when our heroine told her that if she wanted to, she would give the serpent monster materials to Yuxi, referring to the monster fangs oozing with venom. Eh? Charlotte smiles and repeats it, motioning to those sticky things over there. Those sticky things. The fangs of the Lord of the Island, materials filled with venom for which the price they'll sell for is unimaginable. She's giving them to Yuxi for free. Anyone would want them. Still, Yuxi asks if she could really take them for herself, and Charlotte insists she does. In fact, she wants Yuxi to use them as she always does. While Charlotte smiles at her, Yuxi can feel the tears brimming in her eyes once again. This time she can't help but sob in her hands. The moment she did, Charlotte was alarmed. Eh? What's wrong suddenly? Yuxi starts apologizing and thanking Charlotte profusely. Our heroine has no idea what's happening, but consoles her young friend in her arms. As she does, all she could think about is how she screwed up. She stole Yuxi's prey. Leave it to Charlotte to misunderstand things. After the ground shook and a terrifying monster's aura appeared, she came to check and then found a huge monster while she was searching for Yuxi. Being the foodie that she is, Charlotte thought it would make a perfect midnight snack. But when she looked closely, it seemed Yuxi had been fighting the monster before her. Yuxi must have been aiming for it as a midnight snack too. Ugh, she felt bad for it, so Charlotte ended up giving Yuxi that weird sticky material as an apology gift. Ugh, now she also needs to apologize properly for the meat too. Well, might as well get on with it. Charlotte was about to apologize for the serpent's monster meat, but to her surprise, the latter was already asleep. This is also due to Charlotte's skills in auto-recovery, and it's currently working to cure Yuxi's sleep deprivation. Since there's nothing else to do, Charlotte decides to tuck her in bed. Yuxi's clothes are all dirty and she looks so tired. It's only natural to get sleepy while preparing a midnight meal after all. Alright then. Now that Yuki's asleep, now's her chance. Charlotte makes a break for it, grabbing the chair, excited to eat the serpent monster meat. The smoke still hasn't cleared, and it just heightens her anticipation over what kind of dish it will be. Finally, the smoke clears, and Charlotte finds herself face to face with a mountain load of fried chicken. Yay, what an incredible amount! Each piece is huge, and there's so much of it. For someone like her with a big appetite, it's a dream come true. As excited as she is, Charlotte is a little wary and hesitant since this is her first time eating serpent meat. But then again, based on her experience, large monsters are always super delicious. The grand boar and giant hammer shrimp are perfect examples of that. So following this logic, this must mean the giant serpent will be extremely delicious too. On top of that, it's fried. You can never go wrong with fried food, and it's something she can't resist, which must mean it's definitely delicious. Alright, time to eat. She takes a bite, and as expected, it's delicious. It's so delicious she finds it hard to find other words to describe how tasty it is. Charlotte starts digging in, as in really digging in. The flavor explodes in her mouth, and she can't handle it. Just what is this? It tastes totally amazing. The flavor flows from her mouth straight into her brain, sharpening her senses. Wait, her senses? Now it's like time has slowed down. Could it be? She has entered the zone. The zone is a state of ultimate focus that only top athletes and great artists reach under extreme conditions, where it feels like time moves more slowly. Right now, she's in that state. Charlotte's mind has awakened from a taste beyond all limits. Thanks to entering the zone in this slowed down time, she can savor the fried chicken's flavor with perfect precision. The more she bites into it, the more she feels the meat fibers melting on her tongue and the rich, flavorful fat spreading slowly. Charlotte sighs in bliss. Oh, to experience this feeling. She can enjoy it in complete calm, this moment that usually passes so fast. The zone is truly amazing. So just like that, Charlotte continues to devour the Lord of the Island leisurely while Yuxi sleeps right behind her. Just how powerful is she by the next chapter though?